boy stood at the pinnacle of the world from the moment he was born. He idolized the first man to wield divine power, known as the First Awakened, and his own mage class aptitude score was an astonishing 97%. Yet, Jaehyun ultimately chose to become a brawler class raider, simply because the public's perception of the mage class was abysmal at the time. But now, as a brawler, he could only watch on television as the mage class raiders were showered with praise and adoration. It was common knowledge that an awakened's growth generally stopped at the age of 20. It was already too late for Jaehyun to make a change. The only job he could find now was to serve as a human shield in a dungeon clearing team. The only way he could get this job was from Yumin Jong, who works at the raider agency and gives contracts to freelance raiders. The strange sense of pride he once had for the brawler class had long since been crushed by the harsh realities of life. Fortunately, dungeons sometimes yielded unexpected treasures. Although these treasures could bring fatal danger at any moment, they were also the hope that kept low-level raiders alive. The next day, at the portal, the members of the campaign have finally gathered. Meanwhile, Jaehyun was minding his own business to the side. He was searching for Yumin, who claimed that he will be there, but he was nowhere to be found. But Jaehyun thought that Yumin had better things to do as an A-rank mage. He thought to himself that if it was him, he wouldn't waste his time at the agency. However, a dark memory interrupts his thoughts. "You worthless fool," and a dark expression falls on Jaehyun's face. There was only one person that Jaehyun considered an ally here, and they agreed to have a celebratory meal after the campaign. "Everyone, pay attention. We're entering in 10 minutes. Jaehyun reminded himself before entering the dungeon. When you inadvertently come across a boon, a lucky find can cloud your common sense and make you drop your guard. That is when the dungeon will truly test you. If this boon is true, or if it's just a tragedy disguised as a blessing." Lastly, Jaehyun had a routine before entering any dungeon. He would take out his phone and look at a photo of himself and his mother, drawing strength and motivation from their memory together. This time, however, the dungeon seemed simple, although the mages were particularly bossy this time around. All Jaehyun had to do was hold his shield and stand his ground. As brilliant spells flashed one after another, the zombies before them were effortlessly annihilated. The team participating in this raid was the Meteor Guild, a guild that, despite being newly established, had already made a name for itself. At this rate, Jaehyun felt he should be able to get out alive. Soon, only the final boss of the dungeon remained. During a break, Jaehyun wanted to check his gains so far, but he noticed something odd. The interface was completely glitching out. Suddenly, he was struck by a piercing pain. The Acer system, which humanity relied on for survival, had crashed. There was an unknown error that caused the rebooting process to fail. In a daze, Jaehyun heard someone telling him to follow the light. At the same time, the Acer system kept sending notifications. It had been invaded by an unknown entity, and any troubleshooting by the system kept failing. Jaehyun was still wondering if this unknown entity was the voice he had heard when he turned around and saw points of light appearing all around him. No one else saw these anomalies. It was as if these points of light existed only for him, and so, Jaehyun decided to follow them and investigate. He wanted to know what was going on at this moment. Along the way, he tried countless times to awaken the Acer system, but it remained paralyzed. Such a thing had never happened in the 17 years he had used it. Jaehyun thought that the Acer system might be going through a transformation. The Acer system, it refers to the pantheon of Asgard, which includes the mighty Odin and Thor. This was the final saving grace for humankind, because back then, a colossal tree had suddenly grown in the Pacific Ocean, reaching a sky-blotting height in just 9 days. That tree was the world tree from mythology. On the 9th day after the tree matured, monsters began appearing all over the world, bringing unprecedented disaster to humanity. Half of the world's population perished, and half of the survivors later died from famine and disease. It was then that the Acer system appeared, granting people divine power and turning them into awakened, allowing human civilization to survive. The awakened then became known as today's raiders. The Acer system is a tool of the modern heroes, and their greatest asset. With the Acer system suddenly crashed, a mysterious voice told Jaehyun to follow the points of light. At the end of the trail of light was a large, ancient door. Jaehyun guessed this might be the legendary treasure gate, a room rumored to appear only in high-level dungeons, hiding countless treasures behind it. For Jaehyun, this was his only chance to change his life. With a heart full of anxiety, he pushed open the door, but there were no countless treasures as the rumors described. The only thing in the room was a sphere placed in the center. Unwilling to give up this chance to change his fate, Jaehyun reached for the sphere with almost no hesitation. The moment Jaehyun touched the sphere, the Acer system was repaired. It turned out to be a mythic-grade item, Odin's Lost Eye. It could not only analyze and destroy the computational structure of magic, but also easily copy the skills of others. Until now, the highest grade item had only been S-grade. By auctioning off the mythic-grade Odin's Lost Eye was enough to ensure Jaehyun a life of comfort. He considered trying it just once before he sold it. However, the system notified him that it was soul-bounding. He would not be able to unequip the item afterwards. Having obtained the treasure, Jaehyun prepared to return. When he got back, he found everyone waiting for him. This time, Jaehyun completely suppressed his inner satisfaction. If anyone found out he had obtained something valuable in the dungeon, only death would await him. Fortunately, he managed to bluff his way through. All he had to do now was ensure no one suspected him for leaving the group. But just before the final battle, cracks started to appear in the ceiling, and boulders began crashing down into the cave, followed by a large cloud of strange, poisonous mist. Many fragile mages collapsed instantly. Jaehyun was about to warn everyone to retreat from the mist when the night was suddenly pierced by a sword. Jaehyun realized an enemy was hidden in the mist. Without a moment's hesitation, he fled. Having just obtained a mythic grade item, he didn't want to lose his life here. Just then, a figure behind him slowly approached. The next second, a chain of lightning grazed past him, and the resulting explosion completely blocked his path. Jaehyun couldn't help but wonder who this person was. I knew it, Jaehyun. I knew you'd survive. Jaehyun never expected the one who ambushed them to be human. Jaehyun's recruiter for this campaign. I told you I'll be seeing you today, didn't I? Was this all you're doing? Did you spread the poison mist and attack the Meteor Guild? That's right, I did all of it, but it was all on my client's orders. Many people dislike the Meteor Guild. They look down on other guilds so much. How could they not attract hatred? Yuman was a dungeon hitman. They are the ones that kill parties inside dungeons. Because of its isolated environment, Jaehyun considered fighting Yuman, but he knew he was completely outclassed. Yuman was an A-rank mage, a prodigy considered to be the top 2% of the country. Yuman, I'll pretend I didn't see anything today. There is one problem, Jaehyun. Another chain of lightning shot toward him again. It was a killing shot that Jaehyun barely dodged. The Meteor Guild isn't the only target this time. 3 more chains of lightning shot towards Jaehyun. Fortunately, Jaehyun relied on his brawler class agility to dodge again. He couldn't help but wonder who would send an A-grade mage to kill him. Suddenly, a familiar figure flashed through his mind, reminding him that he should never have been born. Was it my father who sent you? Hearing this, Yuman was visibly stunned, momentarily forgetting to attack Jaehyun, who stood still. Yuman trembled where he stood, then couldn't help but burst into laughter. You're as quick as ever, Jaehyun. That's what I like about you. Jaehyun remained silent. He couldn't help but think of his mother in the photograph. I have one last question for you. 5 years ago, in winter, did he commission you for the same thing? I can't believe you even figured that out. You're really something. I just don't get it. As a father, he first kills his wife, and now he wants to kill his own son. Don't you think that's going too far? Well, since it's come to this, farewell, Jaehyun. On the brink of death, Jaehyun whispered silently. Suddenly, Odin's Lost Eye was summoned from the system. A powerful, brilliant light appeared before Yuman, who noticed Jaehyun's mana rapidly surging. Yuman decided to stop playing around. This time, the chain of lightning flew towards Jaehyun at an incredible speed. Just as the chain of lightning was about to hit Jaehyun, it suddenly dissipated into dust. Yuman stared, wide-eyed and stunned. In that instant, Jaehyun had equipped Odin's Lost Eye. It was soul-bound, so he couldn't auction it off anymore. The system reminded him that there was a blank card available for use. Yuman, I will make your death as painful as possible. Decisively, Jaehyun used the blank card to copy the chain lightning skill, as 6 chains of lightning appeared behind him. This was a skill that Yuman had spent a great deal of time learning, yet now it was effortlessly mastered by a D-grade brawler. The tide of the battle changed. Chain lightning was now being directed towards the fleeing Yuman. He tried to retaliate, using his own chain lightning against Jaehyun, but every chain lightning Yuman used was destroyed by Jaehyun's absolute calculation. At this point, Yuman could no longer dodge. He could only use a magic shield to block Jaehyun's assault. Just then, Jaehyun activated absolute calculation again. Without the protection of his magic shield, Yuman could no longer withstand the attack of the chain lightning. Yuman was left severely injured on the ground as Jaehyun approached him. Spare me, Jaehyun. But without even responding, Jaehyun finished Yuman off with another chain lightning. After killing Yuman, Jaehyun also collapsed, his stamina and mana completely depleted. The mythic grade item he had just obtained was now going to perish with him. But at that moment, a new operating system finished downloading. It gave Jaehyun a chance to travel back to the past. Jaehyun had no choice but to activate the system. Initiating new operating system. Nornir. In a daze, he seemed to see angels. They gathered around, speaking some kind of ancient language, and then slowly reached out to him. Jaehyun didn't hesitate to take their hands. Many notifications flooded into Jaehyun. You have become an archenemy of the great Aesir. You have obtained the passive skills, Scrutiny of the Gods, and Eye of the Absolute God. The opposing gods of Aesir are watching you. When Jaehyun opened his eyes, he was back in a familiar place. He shot up and began to observe his surroundings, until he saw the photo of himself and his mother on his desk. Jaehyun didn't know if this was a dream, but the system told him, successfully transported the user back in time to the desired period. Memories of the tragedies he experienced in his previous timeline flooded in. His dead mother, his dead allies, and the menacing dark figure in his memories. But even if everything before him was a dying dream, he was willing to stay in it forever, because his long-dead mother was here, and Jaehyun quickly rushed to give her a hug. Later on, he received a new notification. His body's functions had only recovered to 20%. The first mission the Nornir system gave him was to recover back to 80% health, with the reward being a blank card. The first thing Jaehyun needed to do was confirm the current date. The moment he picked up the calendar, Jaehyun smiled. He had returned to the day before he had to declare his major. This time, he wouldn't make the same mistake. At dinner, Jaehyun couldn't hold back his tears. He was overjoyed to be eating his mother's cooking once again. His mother, however, was worried that something was troubling him. The usually quiet boy had cried so sorrowfully when she was about to leave in the morning, so she was curious if something was on his mind. "It's nothing. I just had a nightmare while sleeping." A nightmare Jaehyun never wanted to see again. "Mom, there's something I've been meaning to tell you. I want to change my major to the mage class." Jaehyun had always been adamant about choosing the brawler class, but his mother knew he wouldn't joke about something like this. "Do what you think is best. More than making money, Mom wants you to do what you love. Whether you're a mage or something else, Mom will always support you." Jaehyun knew this was no time for tears. He had to get revenge on his A-grade awakened father, Song-oh Min. He needed to become stronger than he is now. Jaehyun received the notification for completing the mission. He was able to do this faster by exercising. Now, he received the blank card as a reward. His advantage now was his knowledge of hidden stages and exclusive ruins. However, aside from absolute calculation and chain lightning, Jaehyun's current skills were all for the brawler class. He decided to check his system panel. His level had returned to 7, and his stats were reset, but he was curious why his passive skills hadn't been reset. It turned out that because of the scrutiny of the gods effect, Jaehyun's passive skills from before his regression had been preserved, and he would get bonus stats every time he leveled up. But there was another skill whose effect Jaehyun couldn't understand. "I have the absolute god. It could see through false illusions and see the truth behind the veil." Jaehyun decided to distribute his points first. The importance of magic to a mage was undeniable. Agility shouldn't be neglected for the ability to dodge. However, endurance is the king of stats, because it helps with fatigue, which will be essential in the long run. Next, Jaehyun had to consider which skill to learn. Even with powerful attack skills now, his low mana would prevent him from using them effectively. Moreover, the status of mage class awakened was currently very low, so the best choice was to learn a healing skill. If he learned a healing skill, he wouldn't be looked down upon since healers are often revered these days. But the biggest problem now was finding a healing type awakened. Just then, Jaehyun's phone rang. He wondered who would be calling him at this hour. The moment he picked up the phone, Jaehyun froze. The caller was his childhood friend, Yoo-jong Kim. They had grown up together, attended Miles Academy together, and both dreamed of becoming raiders. But later, Yoo-jong Kim died in Jaehyun's arms. Fortunately, this time, Jaehyun had a chance to change everything. Yoo-jong Kim was calling to ask Jaehyun to go with her to see the Saintess. The Saintess, Song-eun-yu, was the strongest healing type awakened of the time. Her most representative magic was sacrifice. With such a figure present, Jaehyun wouldn't need to look for other healers. After telling his mom, Jaehyun left immediately. Meanwhile, Song-eun-yu was in a Rolls-Royce on her way to the event venue. Seong-ji, her manager, had been trying to persuade her to reduce these unnecessary trips because sacrifice consumed not her mana, but it was draining her life force. Unless another person who could use a healing spell on the same level as the sacrifice spell could be found, the Holy Lady of Korea, she might soon collapse. Before long, Jaehyun and Yoo-jong Kim were sitting in the venue, waiting for Song-eun-yu's arrival. Saint Song-eun-yu, the guild master of Lotus Guild. Due to her top level as a healer, she is globally popular. She became the hope for the raiders, becoming the symbol of protection. "Hello everyone, I am Song-eun-yu." However, 2 months from today, she falls into critical condition during a dungeon campaign. Her own healing magic, sacrifice, was her own downfall. Everyone, the world is facing an unprecedented disaster. Yggdrasil and the appearance of monsters have taken many lives. Currently, less than 20% of Awakened are willing to become raiders, but the death toll is several times that number. The world is still at a crossroads between life and death, and countless innocent people are facing death. What we need now is courage. To all the Awakened of the world, your courage is enough to change the world. Please bravely sign up to become raiders and bring light back to the world. For a better tomorrow, the Lotus Guild and I will fully support you. After the speech, Jaehyun found an excuse to part ways with Yoo-jong Kim. He wanted to take the opportunity to connect with Song-eun-yu. After some searching, Jaehyun saw her car. "I'm here to see Guildmaster Song-eun-yu." Seong-ji thought Jaehyun was just an obsessed fan of raiders and tried to dismiss him with a few words. "I'm not her obsessed fan. I know that Guildmaster Song-eun-yu is suffering from an incurable disease, and only I can cure her." As soon as he said this, Seong-ji lifted Jaehyun by the collar. "Tell me, where did you learn about these things?" Just then, Song-eun-yu's car window opened. "Can you take responsibility for what you just said?" Jaehyun responded highly confidently. "I can cure your illness, Guildmaster Yu." Seeing his confident look, Song-eun-yu decided to trust him for now. "Get in the car first. Let's go somewhere more private." Soon, Jaehyun was taken to the Lotus Guild's meeting room. "How did you know I have an incurable disease?" "I can't tell you that. If you must know, I can tell you, but if I do, I won't be treating you." "A clever child, indeed." "Next question. How do you plan to treat me?" "I plan to copy your sacrifice skill." Hearing Jaehyun's words, Song-eun-yu was stunned. "Guildmaster, don't listen to his nonsense. Do you even know what sacrifice is? Kid, how dare you make such empty boasts?" Sacrifice was Song-eun-yu's inborn skill. It couldn't be copied, only passed down through bloodline. Inborn skills are a class above S-class skills. These are skills that can only be attained through hereditary transmission. As such, they are impossible to copy, whereas standard skills can be calculated and learned. As such, inborn skills are only specific to certain individuals or monopolized by a family clan. If I didn't have the ability, I wouldn't have come to you. You mean to use my sacrifice sacrifice skill to heal me? Jaehyun understood the nature of her skill. It was a self-sacrifice, a sacrifice to the gods. Nothing else can heal the damage it does to the user unless it is on the same or higher level, meaning her restriction. It prohibits her from healing herself with the very same magic. Since you said so much, then prove it to me. As she spoke, Song-Eun directly used sacrifice. Jaehyun, without hesitation, immediately used a blank card to copy the skill, and the sacrifice skill was successfully registered on the blank card. You probably still don't believe me, so I'll have to earn your trust first. Saying this, Jaehyun demonstrated the sacrifice he had just copied. For a moment, both Song-Eun and Seongji were stunned, and Jaehyun dispersed the spell. Shall we commence the negotiations? The skill sacrifice could regenerate HP and remove debuffs for all allies, while using it on undead monsters would turn it into an offensive skill. Lastly, there were no penalties applied due to the skill being copied by the blank card. What exactly do you want from our guild? Just by being able to treat Song-Eun, Jaehyun was already on equal footing with her. I would like you to be my sponsor. Since you have the courage to make such a request, it means you have investment value, and you are indeed very capable. But I also have one condition. My illness is my personal matter. It has nothing to do with the Lotus Guild. However, you're asking not just for my support, but for the support of the entire Lotus Guild. We won't help you for no reason unless you join the Lotus Guild. Jaehyun had expected Song-Eun to propose some restrictive conditions, but he never thought she would invite him to join the guild. Don't worry, I'm not one to joke about such things. I'm inviting you to join our guild for several reasons. First, you know that I, the guild master of the Lotus Guild, suffer from a serious illness. That is a closely guarded secret. For you to uncover that information means your intel gathering is outstanding. But of course, the true reason is Jaehyun's regression. Second, you can perfectly copy my sacrifice skill. To date, no one has been able to copy an inborn skill. Your future holds infinite possibilities. Third, you're not nervous at all in front of me. A child who can stand before the president of the Lotus Guild without any nervousness is truly intriguing. Are these reasons for recruiting you sufficient? In his past life, the Lotus Guild was the strongest in the country, but it quickly fell apart after Song-Eun fell critically ill. But with Jaehyun's help, he believed none of that would happen. He couldn't deny that joining the guild would also aid in his development. However, signing a guild contract with a student who is still in school is illegal. Have you heard of the right of priority negotiation? This is when a guild chooses a raider cadet and sponsors their development, and when they come of age, the guild is given priority in contract signings. This deal was usually only reserved for prodigies of the time. Just give me your address, and I'll send the contract to your home immediately. Think it over before you decide. Then I'll treat you first. Saying this, Jaehyun stood behind Song-Eun. At this moment, Seongji was extremely nervous. He had searched for countless healers for Song-Eun's illness, and even those who had dedicated their lives to medicine were helpless. Now, he could only place his last hope on Jaehyun. Golden light surrounded Song-Eun, and the healing process began. To his surprise, Song-Eun's condition improved at a visible rate. I'm truly sorry for what happened earlier. I entrust the guild master to you. It's fine. If I were you, I wouldn't have believed a child either. I will formally apologize again for my previous rude behavior. You should be okay now. Try moving around. Under their gazes, Song-Eun slowly walked to the window. The illness that has plagued me for years is really gone. Thank you. But after curing me, you should be affected by the side effects, right? However, that was not the case. I'll be fine. You can just treat me then. Guildmaster, of course, I can treat you anytime. Here's my card. I will try my best to meet all your conditions. I also hope you'll reconsider the offer I made earlier. Actually, there is something I'd like to ask of you right now, Guildmaster. The next morning, Seongji drove to pick up Jaehyun. It turned out Jaehyun wanted to use the Lotus Guild's low-level dungeons to level up. Miles Academy was a place full of geniuses, and leveling up was essential to survive there. For this raid, the Lotus Guild had prepared a lot of supplies for Jaehyun, but due to the tight schedule, they could only give him some of the guild's spare equipment for now. Although it was just an E-grade dungeon, it was still dangerous for Jaehyun to go in alone. Don't worry, I just want to level up. Reluctantly, Seongji had to open his item inventory. Take this. It can ensure your safety. It's a warp stone. If you crush it, you'll immediately return to the guild entrance. If you encounter any danger, use it immediately. Please accept it as an apology for my rudeness yesterday and as a token of my gratitude for curing the guildmaster. With Seongji having said so much, Jaehyun couldn't refuse. From the mana he felt, this was indeed an E-grade dungeon, a level that was no problem for Jaehyun. Please remember, the moment you encounter danger, you must use the warp stone. But the moment Jaehyun stepped into the dungeon, he felt a change in the surrounding mana. Due to the influence of the Nornir system, Jaehyun was teleported to the Plaza of the Dead in Helheim. Meanwhile, back in the Lotus Guild office, Song-Eun was worried for Jaehyun. She thought that Jaehyun was being too reckless for trying to clear it alone. However, there was no doubt he knew his limits, and yet he insisted. Song-Eun couldn't help but smile, wondering what exactly is Jaehyun going to do. Just then, her secretary, Hannah, arrived. Here is all of Jaehyun's personal information. After getting the files, Song-Eun began to flip through them slowly. However, she was shocked by the information before her. Jaehyun, who could use such powerful magic, had actually declared the brawler class as his major. Song-Eun was completely stunned. She even began to doubt the authenticity authenticity of the file because Jaehyun's mage class aptitude score was an astonishing 97%. Seonji, as soon as Jaehyun comes out, tell him he must come to see me. I want to personally confirm that child's true talent. Meanwhile, Jaehyun had been teleported to the Plaza of the Dead by the Nornir system. The scene before him told him this was definitely not an E-grade dungeon. As Jaehyun was checking his surroundings, a black-robed figure hidden in the mist slowly raised a bow. The next second, a black arrow flew straight towards Jaehyun. Hearing the sound, Jaehyun tilted his head in time to dodge the attack. He immediately looked in the direction the arrow came from, only to see the black-robed figure slowly draw another arrow from its quiver and raise its bow again, aiming at him. Before the arrow was shot, Jaehyun immediately used sacrifice to heal his wounds. But at that moment, a hand stretched out from the ground, revealing a draugr crawling out. Meanwhile, wraiths had appeared behind Jaehyun. In an instant, 3 different types of monsters appeared before him. Just then, the black-robed figure's arrow flew straight at him. This time, Jaehyun easily caught the arrow in his hand. You guys are really pissing me off. Jaehyun analyzed the situation. There were 4 wraiths, a skeleton archer, and a draugr. The enemies almost resembled a dungeon party, which is going to be tough to handle when alone. Fortunately, Jaehyun had brought the staff from Lotus Guild. It started to sparkle, and Jaehyun unleashed magic through the staff. This world was Helheim, ruled by Hel, the daughter of Loki, also known as the Realm of the Dead. The dungeons are based on the 7 realms, with the exception of Midgard and Asgard, Niflheim, the realm of fog and mist, Muspelheim, the land of fire, Jotunheim, home of the giants, Alfheim, home of the elves, Svartalfheim, home of the dark elves, Vanaheim, home of the Vanir. Lastly was Helheim, found in the deepest and coldest depths of Niflheim. Helheim was particularly tricky for newbies, since the foes will keep returning from the dead. It would be impossible without holy magic. Defeating these monsters would not be easy. Despite sacrifice being highly effective against undead creatures, he had no intention to use it. As the draugr charged at Jaehyun, he was able to counter and knock the enemy away. At the same time, he attacked with a chain lightning towards a wraith, defeating it instantly. However, the remaining wraiths charged at him, unleashing a relentless assault. However, Jaehyun acknowledged that he is a newbie when fighting as a mage, so these enemies were perfect practice subjects. It seemed that due to his level, Jaehyun found these monsters not too difficult to deal with. Even with his current strength, he could handle them with ease. He slammed his staff on the skeleton archer's head, but this attack completely broke Jaehyun's staff. In hindsight, Jaehyun realized that he was not fighting like a mage, but instead he was like a brawler with his magic staff. At this time, the wraith and the draugr charged at him together. Reluctantly, Jaehyun had to use Sacrifice's alternate skill, Light's Judgment, to attack them. Almost instantly, the 2 monsters were annihilated in the holy light, and Jaehyun collapsed to the ground from mana exhaustion. However, he managed to level up from the experience points, which restored his conditions back to full. If it weren't for the level up, it could have been very dangerous for me. Jaehyun reflected on himself, understanding that obtaining S-rank abilities and getting lucky isn't enough. He knew his strength was not enough to clear this dungeon, and he blamed the Nornir system for transferring him here. But just as he was about to teleport away, he suddenly felt a chilling sensation. Jaehyun could feel something approaching him, and its terrifying aura made it hard for him to breathe. He quickly stabbed his thigh with his staff, trying to regain some clarity. Just then, he saw a shadow suddenly appear on the ground. The monster loomed right behind him, and its presence alone made him unable to breathe from fear. The dungeon boss has appeared, the Nightshade. Even the Nornir system warned Jaehyun to exit the dungeon immediately. He accessed his inventory and grabbed hold of the warp stone inside. However, Jaehyun was instantly blasted away by the Nightshade, the warp stone falling to the ground. While Jaehyun was in critical condition, he didn't even have a chance to use the warp stone. The Nightshade charged at him once again, and Jaehyun could only close his eyes and accept his fate. But when he opened his eyes again, he found that time had stopped. You can't do that. I personally brought that kid here. He's an honored guest, the prophesied child of defiance. Jaehyun wondered who this woman in front of him was. So you're the defiant one who will slay him. Your physique is mediocre, but your mana is decent. Still, he's far from being able to oppose the Aesir. I really don't understand why Loki would choose a brat like you as the defiant. Due to excessive blood loss, Jaehyun's consciousness was gradually fading, but he hadn't completed his revenge against his father yet, so he couldn't fall here. I'm quite satisfied with the look in your eyes, but you're still too weak. Time is running out. You need to get stronger faster. If you can't become stronger, I'll destroy you before hell descends again. You are a very important existence to us, so I can give you another chance. Hurry up and get stronger. Become much stronger than you are now, and then come back to defeat the Nightshade before you. If you succeed, I'll give you a wonderful gift. Just then, Jaehyun's first main quest was issued. Hell's Trial has been added, but I'll only give you 2 months. If you can't do it, then death awaits you. And so, Jaehyun was forced to accept Hell's mission. If I don't see your growth during this period, I will personally send you to the underworld. Good luck, child chosen by the Nornir. While being transported, Jaehyun remembered his vision of the divine figure. Her hand stretched out, but Jaehyun only heard the word always. When Jaehyun opened his eyes again, he was back at the dungeon entrance, and his injuries had miraculously healed. But the mission in the Nornir system told him that everything that had just happened was real. The woman he had just met was Hel, the goddess of death who ruled over one of the 9 worlds. So I just met a god? However, Jaehyun was completely clueless about what Hel had said. The many mentions of being the defiant one. The only thing he could be sure of was that he had to get stronger quickly. If what Hel said was true, the moment he stopped, Hel would kill him on the spot. But defeating the Nightshade in 2 months was easier said than done. Jaehyun wasn't even familiar with the fighting style of a mage. To build a good foundation, the best choice was to get help from Song Eun-yu. But at that moment, Seongji called him first to schedule a meeting with Song Eun-yu for the next day. Seeing this, he also took this chance to ask another request from the guildmaster. The next morning, Seongji brought Jaehyun to the Lotus Guild. Jaehyun guessed they had probably seen his awakening evaluation form. Despite having extremely high mage class talent, he chose the brawler class as his major, all because the television stations were heavily promoting the brawler class, while the mage class was denigrated to worthlessness. Soon, the two arrived at the Lotus Guild's training ground. The moment he saw Song Eun-yu, Jaehyun froze. So you're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. How are the contract terms? I think the conditions I offered are quite good. The conditions Song Eun-yu gave Jaehyun were all in his favor, with benefits that were almost only available to A-grade or higher raiders. I just told manager Seongji, I have one more request before signing with you. It's fine. Feel free to make any other requests you have. Before I make this request, I believe you have already seen my personal information. I switched from the brawler class to the mage class less than a month ago, so I'm not yet proficient in using magic. Guildmaster Song Eun-yu, I hope you can personally teach me magic. Song Eun-yu was one of the few S-grade raiders in the world. Seongji never thought Jaehyun would dare to make such a request. If you can accept my condition, then I will accept the Lotus Guild's right of priority negotiation. What an interesting request. I can agree to your request, as I am very interested in you. But before that, I want to confirm your talent. You don't mind, do you? This was actually what Jaehyun had expected. After all, with such good conditions offered, the Lotus Guild would definitely test his strength first. But Seongji, standing beside them, could see Song Eun-yu's reckless intentions from her expression. Song Eun-yu silently snapped her fingers, and a massive amount of mana surged from behind her. As you can see, this is the mana cube. I need you to conquer this cube. What do you think? Isn't it just right for showcasing your strength? If you're a talent worthy of the Lotus Guild's priority negotiation right, you should at least be able to do this much, right? The mana cube was generally used by B-grade or higher mage class raiders to understand their mana sensitivity, and less than 7% of them could conquer it. Are you trying to take me down a peg? Why would I do that? Even if you fail, I will still sign the contract with you, and the terms in the contract will not change. I give you my word as the guild master of the Lotus Guild. Seongji, please help prepare it. Guildmaster, the mana cube is a device that even active duty mage class raiders find difficult to conquer, let alone the still maturing Jaehyun. Do you think the child in front of us is an ordinary person? Don't worry, he's worth a try. And so, Seongji activated the mana cube for Jaehyun. Although Jaehyun had heard of the mana cube in his past life, seeing it in person still shocked him. Start when you're ready. I look forward to your good results. Under their gazes, Jaehyun slowly walked into the mana cube. Actually, I'm still a little worried. I completely understand your curiosity about him, Guildmaster, but he is just a child. After all, trust me, that child can definitely do it. Why are you so certain? It might just be a woman's intuition. Let's see how long it takes for you to escape from the mana cube. The mana cube was actually a vast sea of mana inside. While mana is an essential element for using skills, high concentrations can lead to mana poisoning, which sometimes lead to death. There was only one way out, to find a single portal connected to the outside world among the countless vortexes. Jaehyun calmed himself and began to feel the mana fluctuations around him. He felt that something was different in the vortex in front of him. Approaching the vortex, he found it was a crystal, and it seemed to hold all the mana in the sea. From the looks of it, you seem certain that Jaehyun will be able to get out of the cube. How long do you think he'll take? It took me 40 minutes, which is already the fastest in the country. So now there are only two possibilities. The first is that he won't be able to escape from the mana cube, and the other is that he will set a new record. And I don't think Jaehyun will crawl out of there that quickly. But the next second, Song Eun-yu's eyes widened. Seongji, look over there. Hearing this, Seongji quickly looked at the mana cube. The mana cube was already showing signs of collapsing. For a moment, the two of them looked at each other, because it had only been 10 minutes since Jaehyun went in. They wondered what on earth Jaehyun had done inside. It turned out that after Jaehyun discovered the crystal, he decided it must be the key to clearing the mana cube, so he immediately crushed the crystal in his hand. As the crystal in his hand shattered, the sea of mana also broke apart. Jaehyun also obtained a new passive skill, Crystal of Mana Management. The mana cube exploded with a cloud of smoke, and this scene brought a great shock to the two outside. The escape rate of the mana cube was only 7%, and it took an average of 3 hours or more for them to get out. Even the S grades take at least 30 minutes. The world record was held by Camilla from the European Union with a 36-minute record. But now, this time was broken by Jaehyun, and it was 26 minutes faster than the world record. Incredible. You only took 10 minutes. Jaehyun, I want to ask you a question. How did you escape from the mana cube so quickly? I found a crystal in the cube, and I came out after I shattered it. What? You shattered it? You shattered that crystal? That crystal was the container that held all the mana in the cube. An ordinary awakened couldn't possibly find it, let alone shatter it. This meant that the mana inside Jaehyun was even more powerful than the mana crystal. Jaehyun, congratulations on passing the test. From today on, I will bet the reputation of the Lotus Guild and myself, Song-Eun, to train you into the most powerful mage. I hope you are ready. The scene changes, and Yoo Jong-kim is waiting with Jaehyun's mother for him to come home. At this moment, a Rolls-Royce slowly appears before them. The next second, Jaehyun gets out of the car. For a moment, the two of them couldn't believe their eyes. They even suspected that Jaehyun had been taken in by a rich woman. Later, inside Jaehyun's home. So you've decided to switch majors and become a mage? I'm tired of brawler-related things. Besides, the documents have already been signed. But just a few days ago, you were saying mages had no vision for the future. A person can change their mind, you know? Are you really okay? You chose to become a brawler so you could support your mother. Since being a mage isn't financially suitable, the scene flashes back to a younger Jaehyun, saying that mages did work slower and were more prone to injuries than brawlers, which made them less desirable to employers. That's enough. Don't mention it again. By the way, why are you at my house? Are your parents on a business trip again? That's why I came to play with you. Auntie said I could stay here for a night before leaving. Yoo Jong-kim was a bona fide rich second-generation kid. Her parents sold monster products to various countries, so they were often on business trips abroad. Because of this, Yoo Jong-kim was often home alone. Since Jaehyun's mother was good friends with her parents, Yoo Jong-kim often stayed at Jaehyun's house. How about you take this opportunity to teach me some magic theory? You want me to teach you for free? What do you want? Tell me first, and I'll decide if I can agree. Come to think of it, I haven't really thought about it. How about you grant me one wish? You have to grant whatever wish I make. I understand, but the deadline for this promise is 1 year. If you don't make a wish within a year, it's void. Hey, that's not fair. But fine, I'll agree with that condition. It turned out Yoo Jong-kim's memory wasn't that great. If it was a year, Jaehyun believed she would definitely forget. Seeing Jaehyun's mischievous smile, Yoo Jong-kim grabbed a nearby pillow and threw it at him. In the past, Jaehyun would have counterattacked without hesitation, but after experiencing so much, his current life felt incredibly warm and comforting. Meanwhile, a powerful raider was clearing a dungeon, with monster corpses already piled up in front of him, and this man was Jaehyun's father, Song-Eun. Thanks to you, Raider Men, we were able to easily defeat this A-grade monster. I appreciate your words. If you could join our guild, we would definitely become much stronger. Would you consider joining us? If it's you, our Scarlet Guild will definitely give you the best treatment. But the next second, the man felt a terrifying aura coming from Song-Eun. He slowly turned around. His eyes were nothing but empty sockets, and the man was tightly bound by invisible chains. Filthy, shameless, and filled with despicable greed. Such graceless emotion. I have to say, this is human nature. Mayhaps, it's not strictly just humans. After Song-Eun disappeared, the man lost all memory of what had just happened. On the first day of Jaehyun's training, Song-Eun wanted to test Jaehyun's sensitivity, and the test method was a practical battle with her. A practical battle right from the start. Isn't that a bit too difficult? That's not something you should be saying, is it? You're the one who escaped the cube in 10 minutes. Come on now, attack me. Jaehyun said nothing and directly assumed a fighting stance. Song-Eun could tell at a glance that it was the standard stance of the brawler class. Jaehyun threw a powerful punch, but to his surprise, Song-Eun caught it with ease. Jaehyun hadn't expected his attack to be ineffective. After all, Song-Eun was a mage class raider. Seeing that one strike failed, Jaehyun quickly pulled back. You don't seem to have understood some things yet. You're no longer the brawler class warrior you once were. It's not wise for a mage to charge into a fight so heedlessly. What do you think is the biggest difference between the brawler class and the mage class? The brawler class is for close range attacks, while the mage class is for long range attacks. That's right. Generally, mage class raiders will weaken the enemy from a distance before engaging in battle, but you always try to get close to the enemy. In that case, a mage with weak defense will quickly fall. What you need now is combat experience as a mage. From now on, I will also attack you, but don't worry, I won't seriously injure you, so fear not. I'm a healer after all. I know what I just saw wasn't your true strength. Now, let me see what you're really made of. As she spoke, Song-Eun's attack shot straight towards Jaehyun. Fortunately, Jaehyun dodged this attack by instinct. Alright, now it's your turn to attack. Suddenly, an electric light appeared around Jaehyun. In an instant, 3 chains of lightning flew towards Song-Eun. In contrast, Song-Eun stood still, unmoving. At this distance, Song-Eun would definitely not be able to dodge this attack, so it's A-grade chain lightning. You really are full of surprises. But Song-Eun retaliated with a holy arrow, reaching Jaehyun in a blink of an eye. He couldn't react at all, and an explosion of mana engulfed him. Even the most powerful skill is meaningless if it can't hit. But you really are beyond my expectations. Although I deliberately reduced the power of the skill, I didn't expect you to still be standing. Can you handle these as well? Jaehyun was injured and out of breath, but suddenly his eyes started to glow with power. As Song-Eun unleashed her spell, Jaehyun activated absolute calculation. The numerous holy arrows were dispelled on the spot. The only explanation Song-Eun could come up with was that Jaehyun had calculated and destroyed her magic in such a short time. You really do keep surprising me. How many more surprises are waiting for me? I can't say for sure. As he spoke, a chain of lightning suddenly shot out from the ground. Despite catching her off guard, Song Eun-yu manifested a protective shield in time to block it. Even so, Song Eun-yu's hand was still trembling from the shock. But before she could counterattack, several more chains of lightning appeared behind Jaehyun. Song Eun-yu then realized that Jaehyun seemed to be able to cast skills without chanting. This was not something a novice mage could do, but the mana in Jaehyun's body was almost depleted. You're really talented, but unfortunately, you're still too green. Jaehyun didn't even know what had happened before he was lying on the ground. You didn't really think you could beat me, did you? Despite her words, Song Eun-yu was the first to pull Jaehyun up from the ground. After this battle, Jaehyun also realized the gap between himself and an S grade, but Song Eun-yu saw infinite possibilities in him. Your fighting style just now gave me an idea, one that everyone has considered but no one has been able to achieve, a fighting style that only you can use. From now on, call me teacher. Congratulations, you are my first disciple. After returning home, Jaehyun still couldn't forget today's battle. Hey Jaehyun, are you even listening to me? If you keep this up, I'm not going to tutor you anymore. Since you've come to your senses, let's get down to business. There are many types of magic, but the most important are three: combat spells, buff spells, and healing spells. As Jaehyun's understanding of magic deepened, the Nornir system kept popping up with notifications, as if the system was urging him to grow faster. You're really something. It takes others a month to learn a spell, but you learn it in 2 days. What's the big deal? Didn't you learn it in 3 days? Your growth rate is making me so anxious. You're going to catch up to me even though I studied magic first. Little did she know, Jaehyun was actually more anxious than Yu Jong Kim, because he had gambled his life with the goddess of death. When you were going for the brawler class, do you know how surprised I was? Even if the mage class isn't that profitable, you can't just ignore such a high aptitude score, right? Suddenly, countless chains seemed to appear before Jaehyun's eyes, and then a man slowly appeared behind him. The man walked step by step to Jaehyun and then whispered something in his ear, and Jaehyun was left to wonder if he had chosen this path on his own. By the way, you should be practicing your practical skills too, right? Another teacher is overseeing my practical training. Jaehyun wasn't sure if it was a hallucination. He thought he had heard some strange voices, but Jaehyun had no time to deal with these things now, because he only had 2 months, unless he could find some miracle cure to break this deadlock. Meanwhile, in the Lotus Guild, Seonji is patrolling the training ground. His job is to spot problems with the newcomers and help them correct them in time. Seeing Song Eun-yu arrive, Seonji went over to report on the day's training, but Song Eun-yu seemed distracted the whole time. You must be thinking about Jaehyun, right? I guess I can't hide anything from you. If I remember correctly, the thing you want to give Jaehyun is something many raiders have attempted but no one has ever succeeded in. You should have seen Jaehyun's talent, right? If a new S-grade mage class raider appears in the future, I believe that person will be Jaehyun. He will bring a revolutionary change to the mage class. Meanwhile, Jaehyun was attempting to make magic boost elixirs, an elixir that permanently boosts the mana of an individual, an item that mage class raiders were eager to attain. However, Jaehyun was disappointed with his mixture, giving up in a fit of anger. I already messed up 3 batches trying to make the magic boost elixir. I don't have the luxury to waste all this money on ingredients. It would take 5 more years until the elixir is released to the public. Although Jaehyun already knew the formula, what he made following the steps was basically poison. The world-renowned alchemist had revealed the recipe publicly in the hopes that it would be a great aid to everyone. Jaehyun had to go see this world-renowned alchemist, Jae-sang Lee. With his talent, he might be able to create the potion ahead of time. According to the current timeline, Jae-sang Lee should still be a first-year student at Miles Academy, so Jaehyun prepared to head to Miles Academy overnight. After Yggdrasil sprung up and monsters invaded the world, sharp-witted people quickly secured top positions in the world. Among those was Jason Swiftblade Lee. When the First Awakened disappeared, it was Jason who filled that empty role. The person I'm trying to find is Jason Lee's youngest son, Jae-sang Lee. Excuse me, where are you going? A ticket to D-City, please. Due to the rampant monsters, D-City is currently sealed off. The city is overrun with monsters, and entering it means risking your life. The only reason someone would want to go to D-City at this time was if they were a student at Miles Academy. Before long, Jaehyun had arrived at Miles Academy. Walking through his old campus after so many years, Jaehyun felt no sense of nostalgia, because this place had brought him endless pain as a teenager. But now, the main task was to find Jae-sang Lee first. With his visitor pass, Jaehyun was free to roam the halls. As he wondered where Jae-sang Lee could be, Jae-sang Lee was assigned to the brawler class, but his skills were not outstanding, so the battle-averse Jae-sang Lee would probably not be at the training ground. Just as Jaehyun was about to try his luck in the classrooms, he suddenly heard a commotion nearby. From the onlookers, he learned that a stutterer was being bullied. Recalling his past self, Jaehyun decided to get involved. With a slight push, he squeezed through the crowd of onlookers. Without any hesitation, Jaehyun opened the door in front of him, and at that moment, someone bumped into him. Seeing that he had bumped into someone, the stutterer quickly apologized to Jaehyun. "Who are you? What do you want with our little stutterer?" And the stutterer in the man's hand was none other than Jae-sang Lee. "Brother, are you okay? Who are you? I didn't know the little stutterer had a younger brother. You two don't look alike at all. I've never heard him mention his family. I thought his family was slaughtered by monsters." As he spoke, Jaehyun slapped the yellow-haired man's hand away. I think you'd better go to the infirmary first. This action made Jae-sang Lee tremble even more. Didn't you see I was talking to the little stutterer? This is the second time you've bumped into me, right? Why do I keep getting grabbed by the collar lately? Jae-hyun began to recall the magic theory Yu Jong Kim had taught him, the foundation of all magic, and, following the way Song-eun cast her skills in his mind, in an instant, a holy arrow shot straight at the yellow-haired man, and he was stunned by the crunching pain. The yellow-haired man, in pain, immediately swung his sword at Jae-hyun, but the next second, the sword was sent flying with the use of mana force field. Before the yellow-haired man could react, Jae-hyun grabbed his face. Shouldn't this be over now? Then, the yellow-haired man was knocked out by another holy arrow. Just who is this guy? Jae-hyun, upon seeing the damage he did, pulled out a potion to heal him. The moment he saw the potion, Jae-sang Lee panicked. As the potion was poured on the yellow-haired man's face, his injuries healed at a visible rate. I don't know who brewed this potion, but the effects are as advertised. We should go to the infirmary now. Despite his words, the direction Jae-hyun was walking in was not towards the infirmary. There should be no one around here. No one will hear what we say. Jae-sang Lee subconsciously thought Jae-hyun was someone sent by his father. Although Jae-hyun said he didn't know his father, Jae-sang Lee's eyes showed that he didn't believe him. Why did you come to find me? I have something to ask of you. I want you to help me make an elixir. I would never make something like that. Aren't you quite good at alchemy? You're the one who sold this potion on the black market, right? No one was supposed to be able to trace a transaction on the black market, but it had just happened. Jae-sang Lee wondered who this person in front of him was and how he had managed to find out his personal information. The black market is a commerce system that prioritizes user anonymity. From selling items to payment and delivery, the Acer system guarantees top-notch security. You made this potion, right? I have no idea what you're talking about. Jae-sang Lee began to regret putting the potion up for sale on the black market. He had thought it was a completely safe transaction, but now it had become leverage against him. Please, don't tell anyone about this. I'm not saying this to threaten you. Jae-hyun handed the potion in his hand to Jae-sang Lee. I just need an excellent alchemist to help me make the elixir I need. Looking at Jae-hyun, Jae-sang Lee knew he wasn't lying. Who are you exactly? I'm a prospective freshman at Miles Academy. Jae-hyun Min. Then let me hear what you need. Soon, the two arrived at Jae-sang Lee's workshop. What kind of potion do you want me to make? I want a potion that can permanently increase mana. The magic boost elixir. Permanently increase? How is that even possible? But the next second, Jae-sang Lee began to analyze the required raw materials. Jae-hyun noticed that his aura had completely changed. He was no longer stuttering, and he could deduce most of the raw materials just based on the request. For such a powerful potion, you should go ask other alchemists. I only want to ask you, senior. I will provide everything you need. If you have the recipe, most alchemists can make that potion. But Jae-sang Lee, you have a talent that other alchemists can't compare to. I understand, but I can't guarantee that it will be successful in the end. But Jae-hyun told him not to worry. But if I fail, it will cause you losses, right? I'm willing to believe in your ability, senior. And investments always come with risks, don't they? This was the first time anyone had trusted Jae-sang Lee so much. While Jae-hyun knew that this was another connection secured. Since birth, he had lived in his father's shadow. Compared to his other brothers, he had never shown outstanding combat qualities. Such a Jae-sang Lee had not received his father's approval, so Jae-hyun's trust deeply moved his heart. Time quickly passed. Now there was only 10 days remaining on the quest. Jae-hyun became familiar with the fighting style of a mage, clearly being able to dodge the fast-paced holy arrows, his mana force field withstanding the blows, even countering with his own holy arrows that was able to crack Song-eun's field. So he has grown this powerful already. Just then, Jae-hyun went all out, and Song-eun matched his intensity, but Seongji was there to stop the match. Your development is astonishing. The power behind your spells have greatly improved as well. Have you been studying in your own time? Yes, a friend of mine has been teaching me. That's good to hear. That being said, don't you intend to enter the dungeon again? That's right. It would be a good place to test out the results of my training. With your current skills, it should be easy as pie. However, what they didn't know was that it wasn't an E-rank dungeon. What awaited him in the dungeon was a C-rank boss monster. With all the preparations, and after psyching himself up, Jae-hyun believed he could do this. Before setting off, he went to see Jae-sang Lee again, and Jae-sang Lee did not disappoint, having created the magic boost elixir. After Jae-hyun took the elixir, his mana increased by 15 points. I told you, senior is very talented. It's all thanks to you trusting me. Senior, you should get some rest. You look like you haven't slept in days. I will. Just contact me next time you need something. After some pleasantries, Jae-hyun left Jae-sang Lee's workshop. Tomorrow was the day he had to meet the goddess of death. I have a feeling we're about to have a distinguished guest, Garmer. The next morning, Jae-hyun once again stood before the dungeon gate. His equipment were the Reaping Valkyrie set, which gave him the bonus passive skill, Mana Steel. With this, he was in peak condition to fight. After getting ready, Seongji opened the gate, and so, Jae-hyun entered the dungeon alone again. With his previous experience, Jae-hyun was not at all flustered during this teleportation. Soon, he arrived at the Plaza of the Dead. If he could defeat the Nightshade, he would know the truth about his rebirth. At this moment, a bright light shone from a distance. A skeleton archer had already aimed at Jae-hyun, but the Jae-hyun of today was a completely different person. The enemies began to appear one one after another, and he was about to unleash the way of the battle mage, a hybrid class that embodies both mage and brawler simultaneously. He had learned the fighting styles of two professions at the same time. Generally, such a person's long-range attacks couldn't compare to a mage's, and their close-range attacks couldn't compare to a brawler's. They weren't particularly good at either, a very ambiguous profession. But Song-Woo believed that if this person was Jaehyun, it would be different, and in a quick moment, he defeated all of the monsters in the vicinity. Meanwhile, Seongji was waiting for news of Jaehyun outside the dungeon. At this moment, he suddenly felt an unfamiliar aura. Seongji immediately gripped his weapon. "So you're here. I've been looking for you for a while." The person who came was Seongji's university junior, Yeonju. The two had not been in contact since graduating from university, and now Yeonju had actively sought him out here at the dungeon. "Is this dungeon under your management, senior? That's strange. Managing dungeons shouldn't be within your scope of duties. Actually, there's something I've always been curious about. Is the rumor that Guildmaster Song-Woo is in poor health true?" "Of course not. Yeonju, where did you hear such a rumor?" "Many people are saying it. Our curator guild can find out quite a lot of information." Seongji immediately realized that the Lotus Guild had been infiltrated. "Thank you for telling me. Thanks to you, I have something to do when I get back. One more thing. Do you know this child named Jaehyun? He's been in and out of the Lotus Guild recently and often meets with Guildmaster Song-Woo. I wanted to ask if you know the reason why. This matter is not for outsiders to worry about." "Actually, I didn't expect you to tell me. I know how tight-lipped you are, senior. I only came here because I was paid by the guild and had to put on a show. I'll be leaving now. Goodbye, senior. I should report this to our guildmaster for now." Back inside the dungeon, Jaehyun easily dealt with the monsters present. After clearing out the small fry, the Nightshade finally appeared. "Long time no see. I'm different from last time." After being attacked, the Nightshade immediately counterattacked, but Jaehyun easily dodged its assault. Even in the air, Jaehyun didn't give up the opportunity to attack, constantly using Holy Arrow to chip away at the Nightshade's health. This forced the Nightshade to let Jaehyun land safely. After recovering, the Nightshade immediately launched an offensive against Jaehyun. 3 slashes flew straight at him. To its surprise, Jaehyun just sidestepped and easily dodged the Nightshade's skill. Seeing this, the Nightshade was stunned. As Jaehyun was about to reach it, the Nightshade immediately attacked him, but every one of its attacks was easily dodged by Jaehyun. With just minor movements, Jaehyun was untouchable. "Panicking already? It's not what you expected, is it?" As he spoke, several chains of lightning flew straight at the Nightshade. As an A-grade skill, its power was far greater than Holy Arrow. However, the Nightshade was able to deflect the attacks away. However, it clearly hadn't expected Jaehyun's skill to be able to change direction, and it was caught off guard and tightly bound by the chain of lightning. Jaehyun knew that this damage alone was not enough to kill it, so he immediately released Holy Arrow to supplement the damage. However, the Nightshade's health was also beyond Jaehyun's expectations. After taking so much damage, it entered a berserk state. At the same time, a status effect was applied on him. Instant death. If Jaehyun couldn't finish the Nightshade in 10 minutes, he would die. Jaehyun tried to use absolute calculation to destroy this skill, but at the critical moment, Hel intervened and stopped him. "Why are you doing this to hinder me?" Seeing that Hel didn't answer, Jaehyun could only hurry to finish off the Nightshade. But to his surprise, the Nightshade began to actively flee to stall for time. Reluctantly, Jaehyun had to use sacrifice to control it first. However, the Nightshade began to counterattack, not only interrupting Jaehyun's skill casting but also inflicting a fierce status effect on him. While Jaehyun was still disoriented, the Nightshade immediately rushed over and delivered a devastating attack. Fortunately, this blow did not cause fatal damage to Jaehyun, but if he continued to drag it out, he would have no chance of winning. He decided to block its vision first. Seeing Jaehyun rush over with the skill wind boost, the Nightshade subconsciously wanted to pull back, but it soon discovered that Jaehyun was just standing at a distance casting a skill. "You don't really think I'd just charge in and fight you to the death, do you?" As he spoke, a bright light pierced the skies, and the Nightshade was submerged in golden light. At the same time, a chain of lightning hidden within it shot straight into its body. Just then, Jaehyun finally reached the Nightshade. The Nightshade tried to summon minions to stall for time, but unfortunately, Jaehyun had already activated Sacrifice. Upon identifying an undead monster, Sacrifice automatically converted to Light's Judgment. As the dust settled, the Nightshade began to collapse. "It's finally over." With only 3 seconds left, Jaehyun finally defeated the Nightshade. For this, Jaehyun earned the title the one who overcame the first trial. Loki's choice was indeed justified. "Come, child, I invite you to my sanctum." As a result, the death brand was also removed. He gained 3 levels in the items, Nightshade's Core and Shade Guard. After being verified by the system, Jaehyun was summoned to Hell's sanctum. Just then, a terrifying aura locked onto him. A monster rushed out of the temple. Just as Jaehyun was about to die on the spot, a voice interrupted the monster. "Let the guest in, Garmer." The monster paused right in front of Jaehyun, and it immediately turned around and led Jaehyun into the Temple of Death. "I have come to see you. I never thought you would actually do it. Congratulations, prophesied child of defiance. You have perfectly passed the test I gave you. Why did you send the Nornir system to me? Why give me this kind of test? What is your purpose?" "It's all to nurture you into the great Defier." Jaehyun was curious why it had to be him. You were born with this destiny, to rebel against the high and mighty Aesir, to kill the All-Father Odin. That is what Loki and the rest of us expect of you. You want me to eliminate Odin? I don't understand what you're saying. You don't need to understand. I never expected you to understand from the beginning. But you need to remember one thing. This is not just about us, the opponents of the Aesir. The entire world is heading towards its end, and Odin wants to dominate all of existence. To stop this, we need your strength. Make yourself stronger. I look forward to seeing you again. Before Jaehyun could say anything, he was forcibly sent away from the temple by Hel. Are you going to continue watching from the side? I don't remember inviting you. Meanwhile, Jaehyun returned to the outside world. He was disappointed that he couldn't get any answers, but more notifications arrived. He had acquired the passive skill, Hel's Grace. Please forgive this old man's rudeness. I heard you met with him, and I couldn't just sit still. Your companions are as loyal as ever. So, how did it feel to see him in person? It's still too early to draw conclusions. After all, he has only just taken his first step. I think you seem quite satisfied with that kid. The Defier, his growth has exceeded my expectations. He overcame the restriction I gave him and finally stood before me. Although I miscalculated, I'm still very happy. That's good. As long as he's doing well, I'm relieved. Is that all you have to say? Surely that cannot be the only reason for your visit. Mimir, I don't know what you're talking about. Hell, you sly old thing. Are you still pretending to know nothing? The causality of the Defier has clearly been twisted. Did you think I wouldn't notice? It seems your title of Wise Titan is a thing of the past. And the Defiance left eye, that was clearly what Odin offered to the Well of Wisdom. Aren't you going to explain? You and Loki, what are you plotting? Please forgive me. It's still too early to tell you. Just consider it all as fate's arrangement. Fate, you say? I'm used to waiting anyway, but I will not stand by idly. According to the prophecy, countless hardships are waiting for him. He needs a guide. To climb to the peak, one must have a guide to point out the right path at any time, even if the ramparts of despair bar his way. Later on, there were 7 days left until the semester begins at Miles Academy. Jaehyun was visibly unhappy at the mall. You look upset. Is something troubling you? Jaehyun reassured her, so they continued their purchasing of the required items. Jaehyun certainly couldn't reveal his secret. A trip to the Plaza of the Dead not only didn't give him answers but raised more questions instead. Although he had obtained a new EX grade skill, a grade level that is beyond what the Aesir system had, but the price was to eliminate Odin himself. Jaehyun wandered around with Hannah, lost in thought. Before he knew it, Hannah was chatting with a salesperson. It turned out Hannah had chosen a magic dagger for Jaehyun. Jaehyun never expected an expendable item to cost 300 million. Although Miles Academy provided some supplies for freshmen, their quality was very average, so Song-Eun had given Hannah a long shopping list. Looking at the densely packed text, Jaehyun broke into a cold sweat. Although Hannah had stated her purpose early on, Jaehyun had thought they would at most buy some elixirs or artifacts, so it wouldn't take too much of his time. But the current situation was clearly beyond his expectations. We don't have to buy armor. I'm satisfied with what I already have now. Jaehyun had already obtained armor in the Plaza of the Dead, Shade Guard. This armor was sufficient for his current needs, and equipping it also granted the skill Fade. Hearing Jaehyun muttering to himself, Hannah thought he wanted an artifact imbued with Fade. This is indeed something most raiders want, but it's probably impossible to buy it in a place like this. I was just talking to myself. Don't worry about it. Not many people know the Fade skill anyway. If you're not lucky enough to get it in a dungeon, it's almost impossible to get an artifact with Fade. That's right. The only person in the country with the Fade skill is my brother. Jaehyun was curious who Hannah's brother was. My brother is Park Seonji, the manager. Didn't you know? Jaehyun never thought that Hannah was Seonji's sister. Their auras were completely different. Just then, a certain item resonated with Jaehyun, and bright lights appeared before his eyes again, just like the ones in the dungeon the first time. Jaehyun quickly ran in the direction of the light, believing that some kind of treasure was waiting for him there. In front of Jaehyun was a golden mineral, and his eye of the absolute god saw through the illusion, which gave him the passive skill, Perceive. He could detect unidentified items, and he is unaffected by fate and illusion skills. What in the world is going on here? The scene changes, and in a training ground, a fierce sword strike is aimed at a man. The silver-haired man in front of him seemed tireless, each sword strike carrying an extremely aggressive force. Sparring match over. The winner is Hoi-An. Although the man's strength was also great, the difference in talent between the two was too obvious. People say he's the next S-grade raider, and there's a reason for it. Good work. Yes, father. Don't be too proud. You were supposed to win this match. I know, father. Let's prepare for the next schedule. We'll go out to purchase items after you've washed up. Little did he know, Hoi-An was already tired of this mechanical life. The raider he wanted to be was not like this. Meanwhile, Jaehyun discovered that the treasure in front of him was Mistiltine. This was the treasure that had pierced the chest of Odin's immortal son, Baldr, possessing endless mana and growing with its user. Upon equipping it, Jaehyun would also gain the Detect Magic skill. This is Mistiltine? Did I read that right? Jaehyun wondered if this was another joke played on him by the Nornir system, but at this moment, he didn't notice Hoi-An passing behind him. Meanwhile, Hoi-An's father was busy purchasing items as Hoi-An watched from the side. Do we really need to buy so many things? How can someone who's going to be an S-grade raider be reluctant to spend this much? But if we spend so much money, mom's hospital bills for this month. Silence. Boy, I have my ways for the hospital bills. bills. You just focus on your training. Hoi-an could only stand aside like a puppet. He didn't understand why he was here, being gawked at like a monkey in a zoo. He remembered the first time he awakened his ability. His mother smiled and patted his head. From then on, he dreamed of becoming a raider, but to his father, his dream was just something to be exploited. And so, Hoi-an became a machine, repeating the commands his father input every day. Could I really survive Miles Academy like this? Just then, a dungeon break appeared near the mall. For a moment, Hoi-an froze in place. We're leaving. Hoi-an, you're a genius who will control the fate of the country in the future. If you get injured here, it will only be a disadvantage at the Miles Academy orientation event. But thinking of the ordinary people who couldn't protect themselves, Hoi-an immediately ran towards the dungeon. This was his only chance to prove he was a raider. He wanted to confirm one thing, whether he was still the child his mother could be proud of. But the moment he saw the goblin, Hoi-an stopped in his tracks. This was his first time getting this close to these monsters, but even these low-level monsters made him tremble all over. Hoi-an could only watch as the goblin in front of him charged. The genius of the brawler class, Hoi-an, who was hailed as the most likely to become the next S grade, was completely terrified by a goblin. At the critical moment, Jae-hyun arrived in time to save him. The powerful impact sent Hoi-an flying to the side. Are you Hoi-an? Before this event, Jae-hyun had just bought Mastiltine. At this time, Hannah had just arrived at the store where Jae-hyun was. She was curious why Jae-hyun had bought an unidentified item. Before Jae-hyun could explain, the broadcast announced a dungeon break had occurred. Jae-hyun's choice was the same as Hoi-an's. He immediately rushed out of the mall, jumping out of a window. While midair, Jae-hyun casted multiple holy arrows as the goblins below got bombarded by Jae-hyun's spells. But there were too many monsters, and Jae-hyun couldn't kill them all before someone could get hurt. Jae-hyun unleashed chain lightnings and multiple holy arrows while he moved around the battlefield, then crashing down on a goblin. And here, he met the unfortunate genius, Hoi-an, who was visibly stunned. Hoi-an wondered who this person in front of him was. We'll talk later. I could really use your help right now. Watch out, behind you. Before he could finish, Jae-hyun had already killed the goblin behind him. Are you still going to stand there? Get a grip and pick up your weapon. The moment he heard this, all of Hoi-an's anxiety and hesitation disappeared. Jae-hyun's appearance was exactly what he imagined a raider should be. Now they had only one thing to do: kill these monsters and save the people. The two faced a horde of enemy goblins. You can use taunt, right? If you can, go attract some of the monsters' attention. There are too many goblins. You have to lure as many of them as possible. Hoi-an heard this, immediately summoned his weapon, and then activated the skill Taunting Shout. This skill affected most of the monsters. They were now locked in on Hoi-an. This was a more advanced skill than a regular taunt. Learning such a skill at his age was why he was called a genius. However, in the previous timeline, Hoi-an could only become a B-tier raider. It was unknown as to why, but his career fell through, and he was dubbed as the Tragic Savant. Despite this, Jae-hyun believed that the future Hoi-an would definitely become a useful asset to him. Then let's make this quick. Soon enough, Jae-hyun and Hoi-an's combination was enough to deal with all of the goblins. At the end, it was just the two of them standing in a bloody massacre. What's going on here? Jae-hyun and Hoi-an immediately looked towards the source of the voice. The person who came was a raider who had come to provide support. I'm Jae-hyun Park from the Raiders Association. Did you two take care of all these goblins? Hoi-an was the one to confirm this. Jae-hyun Park quickly recognized Hoi-an among the two. This made the story of the two of them killing the goblins plausible. How should I report this to my superiors? That's what I was about to say. Just say that the association's people took care of it. No one would believe we could kill so many monsters anyway, but doing so is clearly against the rules. It would be against the rules if someone saw it. If you don't want to stand out too much, I will help you handle this matter as discreetly as possible. Then give the monster bounty to this guy too. Please keep my presence here a secret. Money wasn't an issue for Jae-hyun, and he preferred to keep a low profile before the semester starts. He also found that it would be beneficial if Hye-yeon was indebted to him. Wait a minute, what do you mean by that? You were the one who killed the monsters just now. I'm sorry, I have my reasons. Miles Academy was about to start, and Jae-hyun didn't want to risk being noticed by his father. Only by hiding his strength first could he have a chance for revenge at a critical moment. Hye-yeon, on the other hand, was in a dilemma. Logically, he shouldn't just take Jae-hyun's credit, but with this money, he might be able to alleviate his mother's illness. He wanted to be a raider with a clear conscience, but he also didn't want his mother to die without treatment. Meanwhile, Jae-hyun also wondered what Hye-yeon was hesitating about. Think carefully. Every decision you make will have a different outcome. If you hesitate, someone will definitely die because of it. Hye-yeon realized that if he lost the most important person, what was the point of his dream? If there's a chance, I'll definitely repay this favor. Just from their brief conversation, Jae-hyun Park could tell that Jae-hyun had a maturity beyond his years. Since you two seem to have worked things out, I'll do as you say. Now that it's settled, I'll be on my way. Please tell me your name and contact information. No need for that trouble, and you don't have to be so formal. We're the same age, and I'm also a freshman at Miles Academy. We'll be seeing each other a lot in the future. And so, Jae-hyun's final preparations for Miles Academy had concluded. Time quickly came to the day of Miles Academy's enrollment. Hye-yeon, with the title of Brawler Class Genius, quickly attracted the attention of the students around him. him. Another person who caught their eye was Ina Seo, a figure who would top the Raider popularity charts in the future. But Ina Seo's situation was different from the others. Jaehyun couldn't easily win her over, and there was no need to rush it now. He already had 3 partners whose strength far surpassed the ordinary. No matter how pretty that girl is, you can't just keep staring at her, can you? Hearing Yoo Jong Kim's words, Ina Seo looked in Jaehyun's direction. Freshman of Miles Academy, it's a pleasure to meet you all. I am Director Jae-gu. The moment he heard the voice, Jaehyun's expression turned serious. His miserable life back then was largely due to Jae-gu. You should be prepared. We can't predict what will happen here. Are you actually concerned about me? Don't worry, I'm going to give it my all. But that was also a fact. After enrolling, Yoo Jong Kim became the 3rd ranked elite in the mage class. So this time, Jaehyun would not let Yoo Jong Kim repeat her tragic death under any circumstances. My wonderful students, the Miles Academy opening ceremony will now begin. We have prepared a special event for you all, which is a hunting activity in a subspace between current students and freshmen. The freshman hunt officially begins. Yoo Jong Kim was startled by the magic circle that suddenly appeared under her feet. At the critical moment, Jaehyun reached for her and managed to barely grab hold. But at the same time, the two of them bumped into someone else. Jaehyun's enrollment day is today, right? It's come so quickly. I wanted to send him a message to cheer him on before he enrolled. Even if you send it now, he probably won't see it, since the freshman hunt runs for 3 days. That's quite a shame. But I had already guessed the guildmaster's thoughts, so I sent him a message on your behalf yesterday. Really? Did he reply? What did Jaehyun say? He said you don't need to worry. Meanwhile, Jaehyun and Yoo Jong Kim had arrived in the subspace, and besides them, there was another person here, the mage class genius who would become an S grade after Song Eun-yu, the one who changed people's perception of the mage class. It was none other than Ina Seo. Meanwhile, in the Miles Academy's central control room, where Jae-gu was observing the freshmen's performance with the school's teachers, there are many outstanding talents in this batch of students. Besides Hoyeon, there are several other potential stars. Ina Seo, Yoo Jong Kim, Soo-hyuk Lee. Although they are mage class, their aptitude tests are all over 90. There's also a student who transferred majors midway. The data hasn't been updated yet. A person who changes their major midway like that, you don't even need to look to know they won't last long in our academy. Those who could enter Miles Academy all possessed extremely high talent, but among them were also long-famous geniuses like Hoyeon. The fate of the mediocre talents is to become stepping stones for the true geniuses. If they can have a reawakening, then we've hit the jackpot. Jae-gu's task was to screen out the most outstanding geniuses to offer for a certain organization. We can't delay any longer. The opening ceremony of Miles Academy turned out to be a hunting game in a subspace. The subspace could escape the constraints of time and space, and things that couldn't be realized in reality could all be distorted into a real form here. Every year, 5% of the students were eliminated here. Such a cruel activity to push students to their limits. So Jaehyun absolutely could not relax his guard, especially in front of the mage class genius, Ina Seo. From now on, I will introduce the rules of the freshman hunt. According to the rules, you can only use skills of C grade or lower. Every time you remove someone else's name tag, you will receive a certain amount of points. Jaehyun realized that chain lightning may not be available to use, but there wasn't any mention about inborn skills. For safety, we have set the skill power to a minimum, so you don't have to worry about getting injured. Please participate actively in the game. Jaehyun realized that he didn't mention inborn skills, and the restriction on stats wasn't specified either, so his purpose was to get rid of those they saw that were unfit for the academy in advance, and discover talented freshmen as early as possible. We have to stay here for 3 days. Let's find a shelter first. The subspace had various traps and facilities. The most important thing to survive here for 3 days was to find a shelter. Wouldn't it be safer if we teamed up with that person? She seems to be a mage class student like us. Although it would be great to win Ina Seo over, she was an extremely uncontrollable factor. In the previous timeline, news had repeatedly reported incidents where countless people were put in danger because Ina Seo was in a fit of rage. This isn't a decision to be made lightly. How can you be sure she won't betray us? She's full of vigilance, and her eyes are filled with distrust for us. But I don't feel any of that you're talking about. The feeling she gives me now is exactly the same as you when you were a child. Saying this, Yoo Jong Kim walked straight towards Ina Seo. If you'd like, why don't you team up with us? That guy and I are also mage class. However, Ina Seo only stared back coldly. This event is not favorable for us freshmen. If we have more people, it will be easier for us to fight. Whether we team up or not, we might have to decide later. A gust of wind whistled past above the 3 of them. I didn't expect to find 3 freshmen so quickly. It seems like the points will be easy to get this year. 2 students arrived, Jun San-shin and Soil Kwan. How are there 3 people? I clearly sensed only 2. Soil Kwan suddenly realized that she couldn't sense Jaehyun's presence. At the same time, Jaehyun seemed to recognize these 2. Those 2 upperclassmen are both brawler class. Shouldn't we run away from here first? We can't escape. We have to deal with them here. Because of Soil Kwan's inborn skill, Scan, she could track her set targets within a 300-kilometer radius. I'll treat myself after getting these events points. But Soil Kwan warned him about Jaehyun. However, Jun San-shin still summoned his weapon and charged right at the group. To his surprise, Jaehyun easily dodged his sword. It's been a long time since someone swung a sword at me. How can some no-named freshman dodge my attack? You've got a big mouth for a freshman mage. But the next second, Junsan Shin's sword was firmly grasped by Jaehyun. I'm impressed, Junsang. How can a clumsy oaf like you still be alive? Jaehyun crushed Junsan Shin's sword. For a moment, Ina Seo was stunned by the scene before her. I'll give you 3 seconds. If you hand over your name tag, I'll let you go. Junsan Shin was so scared that he couldn't react in such a short time. Know that I gave you a chance to comply. And with a strong strike, Junsan Shin was knocked out. Soil Kwan also didn't expect her companion to be eliminated so quickly. A freshman has finally taken a name tag. Is there a problem with the system? Why isn't this person Hoyan? Instructor Jong. There is no abnormality in the system. Jaehyun? Why haven't I heard this name before? Who the hell are you? I've sent you a team invitation. Yu Jong. Accept it quickly and let's take care of the other one together. Yu Jong Kim was puzzled why Jaehyun had suddenly become so strong. Ina Seo, on the side, said nothing and silently drew her weapon. Even without a monster like Jaehyun, it was impossible for Soil Kwan to win a 1-on-3 fight, so she immediately decided to take one of them down first and then escape in the chaos. Unfortunately, her attack was also dodged by Yu Jong Kim. This tactic might have worked, but Yu Jong Kim was exceptional in her own right. After dodging the attack, Yu Jong Kim immediately cast a binding spell on Soil Kwan, who, while dodging the spell, threw a fan of daggers. Fortunately, Yu Jong Kim blocked her attack with a mana force field. Jaehyun knew that Yu Jong Kim alone would still find it difficult to defeat an upperclassman, but just as he was about to make a move, he heard Ina Seo chanting a spell. What Ina Seo used was her inborn skill, Alfheim's Edge. Almost instantly, Soil Kwan was defeated by Ina Seo's skill. Only then did she understand that the 3 freshmen in front of her were all monsters. Did I perhaps get in your way just now? No, you saved me just now. Then, is your offer from earlier still valid? After these events, Jaehyun thought it was necessary to adjust his evaluation of Ina Seo. Perhaps she wasn't as bad as the news made her out to be, just naturally suspicious and quiet. After teaming up, the 3 of them went straight to the nearest shelter. There are other people's footprints here. It seems they went into the shelter. Everyone, stop searching and gather here. They believed that a freshman who could defeat an upperclassman would not hide in a shelter forever, but they didn't know that Jaehyun's group had already detected their presence. A sudden attack took out one of the upperclassmen in the crowd. Following the trajectory of the magic, they discovered Yu Jong Kim hiding on the side, and so they all fell into Jaehyun's trap. So many of you, and you can't even catch me. Don't you feel ashamed? You bastard. Stop right there. Little did they know, Yu Jong Kim was inwardly laughing at these simple-minded people. In fact, Jaehyun had anticipated this situation. Although the shelter was safe, they couldn't stay there forever. Besides needing food, they also had to get as many points as possible, so their goal, turn the hunters into the hunted. Just then, Yu Jong Kim activated the wind booster. It turned out they had reached the area of the paralysis spore fungi colony. It turned out Jaehyun had already asked Jae-sang Lee for a way to resist the paralysis spore mushrooms. Although there's no way to prevent it, the sap of an ash tree can remedy the paralysis. That will be enough. Thank you for the assistance. At this time, the upperclassmen also saw the notification for the paralysis spore mushrooms, so they began to hesitate whether they should give up. We've chased her all the way here. Are you going to give up now? We can still turn back now. That freshman eliminated Seonghun, and you're saying something like that now. Even if the opponent is a freshman, if we all get paralyzed, we won't be able to do anything to them. That girl is in the same situation. She won't be able to escape. Songhyik, you stay here and watch for us outside the paralysis range. The rest of you, come with me. I'll show them that their tricks are all useless. The upperclassmen closed in on their target. Yu Jong Kim was right in the middle of the paralysis spore mushrooms. You have nowhere to run now, do you? You little bug, making things so complicated. Is that so? Why don't you guys come over then? Hearing Yu Jong Kim's taunts, the upperclassmen immediately charged. Yu Jong Kim immediately triggered the paralysis spore mushroom at her feet. After the mushroom exploded, creatures within a 50-meter radius would enter a 2-hour paralysis state. Before this, Jaehyun and his group had already been looking for large leaves. Because this game was tailor-made for the brawler class, every rule here was an unfavorable restriction for the mage class. For someone like Yu Jong Kim, who had no inborn skills, she had lost almost all her means of attack. We have to turn the tables with basic skills. You can use change, right? Ina Seo was curious how a spell that swapped positions with a teammate could turn the tide. Don't worry, with this ash tree sap and the change spell, we can make a big comeback. It's time to get moving. Jin Hyuk also didn't expect Yu Jong Kim to actually trigger the paralysis spore mushrooms, since this doesn't benefit any of them. Time to switch. It's not my stage anymore. As she spoke, a foot slammed into Jin Hyuk's face. Respected seniors, it's my turn now. Jaehyun said this and kicked Jin Hyuk away, crashing him into the ground. You're really stupid, running into the paralysis spore mushroom area on your own. Just in case, I had my companion wait outside. Sorry to say, but that person probably won't be coming either. At the same time, a violent scream was heard in the forest. The upperclassman, Songhyik, was eliminated. The one who eliminated him was none other than Ina Seo. The moment Jin Hyuk saw the system notification, he was completely stunned. Didn't I say, that person won't be coming? That that doesn't change the fact that you're stuck with me for 2 hours. Who says I'm stuck with you? Jaehyun was freely walking through the paralysis spore mushrooms. This was because he had Hell's blessing, which granted him immunity to all abnormal statuses. The other 3 could only watch helplessly as Jinhyuk was taken down by Jaehyun. Now there are only 3 of you left, right? The continuous stream of point notifications startled the supervising instructors. Jaehyun and his team's score shot to the top of the leaderboard. Meanwhile, Yoo Kim also drank the sap of the ash tree and was cured of her paralysis. Now that the trouble was dealt with, they prepared to rendezvous with Jaehyun. Jaehyun seems to know a lot about magic. I've never seen the change skill used that way in any book. That kid only switched to the mage class less than 3 months ago. I taught him all the basic theory. So he wanted to go to the brawler class before? Just a few months ago, he was obsessed with the brawler class, and he was disdainful of magic back then. But how did he know that the juice of the large leaf could cure the paralysis? Where on earth did he learn such a thing? Before long, the 2 arrived at the designated meeting point. Is your paralysis gone? You 2 don't look very tired. It was easy peasy. I just ran for my life and used 1 spell. How about you, Ina? I'm fine as well. I always thought you were boneheaded, but I'm now seeing you in a new light. Who are you calling boneheaded? In Ina Seo's eyes, Jaehyun didn't seem boneheaded at all. In fact, he was quite handsome, which stunned Ina Seo as she stared at him. However, Ina Seo quickly suppressed these thoughts. She still needed to be cautious. After dealing with the threats, the group returned to the shelter. Jaehyun began to tinker with something in a pot. What are you doing? Making a stamina recovery potion. I figured we might need it, so I asked an acquaintance I know for the recipe. You have an acquaintance? I thought you didn't even have any friends. Look who's talking, as if you have any friends besides me. Jaehyun, you're really amazing. It feels like you're not our age. You seem so skilled and mature, as if you've lived 10 years more than us. Jaehyun dismissed the comment, but inside he was surprised at how accurate her guess was. Enough chatting. We need to eat something for tomorrow's operation. But Jaehyun and Yoo Kim had no talent in this area. I know a little about cooking. Why don't I give it a try? I live with my grandmother, so I used to do the cooking every day. Saying this, Ina Seo tied up her hair and prepared to showcase her culinary skills. Jaehyun didn't know much about Ina Seo's family situation, but since she lived with her grandmother, he guessed something might have happened to her parents. Soon, Ina Seo had prepared dinner for everyone. The 2 were stunned by the taste after taking a bite. Yoo Kim was so excited she hugged Ina Seo directly. Even Jaehyun expressed that he never expected to eat such delicious food here. Being with the 2 of them, Ina Seo also experienced a long-lost sense of happiness. Meanwhile, back inside the control room, the teachers were all shocked at the current results. The student we've been looking forward to, Hoyan, is currently in 4th place. What's even more unbelievable is that the 1st and 2nd places are currently held by mage class students. Until now, such results have only been seen among brawler class raiders, but no one can explain the current situation. 3 mage class freshmen were actually dominating the event, even wiping out multiple brawler class upperclassmen. Replay the footage from the paralysis spore mushroom area again. In that situation, he was not only decisive but also had amazing judgment and even possessed the strength to defeat a brawler class. He doesn't seem like a mage at all, and it's impossible to believe he's a freshman. But the data on Jaehyun had still not been updated. Sir, we have found the information on Jaehyun, but I'm not sure if this information is credible. What do you mean? What's the big deal? You'll understand once you see his file. Jaehyun's mage class aptitude was 97%. The moment he saw this number, Jae-gu couldn't believe his eyes. At the same time, he couldn't suppress his inner joy. I want to personally confirm just how outstanding this talent is. Do you mean you want to directly intervene in this test? Exactly. Let's make it a more interesting game. Meanwhile, Jaehyun and his team defeated more opponents, and now their score had reached a staggering 1,100,000, almost securing the top spot on the freshman leaderboard. Since no upperclassmen dared to come to the Nightmare Forest anymore, Jaehyun and his team had no choice but to leave the shelter. To get more points, they had to move. There's no other way. Let's get ready. What's the highest score ever recorded in a freshman hunt? It is 1,140,000 points. Jaehyun never expected Ina Seo to be so competitive. Just then, Jaehyun suddenly noticed someone approaching. A fierce slash shot straight towards Jaehyun, its powerful force far exceeding a C-grade skill. It seems the subspace is unstable, and the skill restrictions have been lifted. In an instant, everyone looked in the direction the slash came from. Jaehyun, are you okay? We're all freshmen. Why would he attack us? I didn't expect we'd meet again in this way. Hoyan, just what are you doing? But at this moment, Hoyan seemed unable to hear Jaehyun speak. That guy seems to be unconscious, as if he's being controlled. Jaehyun immediately thought that this must be Jae-gu's doing. The same thing had happened on Miles Academy's festival. Because his embezzlement was exposed, Jae-gu used the brainwash skills so that the students can create a terrible accident to divert attention, and then disappeared without a trace. That accident cost countless students their lives, and Yoo Kim had also died in Jaehyun's arms that day. As a friend, Jaehyun certainly wouldn't fight Hoyan with all his might, so the thing to do now was to restore his consciousness. Just then, the Nornir system suddenly issued a mission: save the student under the brainwashing spell. The mission reward was a blank card. Meanwhile, Ina Seo and Yoo Kim were rushing over to help. I can handle this alone. You guys leave quickly. quickly, as far away as possible. If you can, get some more points to help us. He's the brawler class genius. Hoi-an, how can you possibly? You don't think I can do it? Seeing Jaehyun like this, Ina Seo chose to believe him immediately. Alright, we're leaving. Ina, why are you going along with Jaehyun's foolishness? But Ina Seo had strengthened her resolve. You've got to be kidding me. Leave the point gathering to us. But Jaehyun, you must not get hurt. Come find us as soon as you're done. Don't worry, I'll be there soon. One day ago, Hoi-an had defeated many upperclassmen with his own strength, and now had 600,000 points. The game would be over in one more day. He had clearly done his best, but he still couldn't get first place. He never expected a mage class person to get first under these conditions, and even his teammates' rankings were very high. He couldn't help but remember his first meeting with Jaehyun. He really is an amazing guy. In that case, I can't give up easily either. There's still time. If I try a little harder. Student Hoi-an, I am Chief Director Jane-gu. What can I do for you? I need your help with something. Student Hoi-an. A sharp pain shot through his head, and Hoi-an was brainwashed by Jane-gu. Why am I here? What was I supposed to do? I remember now. I have to go kill Jaehyun. At this moment, Hoi-an charged at Jaehyun with his shield. He suddenly swung his sword, but Jaehyun easily dodged his attack with a light leap. Jaehyun recognized this as his A-grade skill, peak martial. Seeing that one strike failed, Hoi-an immediately closed the distance with Jaehyun. Jaehyun wondered why Hoi-an had suddenly become so strong. The first time they met, his performance was clearly very ordinary, but Hoi-an's current proficiency was worlds apart from then. Moreover, Jaehyun couldn't match Hoi-an in terms of physical stats. Hoi-an could send Jaehyun flying with just his shield. Jaehyun could only spin in the air to dissipate the immense force. After steadying himself, he immediately activated the wind booster. Jaehyun's speed now far surpassed Hoi-an's. He used his speed advantage to get behind Hoi-an, preparing to use chain lightning to end this meaningless fight. To his surprise, Hoi-an managed to pull away in time. His body had reacted before his eyes could track Jaehyun's movements. Truly a genius born with superb combat intuition. Jaehyun knew that dealing with him might not be as easy as he had imagined. Although he could use absolute calculation to break the brainwashing, the problem was that Jane-gu must be watching this battle from the control room, probably with a lecherous smile on his face. But at this moment, Jaehyun's competitive spirit was also ignited by Hoi-an, and he wanted to make Jane-gu pay the price. Clearly a mage class student, yet he fought in close combat like a brawler and could even gain the upper hand. Jaehyun's opponent was the brawler class genius, Hoi-an. Such a scene made the instructors unable to believe their eyes, because it was impossible for a mage class to defeat a brawler class. That was a truth she had learned from her own path as a mage, a truth etched into her bones. But such a thing was happening right before everyone's eyes. At this moment, Hoi-an was beaten to the point where he couldn't fight back at all. I didn't mean to be so rough, but you're resilient enough. You'll probably be able to stand up in a bit. Now it's time to deal with them. Jaehyun's face turned towards the people in the control room. Jaehyun activated another skill, Flash Bomb. The next second, the surveillance screen turned into a flash of white light. What happened? Why did the screen suddenly become like this? Jane-gu snatched the remote control from the instructor's hand, but no matter how he pressed it, the screen remained unchanged. It seems he cast a spell to obscure the feed. A flash bomb. Good kid, trying to pull one over on me. Instructor Suki Kim, listen to me. After the event is over, have this student named Jaehyun come to my office. Are we really making a decision so quickly? Instructor Suki Kim, do you know why he would use a spell to cut off the screen even after winning? Because he knows how to increase his own value. Meanwhile, Jaehyun had finally created an opportunity for himself. He walked towards Hoi-an and then used absolute calculation to break his brainwashing. Finally, Hoi-an returned back to consciousness. Are you more clear-headed now? Hoi-an tried to get up but found his body in excruciating pain, and he ended up collapsing to the ground. I'm sorry, you suddenly charged at me and attacked. I attacked you? Why would I do something like that? You were under a mind control spell. Hoi-an then remembered that he did seem to have heard some kind of voice, but that kind of magic is definitely above A grade. The skill level in the subspace is clearly limited. Maybe the subspace suddenly had a problem, or someone intervened. Do you know who this person is? Why would they do this? I can't guess these things either, but to be able to pull off such a big stunt, this person must not be someone an ordinary person can easily provoke. But Jaehyun believed that in the future, Hoi-an would definitely recognize Jane-gu's true colors. The system notified Jaehyun that he completed the quest and rewarded him with another blank card. Hoi-an struggled to get up, but found the pain in his body had not subsided. In contrast, Jaehyun stood aside as if nothing had happened. Thinking about the gap between himself and Jaehyun, he couldn't help but clench his fists. I don't know what to say. I'm truly sorry. Since you can still move, I'll be going now. Keep up the good work for the rest of the time. But at that moment, Hoi-an threw something to Jaehyun. Jaehyun opened his hand and found it was Hoi-an's name tag. What are you doing? You should know that having no name tag means you're eliminated. Although I can't compare to you, my points aren't too low, and I lost to you, so this should be yours. But next time, I definitely won't lose again. I'll take the name tag back with my own hands then. Although this thing was only worth 10,000 points, it was of extraordinary significance to Jaehyun, because in his past, he had longed for the abilities of the brawler class. To be recognized by a brawler class genius gave him an unprecedented sense of accomplishment. accomplishment. Soon, the freshman hunt game ended. Jaehyun broke the previous record with 1.53 million points. You broke the record. Shouldn't you be happy? I'm right, aren't I? Ina, if we had another hour, we could have broken 1.6 million points. Whatever, these points are enough for me to splurge for a while. Of course they are. Multiply our points by 10 and it's roughly the same as real money we'll receive. That means you earned about 15.3 million. And since I'm first, and you two are tied for second, there should be an additional 1 million point bonus. Hearing that she had earned so much money, Yoo Jong-kim couldn't help but celebrate with Ina Seo. Unlike them, the other students could only cast envious glances. Just then, a tall figure passed through the students. Hello, fellow students. I am your instructor, Suki Kim. The two heard this and immediately greeted the instructor. I have something to say to the three of you. It's crowded here. How about we find another place? Are we discussing our results in this freshman hunt? Suki Kim could only nod silently. Jaehyun said nothing and walked straight past Suki Kim. Shouldn't you ask where I'm taking you? The chief director's office. Am I right, instructor? And so, the three of them followed Suki Kim to Jae-gu's office. Where is the guild master? Why did he call us here but he's not here himself? Seeing such an arrogant Jaehyun, Suki Kim was furious but dared not speak. You two please sit down and wait as well. Unlike Jaehyun, Yoo Jong-kim and Ina Seo could only obediently listen. I've kept the three of you waiting. I'm late. Hello, I am mage class freshman Yoo Jong-kim. I am Ina Seo. I know you too, student Yoo Jong-kim. You are indeed late. I was about to fall asleep waiting. The two of them never expected Jaehyun to say such a thing. Suki Kim was also scared to death by Jaehyun. For a moment, the entire office was silent. Jian-ku was also visibly frustrated. I'm very sorry. I needed some time to prepare in order to have a better conversation with you. It should be us who are sorry. We've been crawling around in the subspace for 3 days and were called here before we even had a chance to wash up. Now I see that was inconsiderate of me. After assessing him, Jaehyun found that Jae-gu was acting humble, which meant he didn't want to miss out on the talent before him. I have brought you a pretty good proposal, so please bear with me. First, congratulations to the three of you for ranking in the top 3 in this hunt, especially student Jaehyun, who achieved first place. But Jaehyun had no intention of flaunting his ability. Not only that, you also broke the record with an overwhelming advantage. This result is truly unbelievable and has surprised me greatly. What are you trying to say? Get to the point already. Our Miles Academy plans to offer the three of you some benefits. First, you can use the suites in the academy dormitory for free. Second, the three of you will have priority access to all facilities that require reservations. Third, if you are not satisfied with your exam results, you can apply for a re-examination. In addition to the benefits I just mentioned, the three of you can also sign this agreement and become partners of Miles Academy. I'm afraid we'll pass on this. These benefits sound pretty good, but we could get those things on our own within a month with our own abilities. After all, Miles Academy is a place where strength speaks. I don't understand why you want us to sign an agreement while still paying tuition. You should let me see the agreement first. After signing a partnership agreement with Miles Academy, you have to donate 30% of your income as a raider to the academy for 5 years. This isn't a benefit for us. You're trying to trick us. If you think so, then there's nothing I can do. This agreement is not mandatory. It's up to the three of you to decide whether to sign it or not. After hearing what Jaehyun said, Yoo Jong-kim and Ina Seo looked at each other and quickly decided not to sign the agreement. What a pity, a real pity. This is already the best offer I can make to you. Perhaps you haven't thought it through yet. I can give you another chance. Student Jaehyun, are you still unwilling to sign with me now? Jae-gu didn't know that Jaehyun had been waiting for him to activate his brainwashing skill. I've made it very clear. I don't want to sign that agreement. Thanks to Hell's blessing, Jaehyun would not be affected by brainwashing. In addition, Jaehyun used the blank card to copy the brainwash skill. It can invade the mind of a weaker opponent, but if the target is willing, it can also become the subordination skill. If there's nothing else, then we'll be leaving. After crawling around for 3 days and being immediately called to the office, we really need a good rest. And so, the three of them passed by instructor Suki Kim again. After hearing these conversations, Suki Kim was already breaking out in a cold sweat. Only Jae-gu and Suki Kim were left in the office. Instructor Suki Kim, you can leave now too. He's just a freshman, yet he can resist my inborn skill. Jaehyun, you are very intriguing. Meanwhile, outside with Jaehyun's group, you two really don't mind? You rejected Jae-gu's offer just now. It was tempting at first, but after hearing what you said, it seems to make a lot of sense. I also had doubts about that agreement. I feel that rejecting him was the right choice. If we received preferential treatment from the beginning, it would definitely be unfair to others. We should indeed earn those things with our own strength. That's good. Actually, I also hoped you would reject that agreement. Don't you find it strange? When we rejected his offer, his expression was terribly gloomy. I also felt something was wrong. There was a problem in the first event after enrollment, but neither of them said a word about it. Jaehyun was once again impressed by Ina Seo's deduction, and he remembered to keep that trait in mind. Jaehyun, do you know some inside information about director Jae-gu? Hearing Ina Seo's words, Jaehyun stopped in his tracks. Why do you think so? You were unusually calm for a freshman before, but when facing the guild master, you were exceptionally hostile towards him. I'm not too sure either, so it's not convenient to say much right now. But there's one thing I can tell you. If you can, don't trust anyone, whether it's the guild master or an instructor. Does that mean we can't even trust you? This stunned Jaehyun, but Yu Jong Kim sneaked up behind Ina Seo. That's right, you can't trust his words either. Look at how fierce he looks. He even left me alone in the middle of the road before. That's all in the past. Why bring it up? Hearing this, Yu Jong Kim pounced on him. Do you know how much you put me through back then? After some roughhousing, Jaehyun pushed Yu Jong Kim away. That's enough. Cut it out already. It's already pretty dark, you know? Then we'll part ways here. Yu Jong Kim looked at the two of them standing there in a daze. Are you two acting out a teen drama here? Can I join in too? The girls' dormitory is on the left. I'm over to the right. Go back and get some rest. Then we'll go back first. Jaehyun, you go back and get a good rest too. The first class is tomorrow. I will, and I'll see you tomorrow. Jaehyun returned to his own dormitory once again. The musty room, the creaking floorboards, all the neglect he had suffered as an incompetent underachiever remained here. It had been a long time since Jaehyun had experienced this feeling. Rather than tonight, he figured he'll check his room after class tomorrow. The next morning, the students had already gathered in the equipment room. Hello, everyone in the mage class. My name is Jeon Kim, and I'm the main instructor for the Foundations of Mana Adaptation 1 course. Jaehyun had almost forgotten her face. He had no memory of her from his previous life. Perhaps it was because he was in the brawler class at the time, and Jeon Kim had left Miles Academy shortly after. This was understandable. Being an instructor at Miles Academy was no easy task, a fact most Awakened agreed on. Of course, there were exceptions, like Suki Kim, who stayed at Miles Academy because he was obsessed with Jane Guzmani. Alright, everyone, please be quiet. You may have some questions about why our first class is not in a classroom but at a large facility like this. The reason is simple. Today, I will be testing everyone's mana sensitivity. The door behind Jeon Kim emitted mana similar to that of the mana cube, which scared many students, but Jaehyun had already noticed the difference between the two. The mana concentration behind these doors was much weaker than that of the mana cube. The device before you is called the mana room. It's a customized version of the mana cube used in guilds. For students like you, conquering the mana cube is almost impossible, so we at Miles Academy have prepared this for you. It consists of multiple small rooms. The mana concentration in the first room is similar to the air, and it naturally gets stronger as you go further. Generally, freshmen can last until the 3rd stage, and graduates can last until about the 7th stage. This class is for you to confirm how much mana concentration you can handle. A mana room? Then I can find out what level I'm at. All students, please form a line and follow me. If you experience any abnormalities during the process, please raise your hand immediately, and the teaching assistants will take you out. Now, the test officially begins. The mana concentration in the first room was similar to the air, and no student who could enter Miles Academy would feel uncomfortable. But in each subsequent room, the mana concentration would continue to increase. Starting from the second room, some students could no longer withstand the mana concentration and left the mana room with the help of teaching assistants. By the third room, more and more students couldn't take the pressure. The third room was about the average level for freshmen, and by now, nearly half of them had given up. By the fifth room, there were very few students left. Are you having trouble breathing? I'm okay. Seeing that Jaehyun could easily handle the mana concentration in the room, Ina Seo secretly resolved to work even harder. By the sixth room, only 4 students remained. They were all among the top performers in the freshman hunt. Jeon Kim sighed inwardly. Jane Gu had a reason to ask her to pay attention to Jaehyun, but she had no intention of obediently following Jane Gu's orders. We are now entering the 7th room. Everyone must remember, if you feel any discomfort, you must raise your hand immediately. The 7th room was already at the level of a graduate. Next, we're entering the 8th room. Is any student feeling unwell? Seeing the composed expressions on everyone's faces, Jeon Kim took the lead and walked into the 8th room. Look, they actually went to the 8th room. After entering the 8th room, Yu Jong Kim and Suyok Lee were the first to show signs of discomfort. In contrast, Jaehyun remained as composed as ever. From here on, the mana concentration inside the device changed constantly, just like in a dungeon. Even for a genius, it would become difficult from here on. Meanwhile, Ina Seo was already having a hard time. Next, we will enter the 9th room. Almost at the moment of stepping into the room, Ina Seo's body could no longer take it. Jaehyun, who entered the room right after, quickly called her name. Jeon Kim heard the sound and immediately turned around. Instructor Jeon Kim, remember, no matter what happens to the students, you cannot lend a hand. A crisis is also an opportunity for the students. If you take the opportunity away from them, they will be very heartbroken. Ina, are you okay? It's nothing. I can still go on. But Ina Seo's vision was already blurry. It was just her heart telling her that she absolutely could not lose. This was a world where only the strong could survive. So what if she had a talent for magic? She still had to be subservient to the brawler class. If she couldn't get recognized here, there was nowhere else she could be recognized. I lost again. In the end, Ina Seo was carried out by the teaching assistants on a stretcher. However, Jaehyun disagreed that it was a loss, acknowledging her capabilities instead. After Ina Seo left, Jaehyun entered the 10th room without looking back. Even for Jeon Kim, it would be difficult to breathe from here on. But when she entered, she found that Jaehyun still looked as calm as a breeze. I can't take it anymore either. I'll stop here. Then come out with me, this way. Jeon Kim knew very well that what Jaehyun had just said was definitely not the truth, because because he looked even more relaxed than her. Student Jaehyun actually broke through the 10th stage of the mana room. This means he has reached the level of a B-grade raider, or rather, he has the potential to reach an even higher level. Everyone else should also work hard to catch up with him soon. Are you okay now, Ina? Sorry for worrying you. They said it's just a common case of mana poisoning. What about you, Jaehyun? You seemed quite unfazed. I'm fine, but can you take off the towel around your neck first? That's what you say to me after I was worried about you. By the way, are you feeling better now, Yoo-jong? Are you uncomfortable at all? I'm feeling just fine. After asking Yoo-jong Kim, Jaehyun glanced at Ina Seo again. He had thought that Ina Seo was just very competitive, but after what just happened, he realized that Ina Seo was clearly forcing herself. Although she wasn't injured this time, her personality would be very troublesome to manage in the future. Although Jaehyun didn't want to control their destinies, with his intervention, their futures had indeed begun to change, so it was highly likely that Ina Seo's future would also change. Of course, Yoo-jong Kim would also not die prematurely in the academy like in her past life. What are you looking at me for? Is it because I'm too beautiful? Are you really okay? From what you're saying, you seem to be quite sick. Jaehyun didn't know how much impact his actions would have on the future, but the current situation was constantly changing. To stay one step ahead, Jaehyun had to prepare in advance. What were you muttering about just now? Say something I can understand. To avoid getting Yoo-jong Kim involved, Jaehyun had to divert her attention, so he put the towel on Yoo-jong Kim's head and rubbed it vigorously. When he took the towel away, Yoo-jong Kim's hair had turned into a bird's nest. You damn stinking kid. I spent so much time on this hairstyle this morning. It doesn't make a difference whether you style your hair or not anyway. So you're saying I'm ugly now? Jaehyun realized he had said the wrong thing and immediately ran away. I'm the one who should be going to the infirmary. Why does it feel like Jaehyun will be hurt more? However, a trace of envy still flickered in Ina Seo's eyes. They must actually be really close friends. Meanwhile, Soo-hyuk Lee was also watching the two of them playing. He couldn't understand how Jaehyun had managed to break through the 10th stage of the mana room. Soo-hyuk Lee, what are you thinking about over there by yourself? Minsu, what do you know about that guy? Tell me everything. You don't know who Jaehyun is? Soo-hyuk, analyzing the strength of other students is essential. That kid is the first mage class student to win first place in the freshman hunt. I know all of that. I'm asking where this kid came from, but Minsu didn't know about this either. I feel like there's something strange about him. He's definitely hiding something. Minsu still hadn't gotten used to Soo-hyuk Lee's changes. You don't think he's cheating, do you? It's impossible for anyone to be stronger than me without cheating. Hearing this, Minsu felt an inward awkwardness, because Soo-hyuk Lee had actually been surpassed by Ina Seo and Yoo-jong Kim as well. Don't cause trouble this time. Even if you go all out, you won't be able to beat Jaehyun. But before he could finish, Soo-hyuk Lee had already left. He's so pretentious. Soo-hyuk Lee, wait for me. Let's go together. Later that night, back in Jaehyun's dorm, you contacted me. You must be wanting to hear about my results in the freshman hunt, right? That's right. It's more interesting to hear it from you personally. You should have already predicted the result. I got first place. Our Jaehyun is truly remarkable. Is manager Seonji with you? He's all happy hearing you say that. No wonder you're living in such a good environment even though you're a freshman. It seems you've earned a lot of points. It's notoriously difficult to survive at Miles Academy. You've had a successful start, and as your teacher, I'm very proud. That's great. I was worried you would scold me if I got second. Did you encounter any particularly outstanding students in the freshman hunt? Are you looking to recruit some talent? I'm considering it. Yes. If you can provide information, I will also give you a corresponding reward. Providing information is not difficult, but for you to also give me a reward is a bit too generous, isn't it? Because I know that in a little while, I won't be able to hire those people for twice or even 10 times this reward. Then I'll tell you, Ina Seo and Yoo-jong Kim from the mage class, and Hoyeon from the brawler class. These three are all talents worth recruiting for the Lotus Guild. Besides these freshmen, I also know of a very good talent among the upperclassmen, and that person is Jae-sang Lee. I know this person too. Isn't he the youngest son of the S-grade raider Jason? That child's talent is not as good as his older brothers, so he's not given much attention in the family. But even so, family is family. If we poach him for the Lotus Guild, it might cause friction with the Wind God Guild where Jason is. Do you think it's necessary for us to take the risk to recruit that child? I think it's very necessary. In the near future, he will become the top alchemist in the world. Will you welcome his joining? With your guarantee? Of course I will. Then I'll hang up first. Okay, see you next time. After chatting with Jaehyun, Song-Yu's mood clearly improved. Guildmaster, Jaehyun Beck has arrived. Please let her in. Under Yeonju's guidance, a blonde woman walked into the room. After Jaehyun Beck entered, Yeonju immediately gestured to Seonji. You're quite punctual. For us business people, time is money. It's been a long time. Guildmaster Song-Yu, I don't think we're close enough to be happy to see each other. Please have a seat. Thank you for your hospitality. What business does the Guildmaster of the Curator Guild have with me? Getting straight to the point. If you ask like that, our relationship really can't get any better. But I don't hate this kind of relationship. After all, it saves time. What is your business? I heard that the Lotus Guild has recently been focusing on cultivating a talent. About that child, why don't you name a price? As soon as these words were spoken, the room instantly fell silent. I'm sorry, I have never thought of using a member of the Lotus Guild as a money-making tool. Do you think that child thinks the same way? There are many things in the world that money can't buy. You just don't know it yet. As a merchant, Jahyun Beck paid no mind to these words. I never thought you would accept my proposal anyway. I was just thinking that out of courtesy, I should come and tell you first, but your so-called courtesy really annoys me. In that case, what a pity. Seeing as you don't want to talk to me anymore, and it's getting late, I'll be leaving now. At least you're good at reading people. Of course, this is a basic skill for me as a merchant. The next day in the Miles Academy, Jahyun and the others were also facing their physical fitness tests. Everyone was looking at the upcoming test results. Jahyun wondered what level he could reach in this life. Soon, the physical fitness test results appeared before everyone. Seeing the results, Jahyun felt a little disappointed. As expected, I still can't compare to a brawler class genius. Although he didn't need to be too anxious, it was a fact that he still couldn't achieve his goal now. Jahyun silently glanced at Hoyan standing beside him, and finally left alone. What's wrong with you? You're a mage class raider. How can you be ranked second only to Hoyan? And this is a physical fitness test. How does that make sense? It's not that strange. I was originally in the brawler class. You shouldn't just focus on magic. Your body is the capital for revolution. You just wait, you cocky punk. One day I'm going to beat you up. After this test, Suki Kim also realized Jahyun's danger, because generally, it was absolutely impossible for a mage class to have this kind of physical fitness. From now on, we will conduct a second physical fitness test, the evasive skills test in the AR room. This test was to measure the students' abilities and at the same time let them know their limits. This is the legendary AR test room, and it's also where the top technology of our Miles Academy is gathered. You will be conducting an evasion test here. Simply put, we will construct super realistic virtual enemies for the students to fight, thereby improving your practical combat abilities. Originally, you were supposed to deal with virtual monsters made of drones, but since this is just a physical fitness test, we will only simply evaluate your evasion abilities. Of course, if you can defeat the monsters, we will give you a higher score. Although Jahyun was dissatisfied with him, what Suki Kim said was correct, because a raider's basic job was to hunt monsters. A raider with insufficient attack power was not a successful raider. Saying this, Suki Kim distributed the items in his hand to the students. What is this thing that looks like an earphone? This is a receiver, used to assist the combat system and enhance the sense of reality. You're right, student Jahyun knows a lot. This thing can stimulate the brain, making people feel that the enemies constructed by the projector are real. AR combat uses drones to make monsters appear in front of you. The biggest significance of this device is its safety. Although they are monsters, they are virtual, so no one will get hurt. The receiver can stimulate brain waves and transmit about 1/5 of the enemy's attack damage. The reason for this is not to harm the students, but to hope to bring them appropriate tension, thereby increasing their survival rate in dungeons. This AR system has a total of 100 stages, but today's test will only go up to the 10th stage. The test will be conducted in groups of 4. The students whose names are called will form a group and then take the test in order. Jahyun and Suyak Lee were assigned to the third group together. Most of the members in each group consisted of 2 brawler class students and 2 mage class students, and the strength of each group was relatively balanced. Suyak Lee walked straight towards Jahyun. You're that guy named Jahyun, right? I heard you got first place in the freshman hunt. I still can't understand how a mage class student could get first. I think there must be some special reason for this. What if I say there's no such thing? Then I'll have to find out for myself. Even if I have to use force, I will definitely find out the truth. Why don't you just state your purpose from the beginning? Just say you want to fight me. You're quite straightforward. That's exactly what I had in mind. The remaining 2 brawler class students were at a loss. After all, they were members of the same group, so they still felt they should ease the tension between the two. Next is Group 3. Students from Group 3, please get on stage quickly. Hearing Suki Kim's words, Jahyun immediately walked towards the AR equipment. Although Suyak Lee was dissatisfied, the test still had to take priority. The first stage's enemies were skeletal soldiers. The moment the monsters appeared, Suyak Lee retreated to the back of the team. No one expected Jahyun to charge straight at the monsters. The 2 brawler class members wanted to call Jahyun back. After all, a mage class charging to the front was no different from suicide. In fact, Jahyun was also curious why someone still dared to provoke him at this point. To reduce unnecessary trouble in the future, he had to show off a little here. With a single punch from Jahyun, the skeletal soldier was instantly killed. This scene was something no one had expected. Even Yujong Kim and Ina Seo outside the field were shocked. Then, more skeletal soldiers appeared, but without exception, these monsters were all killed by Jahyun with a single hit. It turned out this was an active skill Jahyun had learned, Mana Weapon, a special skill that is incompatible with an ordinary mage, because it only increases a mage's physical damage, so it was useless to other mages. But for Jahyun, it could greatly increase his combat power. Suyak Lee was left speechless with Jahyun's display of power. Having cleared the stage on his own, Jahyun gained additional points, as the second stage started right after, summoning a Draugr, just like the ones he fought before. Relying on this method, Jahyun perfectly passed the 10 stages of the AR evasion test and even broke the record for the shortest time. Suyak Lee could not believe any of this, but all of this was thanks to Song Eun-yu's teachings, altering his battle tactics to suit him better. Although every time she taught, thought. Soon you gave Jaehyun a chilling feeling from her excitement, but it was effective nonetheless. What kind of trick did you pull? You saw it all with your own eyes, right? You, a mage, charging to the front is one thing, but you swept away all the enemies by yourself. Who would believe such a thing? It's absolutely impossible without cheating. No matter what you say, I'll still say the same thing. You saw it all with your own eyes. But Soo-hyuk Lee scoffed, still in disbelief. I don't want to repeat myself a third time. If you're really that curious, how about I show you my skills right now? Soo-hyuk Lee was already blinded by anger and was about to use magic on Jaehyun. You too, what's going on? Hearing the instructor's scolding, Soo-hyuk Lee immediately calmed down. If he was expelled for fighting, it would not be worth it. Seeing that Soo-hyuk Lee had no intention of fighting, Jaehyun turned and left. Don't think you've already won. Well, I definitely didn't lose to you. At the Miles Academy Festival, we'll have a showdown. I will not fight you at the Miles Academy Festival. Soo-hyuk Lee thought Jaehyun was looking down on him and immediately frowned. I already have plans for that day. With this farce over, the second day's classes also ended. Hoi-yeon lay in bed, recalling everything that had happened today. He knew that the person who had agreed to a showdown with Jaehyun at the Miles Academy Festival was himself. He was happy that Jaehyun saw him as a rival. Now is not the time to rest. I need to intensify my training. I can't let him down then. Meanwhile, in the academy, Suki Kim was escorting two mysterious individuals. Did you see the results of this physical fitness test? I did. I was proctor. This year's freshmen are really something. That mage class student named Jaehyun even broke the record for the shortest time in the physical fitness test. Suki Kim knew very well that Jaehyun was not just exceptionally capable. As a mage class student, the proficiency he showed had already surpassed that of many raiders. Before long, they arrived at Jae-in-gu's office. Good work on today's physical fitness test. Tell me the results of this test quickly. A total of 3 students received full marks this time: Hoi-yeon, Yuan-cha, and Jaehyun. Among them, Jaehyun's performance was particularly outstanding. Continue to monitor Jaehyun's actions and achievements and report them to me. If he does anything strange, tell me immediately. I'm relieved to have you around, Instructor Suki Kim. That's all for today. Instructors, go back and prepare for the next event. Jaehyun, what other surprises can you bring me? After class, he even perfectly cleared the 27th stage of the evasion test. It seems like this is my current limit. This level was already equivalent to 6 C-grade raiders. However, he still had to prepare for the next event, what was once called the Dungeon Practicum Incident. The upcoming Dungeon Practicum was a great shame in the history of Miles Academy, and also a tragic event that cost innocent students their lives. Jaehyun from his previous life was at the center of this tragedy, and in the end, he was the only survivor of his team. Everyone told him, it would have been better if you had died. But even suffering such abuse, Jaehyun could not leave Miles Academy because he could not disappoint the people who trusted him. He who could not protect anyone in the past, living a life like a disposable item. So Jaehyun did not want to repeat his mistakes. Time passed to the day before entering the dungeon, as the class was just ending. Jaehyun, do you want to go with us? Every time he saw these two, Jaehyun's tense nerves would have a chance to breathe. I feel so nervous about tomorrow. I've never practiced in a dungeon before. I haven't slept well since yesterday either. It's okay. Everyone is like this the first time they enter a dungeon. What are you talking about? Listening to you, it sounds like it's not your first time in a dungeon. I haven't been to a dungeon, but I've seen monsters a few times. Isn't there a monster right next to me now? Hearing this, Yoo-jong Kim immediately pounced on Jaehyun and beat him. What nonsense are you spouting, you stinking kid? The usually cold-tempered Ina Seo watched the two of them from the side. She was actually quite envious of their relationship. Even just being with them, Ina Seo could feel warmth in her heart. If you're really that worried, take this with you. What's this? Is it a potion you bought? I bought it for you when I bought my own. Don't hesitate to use it. With this, the two thanked Jaehyun for his gift. Jaehyun knew very well that he had survived by luck in his previous life, but this time, he would rely on his own strength. Time quickly came to the day of the dungeon practicum. Jaehyun started his warm-up activities early in the morning. Even a mage with super strong mana could suffer a mana rebound from suddenly overusing high-level magic, which would cause great damage to the user's body. And Jaehyun's chain lightning and sacrifice were both high-level skills, so he started running magic early in the morning to warm up. Moreover, in this dungeon practicum, it was unknown what kind of danger he would encounter. Anyone could die in there. Jaehyun suddenly discovered that if he condensed mana in his dantian in advance, he could immediately use it to strengthen his body or magic when needed. Just then, the Nornir system suddenly appeared without any warning. This was a main quest the Nornir system gave Jaehyun. From here on out, you will have to decide whether you will choose the same paths as before or choose differently this time. The choice is yours. The Nornir system did not display the difficulty, the rewards, nor the penalty for failure. Jaehyun didn't understand what these words meant, but one thing was certain. The Nornir system wanted Jaehyun to grow to help them achieve their goals. But Jaehyun couldn't understand this mission and choice at all. Soon, everyone arrived at the dungeon practicum. This dungeon practicum will have random groupings. People in the same group must work together to clear the dungeon. Hearing these words, the students immediately began to discuss, because this grouping method was very unfair. If they met strong teammates, they could easily pass, but if they were unlucky, a whole group might be weak. But Jeon Kim quickly raised her hand to to signal everyone to be quiet. This dungeon practicum is a real test, and the results will be counted in the final grade. In the dungeon practicum, only low-level monsters of a level comparable to yours will appear. I hope everyone will do their best to complete this test. But Jaehyun knew very well that this was just a trap set by Jang-gu. Although most of the monsters here were indeed low-level, according to Jaehyun's experience from his previous life, there were also some boss-level monsters mixed in. With Jaehyun's current level, the D-grade boss, the Kobold Lord, was no match for him, but he didn't want Jang-gu's plan to go smoothly. Moreover, in this event, Jang-gu had already revealed his hand, which might be a chance to give him a fatal blow. Time is almost up. Let's start the random grouping now. Students whose names are called, please step forward and draw lots here. Under Jeong Kim's organization, the grouping quickly finished. Jaehyun and Ina Seo were lucky enough to be in the same group. Great, there's a familiar face in the same group. Ina Seo blushed and nodded, saying nothing. For Jaehyun, this was indeed good news, because Ina Seo's strength was guaranteed. Just then, the remaining two members of the group came over. The moment he turned around, Jaehyun couldn't believe his eyes. Hello, I'm Gina Kim from the Brawler class. I'm Songwoo Park from the Brawler class. We're both members of Group 3. Please take care of us. And the ones who had stood in front of Jaehyun in his previous life were Gina Kim and Songwoo Park. Only then did Jaehyun understand the mission the Nornir system had given him. This was the choice laid before him. The two people who had saved Jaehyun's life in his past life were now his teammates once again. Only then did Jaehyun understand the Nornir system's intentions. Looking at the two of them, a strange emotion welled up in Jaehyun's heart. Nice to meet you. I'm Jaehyun from the mage class, and this is Ina Seo, also from the mage class. She's a bit shy, so I'll greet you on her behalf. We'll be counting on you in a bit. It's okay, we're all teammates. We'll get to know each other soon. We're easy to get along with, so just relax. Seeing them like this, Jaehyun felt a little happy inside. They were always like this, so enthusiastic towards everyone. Since we all know each other now, let's make a battle plan first. After a unanimous recommendation, Jaehyun was ultimately appointed as the team's captain. In the following time, Jaehyun explained several common battle plans to them. Everyone must remember, no matter what appears in the dungeon, you must not waver, especially the brawler class in the front. If you waver, this team is finished. As expected of the first place in the freshman hunt, the details of this plan are no joke. There are 6 plans in total, right? I've memorized them all. The preparation time is over. All team captains and members, please come to the front and assemble. Hearing this, Jaehyun quickly searched for Yujong Kim in the crowd. Seeing that she was in a team with Hoyeon, Jaehyun also felt relieved. Once your team is ready, please head to your assigned dungeon, and let's hope for a successful raid from everyone. Shall we head on in, everyone? The next group to enter the dungeon was Hoyeon's. They adopted a 1-2-1 formation. Since it was their first time in a dungeon, everyone was more or less nervous. Since it's a mining type dungeon, there should be kobolds here, right? There should be, and there should also be a lot of ore here. Then there should be diamonds here too, right? If we look carefully, maybe we can. Something's approaching. Everyone, hold your formations. Yujong Kim immediately entered a combat-ready state. The other two trembled with fear. Their enemies were a group of ordinary kobolds. In the narrow mine, the 4 of them were still surrounded by monsters. Although these monsters were weak, they were difficult to deal with if there were too many of them. We have to make this quick. Saying this, Hoyeon charged out first. Yujong Kim also didn't hesitate and immediately began to chant a spell, Flash Bomb. In an instant, a powerful light burst forth in the mine. The kobolds, who were used to the dark environment, all lost their vision. Hoyeon, who had charged into the monster group, took the opportunity to reap their lives, but he soon discovered that the remaining 2 members of the team had been attacked by kobolds. Wind of Helheim, heed my call. With Yujong Kim's use of the skill Air Blast, the kobolds attacking their teammates were all killed. After dealing with the monsters, Hoyeon immediately began to ask about his teammates' physical condition. They found that Seho, the brawler class member, was kneeling on the ground, coughing non-stop. Logically, kobolds didn't use poison, so they didn't understand what had happened. Just then, a huge kobold foot appeared in front of them. Seho isn't poisoned. This is mana poisoning. There's terrifying mana around us now. Hoyeon also couldn't understand why the kobold lord would appear here. Meanwhile, with Jaehyun's group, I didn't expect you to be so strong. Jaehyun, you took care of several monsters by yourself. It's nothing. It was easy to deal with. While everyone was chatting enthusiastically, Ina Seo remained silent. Jaehyun also noticed her situation and silently walked over to her side. You're still not used to being with other people, are you? Ina Seo nodded silently. Jaehyun hadn't expected Ina Seo to be this shy. In his previous life, there were rumors that Ina Seo never spoke more than 3 words at a time. At this moment, Songwoo Park, who was walking in front, suddenly stopped. It turned out they had reached a big chamber. In Jaehyun's memory from his previous life, there was no such thing. He immediately understood that this must be Jang-gu's doing, but the next second, he felt a powerful mana. The source of this mana was the Kobold Lord that had thrown him into the center of the tragedy. Something's coming towards us. Execute Plan C. Adopt a defense then counterattack tactic. It's different from our previous opponents. Everyone, be careful. Songwoo Park was very confused. Was there a stronger enemy here? Didn't the instructor say there were only low-level monsters here? A violent explosion suddenly occurred in front of them, and then the figure of the Kobold Kobold Lord appeared. Is that the Kobold Lord? Why is there a boss-level monster here? Ina Seo's first reaction was also to retreat, but she remembered Jaehyun's previous reminder: if the brawler class in the front wavers, then this team is finished. So she said nothing and put magic armor on the two of them. The moment the magic barrier appeared, Manhwa Park also reacted quickly and immediately released a taunt skill to attract the surrounding minions. Seeing that everyone had calmed down, Jaehyun immediately charged towards the Kobold Lord, reaching it in the blink of an eye. Jaehyun used mana weapon without hesitation. With a loud boom, the mine was immediately filled with dust. Although she had seen Jaehyun use this skill before, its powerful force still surprised Ina Seo. But as the dust settled, its eyes reflected in the fog. I figured something like this would happen, but Jaehyun never expected to encounter a regenerating Kobold Lord. Just with this ability, the difficulty of defeating the Kobold Lord would be greatly increased. Just then, the Nornir system detected that the entity behind the Kobold Lord was one of Odin's crows, and immediately issued the Crow Hunter mission to Jaehyun. Please eliminate all of Odin's crows that are suppressing you and the opponents of the Aesir. For every crow defeated, Jaehyun would receive a blank card. When all the crows were dealt with, Jaehyun's rank would be promoted. Meanwhile, outside the dungeons, instructor Jeon Kim was completely unaware of this matter. She was still watching Jaehyun's previous battle recordings. Even as an A-grade raider, she couldn't fight like Jaehyun, so she thought that this dungeon practicum would most likely be won by Jaehyun's team. But just then, a dungeon practicum door suddenly opened. She never expected Jaehyun to finish the test so quickly, but when she saw who it was, she couldn't help but widen her eyes. Instructor Jeon Kim, it's terrible. Something terrible has happened. What happened inside? Instructor, a Kobold Lord appeared in our dungeon. A Kobold Lord? How is that possible? Fortunately, Seho was not in serious condition, just mild mana poisoning. Jeon Kim couldn't understand what had gone wrong with this test. Instructor, haven't the members of Group 3 come out yet? Jaehyun and the others haven't come out yet. Hoyeon couldn't understand why this was happening. With Jaehyun and Iona's strength, they should have come out long ago. Reluctantly, Jeon Kim had to call Jane Gu. Guildmaster, this is Instructor Jeon Kim. Instructor Jeon Kim, what can I do for you? It has been confirmed that a B-grade monster has appeared in the dungeon practicum. Please send support as soon as possible. So that's what happened. You don't need to worry too much. I'll send a support team over right away. Please wait on the spot until the support team arrives. Although Jane Gu told her not to worry, Jeon Kim always had a bad feeling. Meanwhile, back inside the dungeon, Jaehyun and his group were still fighting the Kobold Lord. Ina Seo and Gina Kim had collapsed from exhaustion, and Manhwa Park had long since lost his ability to fight. Now, the only one who could still fight was Jaehyun, while the Kobold Lord was unharmed thanks to its self-healing ability. After the Nornir system's prompt, Jaehyun knew that things were not that simple. Odin had two crows, one named Hug-In, representing emotion and thought, and one named Mun-In, representing memory. He used these two crows to see all over the world and rule over Asgard. This is all you're doing, isn't it, you follower of Odin? The Kobold Lord in front of him had mana exceeding B grade, and also had the ability to regenerate. Such an opponent would be difficult for even Jaehyun to defeat. For Jaehyun, running away might be the best option. After all, before he regressed, running away was ideal, but at that time, he lived in regret every day. Now that he had a second chance, Jaehyun hoped that this time, he could be the one to protect them. Listen to me carefully now. I will hold this guy off. You guys get out of the dungeon quickly. What do you mean by that? How can you possibly? Before he could finish, Jaehyun had already killed the kobolds behind Manhwa Park. Just get out of here. I can't protect you and fight at the same time. Just then, the Kobold Lord appeared behind Jaehyun, swinging its massive weapon. Unfortunately, the enemy got too close already for Jaehyun. However, a mana force field manifested, blocking the attack completely. To his surprise, Ina Seo had saved Jaehyun. I can still fight. I'll stay and help you. Seeing the look in Ina Seo's eyes, Jaehyun knew he couldn't convince her. Perhaps this was a variable brought about by Jaehyun. You two go to the dungeon entrance quickly and tell Instructor Jeon Kim what's happening here. I'm begging you. Whether we can survive depends on you. We'll bring the instructor as soon as possible. You two must hold on. And so, Manhwa Park and Gina Kim left the dungeon, while Jaehyun and Ina Seo stayed behind. They needed to stall for as long as possible, or defeat the Kobold Lord with its self-healing ability. Let's do this, Ina. Don't worry, I got you covered. Holy Sword, help me eliminate the evil in the world. Almost instantly, all the kobolds were killed by Ina Seo. But at this moment, the Kobold Lord swung its mace again. Jaehyun continuously dodged its attacks with his speed advantage. Suddenly, he noticed a detail that could change the tide of the battle. The Kobold Lord's body was slowly melting. This meant that its physical body had a limit to the mana it could withstand, and the crow hiding behind it must be forcibly infusing it with mana exceeding its limit. Jaehyun equipped Mistiltine without hesitation. Mistiltine expanded Jaehyun's field of vision and provided an active skill, Detect Magic. Enough is enough. On the Kobold Lord's body in front of Jaehyun, mana threads appeared one by one, and the ends of those threads were controlled by the hand of a crow. I've finally found you. Under the crow's control, the Kobold Lord raised its mace again. It's time to end this. I'll make sure to tear you to shreds. The scene changes to Asgard. Hug-In, do you have something to report to me? Through my subordinate crows, I have discovered the whereabouts of the Mistiltine lost from the god's warehouse. So where's that thing now? In Midgard. Mistiltine is currently in the hands of the prophesied Defiant One. The Defiant One? Don't tell me it's that old fool Mimir. You're making a big deal out of nothing. We've already signed a contract with the opponents of the Aesir anyway. Thor, you're too complacent. Have you forgotten that we lost Baldur in the last war? It was that Mistiltine that killed him. Hug in. Go and check if the prophesied rebel and the opponents of the Aesir have already made contact. Your subordinate obeys Odin's command. Hyujin's appearance was none other than Jaehyun's father, Solno Min. Meanwhile, in Jae-Gu's office. So, what's the situation over there now? No one has noticed anything unusual yet. That's good. It's a good thing I borrowed that person's power in advance. Everything I do is for Odin and the Aesir. The chains of lightning reached the Kobold Lord, but the Kobold Lord was a lot stronger than normal. After one failed attack, Jaehyun had to quickly pull back. Aina, can you cover me? Keep his attacks from reaching me. I'll do my best. But Aina Seo's current condition was also very poor. They both knew one thing. Even if Jaehyun defeated the Kobold Lord, Aina Seo was very likely to die from mana rebound. So Jaehyun couldn't understand why Aina Seo would still help him. Even so, Jaehyun had a hard time starting over. He had already resolved not to trust anyone again, because this cruel world is too petty and harsh towards the weak. But now, there was only one chance before Jaehyun. He couldn't make any mistakes. Several chains of lightning once again charged towards the Kobold Lord. The Kobold Lord wanted to shatter these chains like last time, but unfortunately, Jaehyun had Aina Seo's help. The mana force field helped Jaehyun block all of the Kobold Lord's attacks. However, Aina Seo couldn't last long, so he had to make it quick, because somebody once told him, there's nothing as tragic as dying because you couldn't trust your comrades. And starting from this moment on, he wanted to prove that person was correct all along. Jaehyun managed to successfully dodge the attack. Aina Seo didn't expect Jaehyun to use chain lightning as a movement skill without superb mana control. This was absolutely impossible. Just as Jaehyun was about to clash head-on with the Kobold Lord, he suddenly manipulated the chain of lightning to get above the Kobold Lord. The Kobold Lord immediately charged up to deliver a fatal blow to Jaehyun. If Jaehyun was hit, Aina Seo's mana barrier would surely shatter instantly. Just as the mace was about to hit Jaehyun, he used the chain of lightning to propel himself into the air. Jaehyun recalled the basic swordsmanship he had practiced countless times in his past life. From the lower left to the upper right, he swung the sword vertically upwards. Multiple buffs and passive skills activated, adept swordsmanship and quick-footed all assisted on this final strike. I won't let you regenerate so easily this time. It turned out Jaehyun was aiming for the magic threads between the Kobold Lord and the crow. After cutting these threads, Jaehyun swung his sword fiercely at the Kobold Lord. The furious slash also broke Jaehyun's sword, but fortunately, it was all over. The magic thread connecting the Kobold Lord and Odin's crow had snapped. Jaehyun landed and decided to move to his next target. Alright, it's all over now. Let me have a good look at your ugly face now. As he spoke, Jaehyun used a chain of lightning to break through the rock wall beside him. Behind the rock wall, a cave was hidden, and inside it was the crow controlling the Kobold Lord. Jaehyun said nothing and stomped on it. Tell me, what is Odin trying to accomplish? But this crow remained silent. At this moment, Jaehyun noticed the necklace around its neck, so he gave the crow another hard kick. What is the relationship between Jae-Gu and Odin? Seeing that the crow was not answering, Jaehyun knew there was no point in dragging it out, so he ended the crow's life with a kick. Meanwhile, Aina Seo called out to Jaehyun, but Jaehyun suddenly felt a chill spread throughout his body. It isn't over. Be careful of the mana rebound. As they spoke, both of them were hit by a mana rebound, almost at the same time, but the chaotic mana that entered Jaehyun's body was purified by the pure mana within him due to the morning warm-up. Not only that, the amount of mana Jaehyun could control in the atmosphere also permanently increased by 5%. We're finally safe. At this moment, the Nornir system also sent Jaehyun his mission reward. After defeating a crow, he received 5 talent points and a blank card, and his level also increased by 1. Because of the level up, Jaehyun's body quickly recovered, but the Nornir system prompted him that a teammate was in a dangerous state. If they didn't receive treatment in time, the teammate would die. Soon after, Aina Seo finally opened her eyes. At this time, Jaehyun was fast asleep beside her. Aina Seo was curious about the situation and quickly woke Jaehyun up. You're awake, Aina? How are you feeling now? Aina Seo remembered clearly that she had just suffered a mana rebound, but now her stamina and mana were fully recovered. I think I'm fine now. What about you? I'm fine too. I was just a little tired and accidentally fell asleep. Then, Aina Seo looked around. Hasn't the Kobold Lord already been defeated? Why didn't you go out? I was waiting for you to wake up, because I have something to say to you. What is it? I think it's time for us to have a deep conversation here. The moment she heard this, Aina Seo's face turned red. The scene shifts to outside the dungeon. Yoo-jong Kim is scolding Songwoo Park and Gina Kim for arriving without her friends. Student Yoo-jong Kim, please calm down. I completely understand your concern for your classmates. Hoi-yeon watched all of this from the side, but there was nothing he could do. Just then, he noticed the dungeon door opening. Yoo-jong, wait a minute. Don't stop me. Look over there. The two of them are back. Are you two fighting because of us? The monitoring team had clearly said that the two of them were dead, and based on the mana from within the dungeon, their opponent was at least a B-grade boss monster. Yoo Jong Kim had burst into tears and hugged the both of them. Everyone said you were both dead already. I'm so glad you're okay. Alright, that's enough. Let us go first. Songwoo Park and Gina Kim were hesitant about approaching their teammates, but Jaehyun had noticed both their expressions. Songwoo Park, Gina Kim, thank you for believing in us. Before Songwoo Park could apologize, Jaehyun explained the situation. The two of them came out early at my request. I asked them to come out first to seek help from the instructor, so they shouldn't be blamed by everyone. Even if you say that, they can't just leave their teammates behind and come out first. If it were me, I would have done the same. So don't blame them anymore, and don't be angry at them because of me. What nonsense are you talking about? I'm not angry because of you. I'm angry because of Ina. Seeing their appearance, Jeon Kim also breathed a sigh of relief, but a seed of doubt about Jae-gu was also planted in her heart. Earlier inside the dungeon, the deep conversation was actually about Jaehyun's secret. He was the one that healed Ina Seo. I know it's confusing, but I can't explain everything just yet. I'd rather people didn't know about this ability. But why are you trying to hide it? Aren't you curious? Why didn't Kobold Lord appear in the dungeon? Why were the students in danger? That guy, Director Jae-gu, is a scumbag. He's always treated students as tools. His true face is completely different from what you see in the media. Any student he deems to have no value. He doesn't care even if they die. So you want to keep Director Jae-gu in check, and that's why you're hiding your abilities? After getting these answers, Ina Seo's thoughts were suddenly cleared up. The day we came out of the Guildmaster's office, you told me not to trust Jae-gu and the instructors. I want to know, how much do you really know about Director Jae-gu? You seem to have known from the beginning that he was a bad person, and your performance makes me feel like you knew what was going to happen. How did you know all this? Since you want to have a deep conversation with me, then answer my questions. Jaehyun knew very well that if he got Ina Seo involved, she would definitely be in mortal danger, and her magic aptitude was very high, so Jaehyun's brainwashing wouldn't work on her. Even if he told her these things, it wouldn't be enough to make Ina Seo his companion. Sorry, I can't tell you too much right now. Knowing too much will put you in danger. I hope you can understand. At this moment, Jeon Kim approached Jaehyun. My sincere apologies for not coming to rescue you in the dungeon. There's no need to apologize. It's not like you threw us into a trap on purpose. I have to go now. I'm really tired today. Can't you tell me a little more about those things? Maybe something similar will happen in the future. I believe you will keep our promise. Before Ina Seo could say anything, Jaehyun left alone. Just then, the system notified Jaehyun that he has completed the main quest, the first crossroads. Having chosen a different path from the past, he was rewarded with Aiden's golden apple. Instructor Suki Kim, you have truly disappointed me this time. I'm sorry, Guildmaster. It was my dereliction of duty this time. As my most loyal subordinate, I can forgive you once, but I will never keep useless people around. Do you understand what I mean? I will definitely not disappoint you next time. Instructor Suki Kim, you'd better keep your word. The next event, you must tame this wild Jaehyun. Don't let my patience run out. Currently, inside of Jaehyun's dormitory suite room, he has already taken a shower and relaxed. Looking at the combat suit he wore today, Jaehyun couldn't help but fall into deep thought. In the world before he regressed, Yu Jong Kim had died, and Hoyeon wasn't even half as strong as her. To change all this, Jaehyun had to intervene in their lives. But Ina Seo was different from these two. Even without Jaehyun, she could grow fully on her own. He had to be more cautious around her. After all, Jaehyun didn't know what changes he would bring to her future. But what was more important now was to find the relationship between Jae-gu and the Aesir. After all, this dungeon incident was just the beginning. More dangerous situations would surely arise in the future. To cope with these things, Jaehyun had to get stronger even more. As Jaehyun was thinking about these things, he heard a conversation on the television. Besides ordinary dungeons, there are other dungeons in this world, such as themed dungeons. The way to clear this type of dungeon is different. You have to meet certain conditions. What's special is that you can't quit midway when challenging a themed dungeon. Hearing this, Jaehyun shot up and quickly went to the calendar to check the date. If it weren't for the TV reminder, he would have almost forgotten about this. People who challenge themed dungeons will become characters in that theme. To clear it, you must meet specific conditions. Although themed dungeons are much more difficult than ordinary dungeons, the rewards they offer are often more powerful items. Raiders call these items divine allotments, which is also why raiders are so keen on challenging themed dungeons. I'll finally be able to obtain what I needed most. The scene changes to Yu Jong Kim and her group's dormitory. I'm sorry, we worried you. It's fine, as long as you two are safe. Jaehyun's personality is just a bit annoying. I was actually worried he would bully you. When we're together, he's always teasing me. Hearing this, Ina Seo was clearly a little unhappy. Did that stinking kid really bully you in the dungeon? No, it's just that Jaehyun seems to trust you a lot. Ina Seo thought to herself, if only Jaehyun could rely on her a little more. If only I could be a little stronger. Seeing Ina Seo like this, Yu Jong Kim felt a little uneasy. Let's go eat something delicious. Without that stinking kid Jaehyun, Ina Seo was a little hesitant at first, but thinking that Yu Jong Kim was doing this just to make her happy, she finally opened up to her. Meanwhile, Jaehyun was sorting out his rewards. Aiden's golden apple was a mythic-grade consumable item. Using it not only slowed the aging process and increased self-healing ability, but also increased stamina and mana by 20 points. These effects were enough to sell it for a good price, but unfortunately, it was an exclusive exclusive item and could not be traded. Fortunately, those effects were a solid enhancement for Jaehyun. In the near future, a themed dungeon will soon appear in an amusement park, and its reward is Thialfi's Thunderous Steps, the speed-enhancing divine boots once used by Thor's servant. Because of their ability to greatly increase agility, became a sought-after item for all brawler-class raiders at the time. Jaehyun had previously allocated all his talent points to mana and stamina. With this, he could just balance his various abilities, and so he took a bite of the golden apple, and the taste suddenly surprised him, for it was extremely just average. The effect of the apple was applied instantly. Jaehyun gained stamina, magic, and his natural healing had also improved. Finally, his magic aptitude had also been drastically boosted. Taking advantage of his stat increase, Jaehyun decided to challenge the themed dungeon, so he called Song-Eun-Yu. Soon after, Jaehyun arrived at the amusement park where the themed dungeon would appear. Recalling the world before he regressed, the facilities here were indeed a bit boring. "Hello, sir, which kind of ticket would you like?" Jaehyun silently handed a card to the ticket window. "I am Jaehyun Min, a raider from the Lotus Guild. A themed dungeon will be appearing here soon." At the same time, a person arrived at the foot of Jaehyun's dormitory building. "You're saying student Jaehyun has already gone out? He came to me last night to get an exit pass." Jeon Kim never thought that Jaehyun would recover so quickly after such an incident. He was just a freshman who had just enrolled. Not only was his strength outstanding, but even his speed in overcoming psychological trauma was fast. "When student Jaehyun returns, could you let him know that I'm looking for him? I'll pass the message on for you." After finishing her business, Jeon Kim left Jaehyun's dormitory. Then she went to a corner of the campus. After confirming that no one was following her, she took out a communication device. "This is Jeon Kim. Team leader Jiziak. Do you copy? I can hear you. How's your investigation going over there? I can confirm that director Jang-gu was involved in the dungeon practicum incident. The person in charge that time was Suki Kim, right? He should be in cahoots with Jang-gu. Continue to keep an eye on them. If there are any special circumstances, contact me immediately." "I understand. I have one more thing to report to you. The student I mentioned to you before, Jaehyun, he seems to know something." After Jaehyun's warning, the bustling amusement park was now completely empty. Until this moment, the broadcast was still playing an emergency evacuation notice. He never expected the name of the Lotus Guild to be so effective in clearing out the vicinity. However, Jaehyun couldn't use the Lotus Guild's name without any restrictions either. Song-Eun-Yu had set a condition for Jaehyun. "Once danger occurs, you must put your own safety first. It's not that I don't believe in your strength, but what teacher would want their student to be in danger? After all, a dungeon is an unpredictable place." Just then, the themed dungeon Neverland in Ruins appeared. Jaehyun was issued a special quest, Big 3. He has to find and complete the 3 missions inside the dungeon. By doing so, he will be rewarded with Thialfi's Thunderous Steps, and he only had 24 hours to finish the tasks. Seeing the themed dungeon appear before him, he realized it was as he remembered from before. Jaehyun also remembered the details of the mission, since the raider who cleared the themed dungeon had bragged about it in a video, flaunting her mind acceleration skill and being prideful. She was a self-proclaimed genius with an IQ of 150. Due to her personality, people got jealous and she got swept up in a veiled feud that led to her death. "I'd better make my move then." Jaehyun quickly found the first mission of the Big 3. The system asked him if he would like to attack the Vikings, and he confirmed this. With a flash of light, Jaehyun was transported into the dungeon, but just after he left, a figure appeared in front of the dungeon's entrance. Jaehyun's first mission was Thialfi's Grudge. He would transform into Thialfi, a warrior who survived the Viking invasion. Because Thor had taken a liking to Thialfi's speed, he ordered people to kidnap Thialfi's sister, Roskva, as a hostage. To pass this stage, Jaehyun needed to rescue Roskva while ensuring that both of them survived. Thialfi was Thor's servant, and he was the fastest in all the 9 worlds. Thialfi was originally immortal. Because his entire family had died at the hands of the Vikings, he deeply hated the Aesir that the Vikings believed in. But this information was completely opposite to the stories Jaehyun had read since he was a child. He wondered if this was also a difference between the Aesir system and the Nornir system. Thialfi, get a hold of yourself. Jaehyun, who had just transmigrated to this world, was still a little unaccustomed, but his memory told him that they had now seized a Viking ship and were preparing to rescue Roskva, and the person in front of him was the planner of the ship's seizure, Frederick. Just then, the 2 ships slammed into each other. The only people who could still stand firmly on the deck were Jaehyun and Frederick. They were already surrounded by Viking ships. Countless Vikings jumped onto their deck. Although he didn't know what the situation was, Jaehyun could only put finding Roskva on the back burner. "You go hide. I'll take care of this." "Wait, Thialfi, you can't possibly." Before he could finish, Jaehyun had jumped onto the enemy ship, and here, he saw an unexpected person. The person playing Roskva was actually Ahyan Seo. Jaehyun didn't know that Ahyan Seo's appearance here was a complete accident. 3 minutes before the broadcast evacuated the crowd, Ahyan Seo happened to be in the restroom. When she came out, she found that the amusement park had turned into a themed dungeon. To make matters worse, everyone except her had left in advance, so Ahyan Seo could only hope that the clearing team would arrive soon. Just then, she discovered Jaehyun preparing to clear the dungeon, so Ahyan Seo followed him all the way until she she entered the first stage of the theme dungeon, Jaehyun was in a troublesome predicament. If it were someone else involved, it would be fine, but the person who entered the dungeon was the clearer from his past life, Ahyan Seo. You fool, have a taste of arrows. Countless arrows instantly shot towards Jaehyun, but he simply activated a mana force field and blocked all of them. Why am I always surrounded by such outrageous people? Jaehyun eliminated most of the enemies with the mana weapon. Although Jaehyun was very confused, thinking on the bright side, perhaps Ahyan Seo would make it easier for him to clear the dungeon. Just then, a bald, burly man charged over. Unfortunately, Jaehyun just sidestepped to dodge his attack and then slammed a punch into the big man's face. What Jaehyun had to do now was to quickly deal with these people, then rescue Ahyan Seo and move on to the next stage. I don't have time to fool around with you. Stop wasting time. All of you come at me at once. In the blink of an eye, Jaehyun had eliminated all the enemies. Stop playing dead. Get up. Are you Roskva? You found me. Then you must be Thialfi. That's right. But speaking of which, Jaehyun slammed his fist on the spear shaft. I know what you're up to. Don't think you can test my limits with your little tricks. Ahyan Seo was too scared to say a word and could only nod obediently. With this, they successfully cleared the first mission of the Big Three and was transported back outside. After rescuing Ahyan Seo, the two returned to their starting point. Jaehyun sat in front of Ahyan Seo and just stared at her. Seeing that Jaehyun wasn't speaking, Ahyan Seo could only sit obediently. In her eyes, Jaehyun was a mage class raider with the skills of a fighter. Although he was about the same age as her, his personality was extremely annoying. Ahyan Seo couldn't understand how she had ended up with such a strange person. What did you say your skill was again? My skill improves my technique with swords. After all, at Ahyan Seo's age, very few people had mastered skills, so she thought she could bluff her way through. You probably don't have just that one skill, do you? I hate it when people lie to me. I'm not lying. It's a skill called Beginner's Sword Enhancement. Let me guess. Your skill should be called Mind Acceleration. Ahyan Seo was frozen pale. It can instantly slow down the user's perception of time, allowing for accelerated thinking during that period. Did I get the effect of your skill right? Ahyan Seo couldn't understand why Jaehyun knew the effect of her skill. Looks like I can't take you with me. You probably wanted to use me to clear this dungeon, right? Do you think I'm an ignorant fool? Jaehyun turned and walked away after speaking. I was wrong. You're right about everything. Please don't leave me alone. How am I supposed to trust you? I'll do anything you ask me to do now. Really? Then let's sign a contract. Hearing this, Ahyan Seo panicked. She never expected Jaehyun to have such a skill. After signing the contract, Ahyan Seo could not do anything to harm Jaehyun and had to obey his orders until the dungeon was cleared, and the content of the contract also had to be kept secret. In return, Jaehyun would protect her safety until the dungeon was cleared. It turned out this was a subordination skill that came from the brainwash skill, which allowed him to gain some control by signing a contract. For Jaehyun, this was the most effective way to tame Ahyan Seo. Since it had come to this, Ahyan Seo could only sign the contract, and so Ahyan Seo became Jaehyun's subordinate. But even after the quest is over, this status would still remain. The conditions I offered are pretty good, right? I didn't even take over your mind. Of course, if you want to stay here by yourself, you can break the contract at any time. I will work hard. Please don't leave me behind. Meanwhile, in Hell's Sanctum, it seems that Child of Defiance is working hard. Those greedy Aesir, their gazes have become more focused on him. If I leave now, they will surely cause trouble. What should I do? That's why I need you to be my eyes. Hela, help me watch over the Defiant One's growth. We must buy some more time for the Defiant One to fully grow. At this moment, back in the theme dungeon, Ahyan Seo was curious where they were going next. The haunted house. We have to go there first. Seeing Ahyan Seo's reaction, Jaehyun was a little surprised. Are you scared? How could I be scared? Who's scared of that kind of thing anymore? There seems to be one scared person here. I told you I'm not scared. It's good that you're not scared. We have to go in. However, the expression on Ahyan Seo's face had already betrayed her. Wait, walking over is too tiring. I need to rest first. Unfortunately, the two were teleported to the second stage. They arrived at a horrifying mansion. They needed to leave this mansion without violating the 3 rules, and their skills have been partially sealed. What's your role this time? I seem to be a camera woman. What about you? I seem to be a haunted house exploration streamer. It's been a long time since we've had guests here. Greetings, esteemed guests. My name is Alfred, and I am the butler who serves the master of this mansion, Countess Flandier. Today, I have been ordered by the Countess to receive you too. They had received an invitation from Countess Flandier, but there was a dark and malicious secret hidden here. They needed to use a camera to record all the truths, uncover the secrets here, and escape. Please come in. The Countess instructed me to entertain you too well. You two have come from afar and must be hungry. I will take you to the dining room first. Jaehyun noticed the vase as soon as he entered. On it was written, "To the most beautiful and most foolish girl." Wow, that painting is so beautiful. Following Ahyan Seo's gaze, the painting was of a little girl and a golden retriever. This is the master of this mansion, Lady Flandier, and her beloved dog, Sean's portrait. To hang a portrait here, it seems her childhood memories mean a lot to her. Naturally, she has preserved many of her childhood memories. They are like a dream, very happy memories. Looking at the butler's appearance, the two of them felt a chill run down their spines. This way, please. Saying this, the butler continued to lead the two of them. Jaehyun knew he had to be on on his guard now. The previous mission had explained the context, but now it was different. All the events and secrets here had to be explored by Jaehyun himself. Are you okay? You said you weren't scared of ghosts, but it was all a lie. I'm just not used to it yet. Give me some time to get used to it. Just then, the butler walking in front of them suddenly stopped. This is it. This is the dinner Countess Flandier has prepared for you. Please enjoy your meal. I will come back when you have finished. The butler closed the door and left after speaking. The two of them knew very well that this meal was not to be eaten. We should hurry up and go to other places while the butler is away. Wait, before that, we need to get some information here. Then, Ahai Seo activated the skill Mind Acceleration. Almost instantly, her eyes scanned all the items in the room, and then her brain analyzed this information. I figured some things out about this mansion. Although Jaehyun was surprised, he still pretended to be calm. Then tell me, the owner of this mansion should be a child, and she is very small. The chairs in the living room are clues. The master's seat is higher than the other chairs, which means the owner of the mansion is much shorter than others. The cabinets in the living room are all very low, and only the handles on the bottom have dust accumulated on them. After Ahai and Seo's explanation, Jaehyun also understood why he had been feeling strange. Then let's go to other places to look for more clues. By the way, this camera is quite expensive. It would be great if we could take it out. Aren't you leaving? What are you doing standing there? Now is not the time for idle chat. We're trapped here. At this moment, 2 hours had passed since the themed dungeon appeared. The amusement park entrance was already surrounded by reporters and staff. Due to the nature of the themed dungeon, rescue personnel could only wait outside. I was about to get a promotion, and then this shit happened. Who would have thought a themed dungeon would suddenly appear in an amusement park? You'll see, the public's rating of us will definitely drop. Even you, who just got promoted because of the goblin incident, will probably be demoted this time. Looks like we're going to be the scapegoats again. Let's confirm the information of the two people who got caught in it first. When Jaehyun Park saw the information, he was stunned. The Lotus Guild raider who had entered the dungeon was Jaehyun. Jaehyun Park had heard that Jaehyun had gone to Miles Academy for further studies, but he never expected Jaehyun to join the Lotus Guild so quickly. What's wrong? Don't tell me it's not two people who got caught, but three? No, this themed dungeon might actually be successfully cleared. Although the two had only met once, Jaehyun's powerful strength had left a deep impression on Jaehyun Park. Meanwhile, in the themed dungeon, Ahai and Seo's mood hit rock bottom after learning she was trapped. What if we're trapped here forever? Calm down. This is a dungeon. There must be a way out. There's no such thing as a dungeon you can't escape from. Then I'll go check the situation over there. Jaehyun could feel that the owner of the mansion was not very friendly to them. Although Jaehyun could force the door open with brute force, Ahai and Seo had cleared this stage alone in her past life, which meant that this stage did not require high strength, so there must be some information hidden here. Come and look at this. This camera seems a bit strange. I swear if you're making a fuss over nothing again. But the moment Jaehyun saw the camera, he froze. The image in the camera revealed a dead Alfred. The butler who led us just now was fake. The first mystery of the mansion, Alfred's secret, 70% complete. Jaehyun knew that this meant that they were on the right track. It seems this camera can capture things we can't see with the naked eye. Is that why a camera woman role was specifically added? This camera is the key to solving the mystery. Jaehyun had been wondering how the timid Ahai and Seo had managed to clear the dungeon. Now it seemed that she was very calm when she was thinking. The key now is what exactly the camera is showing. If that Alfred was fake, then the scene in the image should be either the past or the present. That makes a lot of sense. Since the dungeon is about solving the mansion's secrets, there's no reason to show what will happen in the future, which means the image from the camera is the mansion's past. For a moment, Ahai and Seo's tears were about to fall from fear, so the food on the table was not prepared for us to enjoy. Jaehyun suddenly thought of something regarding the dead Alfred on the table. To verify his guess, he threw the camera to Ahai and Seo. From the beginning, Jaehyun had been able to feel a faint mana, so he guessed that everything here was an illusion, a trap occasionally set up in dungeons. Jaehyun planned to use absolute calculation to break the magic here, but to his surprise, absolute calculation seemed to be interfered with and failed to activate because it was not permitted in this place. Jaehyun guessed it might be because of the themed dungeon. At this moment, he noticed Ahai and Seo on the ground, seemingly looking for something. Ahai and Seo guessed that the mechanism to open the door might be hidden. What's in front of us is food, and what the camera shows is Alfred. This is the only difference. From the current situation, the clue to escape must be here. Hearing Ahai and Seo's analysis, Jaehyun immediately had an idea. He immediately activated another skill, Detect Magic. Sure enough, he felt a mana fluctuation on the pudding. Prohibitive magic, fundamentally, needs to be attached to other objects or operation. To dispel this kind of magic, you just need to clear away the object or operation it is attached to. The key to leaving here is in that pudding. Hearing this, Ahai and Seo fell silent because that location was where Alfred's head was. Are you scared now? I'm not. I'll go. Saying this, Ahai and Seo rolled up her sleeves and reached for the pudding. After some fumbling, she indeed found the key. They successfully uncovered the mansion's second secret, a prohibitive spell, illusion. As such, they would receive an additional reward. They didn't know that Alfred was silently watching them at this moment. It seems the guests are not satisfied with the meal I prepared. Guests must not be neglected. Isn't that right? As a butler, I will absolutely not let the countess down. Meanwhile, Jaehyun and Ahai and Seo had already left the dining room. Ahai and Seo was observing the surroundings with the camera all the way. The images that appeared in the camera were, without exception, a complete mess. But at this moment, Jaehyun, who was walking in front, stopped. This seems to be the guest room, right? Since it's for guests, the next step after dinner should be the guest room. And the bloodstains also point here. There should be no other choice. Then let's go into our respective rooms and look for clues first. Are we really going in? We have to clear the dungeon. Do you want to be trapped here for the rest of your life? Ahai and Seo reluctantly said no. Shut up and search the guest rooms. If anything happens, call me immediately. And so, the two of them entered their respective rooms. Besides being particularly gloomy, there seemed to be nothing unusual in the rooms. Looks like we need to find more clues. At this moment, a long dress had appeared behind him. Sensing something was wrong, Jaehyun immediately turned around. A girl was standing at the far end of the room. The girl was the same as the portrait at the entrance, with long golden hair. Just then, the girl suddenly pointed at Jaehyun. It turned out Alfred had quietly appeared behind him. In a daze, Jaehyun felt a red shadow in front of him. Startled, Jaehyun's eyes flew open. Jaehyun, are you awake now? My head still hurts. Please be quiet. Although Jaehyun had anticipated a possible attack, he never expected to not even have a chance to fight back. He guessed this might also be part of the dungeon's plot. I used mind acceleration to check the situation here. There's a lot of moss. The air is extremely humid, and there are traces of torture everywhere. It should be an underground prison. Why would the Countess mansion have such a place? It's really creepy. In that case, the key should be hidden somewhere here. As he spoke, Jaehyun slammed his fist on the prison's iron gate. Fortunately, he had just used a silencing spell, so he didn't attract the butler. Let's try to be quiet. It would be troublesome if Alfred noticed us. And smashing the whole thing was your solution? You have time to talk nonsense. You might as well think about how to escape from here. Just then, Jaehyun suddenly heard a dog bark. A fat little dog pounced into Jaehyun's arms. Jaehyun was curious why there was a dog in the prison, and the dog was even holding a key. Put that dog down quickly. It has no mana. It's just an ordinary dog. Seeing this little guy holding a key, he must have been locked up here too, right? The dungeon wouldn't just give us the key so easily. The dog might be a trap. Sensing Ahai and Seo's malice, the dog immediately growled. Ahai and Seo was also scared by the dog and took a step back. Just then, a new mission appeared. They now had to go to the 4th floor of the mansion to Countess Flandier's room and read her diary. For Jaehyun, the importance of this reward was self-evident, which also meant that the diary should have a great connection with the secret here. And so, the two of them and a dog embarked on a journey to find clues once again. We're on the 4th floor now, but this mansion is too big. I have no idea where to go next. The camera was also taken away. Looks like we have to search room by room. However, Jaehyun did not answer Ahai and Seo. Why did you suddenly stop talking? It's creepy. Ahai and Seo followed Jaehyun's gaze and saw the girl from before. Her golden hair was unforgettable. Just as Jaehyun was about to talk to her, Ahai and Seo interrupted. Let's go. Now is not the time to chat with ghosts. Unexpectedly, Jaehyun shook off Ahai and Seo's hand. Why are you still here? Do you have a grudge against this mansion? Hearing Jaehyun's words, the girl shook her head. Then are you here to help us? This time, the girl nodded. Then I have a question for you. Where is Flandier's room on the 4th floor? The girl still didn't speak, just silently raised her hand, and the direction her finger was pointing was right behind Jaehyun. I see. I will definitely perform a ritual for you when I have the chance. Just wait for us. As they were about to leave, Ahai and Seo looked back at the girl again, but her figure had long since disappeared. Back outside the dungeon, Jiziak was being debriefed of the situation by Seonji. So you mean, the Lotus Guild will be responsible for this theme dungeon? That's right, and the Lotus Guild will handle the public opinion attacks from the National Raiders Association and the Public Opinion Council. However, Guildmaster Songwon-Yu's meaning is that she hopes you will not disclose any information about Jaehyun. For a student who is still at Miles Academy, the Lotus Guild is making such a big move. It's really hard to understand. I can't tell you the detailed reason. Well, the offer does help us out, so let's just go with the Lotus Guild's proposal. But if the dungeon clear fails, you don't need to worry about that. If he can't even clear this kind of dungeon, then the Lotus Guild wouldn't have interfered from the beginning. Meanwhile, the scene returns to the theme dungeon. Jaehyun easily dealt with the monsters blocking his way. As far as I know, the living armor is a C-grade monster. This is a shortcut. A few monsters are nothing. It's easy to deal with them. And so, the two of them and a dog entered Flandier's room. Unlike the other parts of the mansion, this place was particularly messy even without a camera. I'll start by looking on the desk. There could be a trap over there, so you should check clues in less obvious places. Then I'll go check other places first. And so, Jaehyun took the dog to the desk. When he picked up the thick book on the desk, the system prompted him that he had obtained Flandier's diary. Jaehyun said nothing and immediately opened the diary. My skin is getting paler and paler. The doctors in the territory have come to treat me many times, but it seems to have no effect. Am I going to be unable to go out for the rest of my life and just wait to die like this? May 10th, 1474. Father and mother said they would buy me the doll I've always wanted. My father and mother are the best. They'll be back from the next city in 2 days. May 12th, 1474. I received the bad news that my father and mother were attacked by bandits and then both died. The tears wouldn't stop flowing. If I hadn't asked my father and mother to buy me that doll, would they not have died? Father and mother's funeral is over. As the only bloodline of the Flandier family, I have become the owner of this mansion, but I'm not happy at all. I'm all alone. From now on, forever. July 4th, 1474. Today, the servants caught a girl. She secretly snuck into the mansion and broke a lily. She is about my age and looks like my doll. I want her to live with me in this mansion. July 20th, 1474. That girl said she had no name, so I named her Sally. We play together in the mansion every day. I'm very happy. I finally made a friend. I wish these days could last forever. Alfred went out without a word. I have a bad feeling. September 10th, 1474. Although Alfred has returned, I feel that he is different from before. Sally also seems to be hiding something from me. Something must have happened. October 9th, 1474. Screams keep coming from outside the room. It's the screams of the kitchen supervisor, Selana, and the maid, Michelle. Sally and Alfred are now knocking on my door. They must be trying to silence me. What should I do? After reading these diary entries, Jaehyun finally understood the whole story, and the restrictions on their skills have been lifted. It turned out Flandier had been killed from the beginning. The one who did all this should be a monster who had taken over the mansion. If Jaehyun wasn't mistaken, the culprit was a doppelganger. Since he had already solved all the secrets of the mansion, all Jaehyun had to do now was to escape safely. The doppelganger transformed into countless tentacles and attacked Jaehyun. To its surprise, Jaehyun dodged all of these attacks. Since he had recognized her identity from the beginning, Jaehyun was actually prepared. You're finally willing to show your true colors. I was wondering how long you were going to keep up the ruse. You're quite observant for a mere human. Actually, it's not that difficult. It's just that I'm smarter. No, maybe it's because you're too stupid. You despicable human. I'm going to kill you here today. But now that Jaehyun had lifted the skill restrictions, countless chains of lightning appeared around him in an instant, directly piercing the doppelganger's body. The next second, the thunderous light illuminated the entire hall. The doppelganger was a B-grade monster with the ability to copy others' bodies and skills, but in terms of combat power alone, it could only be considered a C-grade monster. I will devour your body. I will take your life. Saying this, the doppelganger charged towards Jaehyun, but a second before it touched Jaehyun, the doppelganger's tentacles stopped. It turned out that the chains of lightning had already bound it tightly. How does it feel to be fooled when you were trying to fool others? The next second, several more chains of lightning shot towards the doppelganger. I'm so envious. It's unfair. I just wanted to become human too. As the dust slowly settled, the doppelganger was also killed by Jaehyun. You sure can bark. You're way better as a dog, but since you brought me the key, I'll give you a break. As Jaehyun was about to leave, he looked back again. In the center of the hall, a little girl with golden hair appeared. Flandier was waving goodbye to them there. I've done what I promised you. Goodbye. A flash of light passed, and Jaehyun and Ahai and Seo finally exited this stage. Ahai and Seo, who had just been turned into a dog, was clearly unhappy. Jaehyun was checking the 2 skills he had just obtained. Commander's Cry was for assisting teammates, which Jaehyun generally didn't use, but the illusion skill was quite good. Since you knew that dog was me, you should have told me earlier. I thought I was really done for this time. It's good that you got out alive, but I still feel wronged. Now is not the time for nonsense. We should go to the next mission location. We're going now. We've already completed 2 missions in a row. Let's rest for a bit before we go. Why are you tired? You haven't done much since the underground prison, have you? If you're talking about mental fatigue, as long as your body is moving, your mind won't be tired. Alright, let's go, my subordinate. Before long, the 2 of them arrived at the last mission location. This can't be a parade, can it? That's right, the last mission. We'd better be careful. Welcome to Neverland. I'm your host for today, Brun. We will present you with the most exciting parade. Mr. Jaehyun, Ms. Ahai and Seo, welcome. It seems you 2 have successfully completed the first 2 missions. You must have worked hard. I won't waste any more words. What is the last mission? The last mission is simple. Hide and seek. See that gate in front of you? Monsters will appear from there, and what you 2 have to do is to avoid them until you reach the destination. It's probably not that simple, right? Mr. Jaehyun is indeed very smart. You're right. The monsters that appear in this hide and seek will change according to your strength. That is, the number and combat power of the challengers in Neverland. First, let me understand your strength. Jaehyun realized that if that was the case, it would be difficult to clear the dungeon while protecting Ahai and Seo, since its strength will try to match his own. Congratulations, your level is S grade. This is the first time such a high level has appeared. It's truly surprising. Before Jaehyun could say anything, Brun started the game directly. May the gods be with you. The last festival quest has been added. They needed to survive Surt's dust and reach the base, or defeat them. Just then, a giant made of fire emerged from the gate. Additionally, a hidden quest was also issued to kill Surt's dust and remove the potential threat, where an indescribable feat may be achieved. Jaehyun quickly noticed that the number of participants was actually 3. He knew something must be wrong, but he had no time to think about it now. Surt was the guardian of the fire giant realm, Muspelheim. He existed even before the birth of the giant ancestor, Ymir. His only goal was to burn down the entire world. It was said that the flaming sword in his hand could turn the entire world into nothingness in an instant, so Jaehyun could only pull Ahai and Seo and run. How are we going to to shake that guy off. I'm thinking of a way too. If you don't want to die, shut up and run. It seems that my appearance has caused things to become like this. Shouldn't I go and help them? You're really naughty. You clearly didn't want to help and are just saying that. Let them be. I'd like to see if he can survive this time. Jaehyun knew very well that fighting Surt head-on was too dangerous. He could only try to find the base quickly while avoiding a direct confrontation with him. Look over there. The merry-go-round should be the base. Great. Let's hold on for a little longer. Jaehyun immediately activated a skill, Haste, to speed up and ran forward, pulling Ahai and Seo along. Jaehyun was desperate to reach the base. He planned to use himself as bait so that Ahai and Seo could reach it. Which foolish one summoned me? As he spoke, countless fireballs fell from behind Jaehyun. Listen to me carefully. From now on, the two of us will split up. You just keep running towards the merry-go-round. Are you going to be the bait to lure him away? Would you rather be the bait? Just run. I'll attract his attention. However, compared to Surt, Jaehyun's figure was still too small. I'm over here, you bastard. Hearing Jaehyun's voice, Surt finally noticed his existence. He immediately threw a fireball at Jaehyun, but Jaehyun easily dodged it. You want to catch me with that slow speed? Hearing this, Surt slammed his fist down. Just then, he noticed Ahai and Seo on the side. Ahai and Seo was about to reach the merry-go-round, but the next second, the merry-go-round turned into a sea of fire in front of her. Because of this, completion of the main quest had become impossible. The only way to finish the quest was through the hidden quest, to defeat Surt. Foolish human, how can a mere mortal like you stand against me? The great Surt, you've left me no choice. I'll have to kill you then. A fireball shot towards Jaehyun, but he blocked it with a single hand. No one has ever been able to block my attacks before. You're quite something, but can you block this? Jaehyun slowly extended his right hand. The situation was already dire. If this continued, both of them would surely die here. Ahai and Seo immediately activated mind acceleration, trying to find a way to survive. I've got it. I've figured out a way to defeat Surt. At this moment, Jaehyun began to run under Ahai and Seo's command. Foolish human, do you think you can escape? Take 5 steps to the left, and he won't be able to hit you. Jaehyun heard this and immediately acted according to Ahai and Seo's command. As expected, Surt's attack missed. It turned out they wanted to lure Surt to a water tank. If they could extinguish the flames on his body, they might be able to defeat him. After all, he was just Surt's clone. If they could hit a vital point, he would surely die. I will use mind acceleration to predict his movement trajectory in advance. Let's lure him over there together. Take 3 steps to the left, then duck. With Ahai and Seo's help, Jaehyun could now easily dodge Surt's attacks. After a while, Jaehyun finally stopped. Weak human, are you finally giving up on running? Running? My dictionary doesn't have the word run. You, a guy who was beaten half to death by the Aesir, are now forced to guard a gate because you're scared of them, and you dare to call me weak? That's hilarious. What are you talking about? You're not scared of me, a human, are you? You bastard. I will not let you go. Surt swung his sword down, but he didn't expect this to be Jaehyun's illusion. The next second, the water from the tank rushed towards him. After the flames on Surt's body were extinguished, Jaehyun knew his chance had come. Jaehyun's sword accurately hit his heart. You used such a despicable trick. What if it's despicable? As long as I can win, it's fine. I may have faced you as a speck of my true form, but when I face you with the full strength of my true form, things will not be this easy. With Surt's dissipation, Jaehyun finally successfully cleared this themed dungeon through the hidden route. In addition to the indescribable feat, Jaehyun also obtained Surt's undying flame. It seems he really doesn't need my help. It makes sense that he was chosen by that person. This boy named Jaehyun is really interesting. He looks like he can't wait to get stronger. Don't you agree? Hell, even so, he's nothing more than a vessel. Although that's what you say. Aren't you the one who's most concerned about Jaehyun's situation? However, the Defiant One's existence cannot be discovered by the Aesir yet. Even if that war is Jaehyun's destined fate, it's still too early now. To kill Odin, he has to become even stronger. By defeating Surt, the boy successfully obtained the S-grade equipment Thialfi's Thunderous Steps. Equipping it granted 50 strength and 150 agility, as well as an active skill, Step of Light. This skill not only doubled the user's agility for 5 minutes but could also be used on others. After checking his rewards, Jaehyun shifted his gaze to Ahai and Seo. From her appearance, it was clear that Ahai and Seo's rewards were also good. However, as Jaehyun's subordinate, she had no secrets from him. The item I got is called Roskva Seal. Equipping it increases stamina by 50 and teaches the skill Courage. This skill can help me dispel fear and increase my stamina and agility. Considering that this skill was not as useful as Ahai and Seo's mind acceleration, Jaehyun did not ask her for this equipment. It seems you are very satisfied with the reward from this mission. It's alright, but thanks to you, it took me quite a lot of effort. If there's nothing else, we'll be leaving now. Then I wish you a safe journey, fated child of defiance. Jaehyun never expected Brun to know his identity. He was about to ask questions, but Brun had already dissipated into points of light before his eyes. Just then, the themed dungeon was successfully cleared. Everyone, look over there. The survivors are out. There are 2 survivors, and they've come out safely. Seeing so many people surrounding her, Ahai and Seo panicked. Everyone, make way. Now is not the time to chat with the survivors. We need to follow the procedure. But before Jiziak could finish, Jaehyun disappeared into thin air. This left only Ahai and Seo behind. Jaehyun Park guessed that Jaehyun had probably used a Fade skill. It's probably not Fade. According to Jeon Kim's report, Jaehyun is from the mage class. If it's not Fade, for a mage class to have such speed, the reason is that kid is a battle mage. After Jaehyun came out, Seung-woo immediately contacted him and asked him to come to the Lotus Guild when he was free. To cause such a big incident and then just disappear like that, this child is truly not ordinary. This disciple of mine, if I don't ask, he definitely won't say anything on his own. It seems I'll have to hear the story from him myself. Meanwhile, Jaehyun had returned to his own dormitory. With the help of the Lotus Guild, there was no news about Jaehyun in the news. He hadn't expected so many people to gather there at the time, but it also allowed him to successfully experience the effect of Thialfi's thunderous steps. Although this dungeon was a bit tiring, the overall gains were very large. Besides this S-grade equipment, Jaehyun also obtained a consumable item, Surt's Undying Flame. Upon use, the user would have maximum strength and be wreathed in flame. However, this battle made Jaehyun realize that he was still too weak. What he needed now was the strength to easily defeat his opponents without resorting to tricks. Only then could he protect everyone around him, even if the final enemy was a high and mighty god. Meanwhile, in Miles Academy's monitoring room, Instructor Jong, I'll leave this matter to you. I will definitely not disappoint you. In the future, in class, I will report all of Jaehyun's movements to you. After Jong left, Jae-gu immediately changed his expression. To raise a flower well, you must first clear the weeds. This event is really something to look forward to. I can finally clean up all the filth in one go. After returning to the academy, Jaehyun told everyone about being caught in the dungeon. Is what you said true? No wonder I couldn't contact you all weekend. I didn't intentionally not answer your call, so please spare me. Do you know how worried Andy was that she couldn't contact you all weekend? I was the one who covered for you, so as a reward, you have to treat me to a meal. Unlike you, Jong Kim, Ina Seo was more concerned about Jaehyun's physical condition. I'm fine, Ina. You don't have to worry too much. You've always had such bad luck since you were a kid. You're not hated by the gods, are you? Little did she know, Jaehyun was actually blessed by the gods. I thought I saw an annoying face, so it was you. If you're thinking of pulling any tricks this time, you'd better be prepared. However, the group could not put together who was talking to them. Student Suyak Lee. No noise is allowed in the classroom. Instructor Jong walked into the classroom. Seeing this, Suyak Lee could only temporarily let Jaehyun go. Hello, everyone. My name is Jong. I'll be teaching Understanding Magic Formula 1 this semester. I will do my best to help you all improve your strength, and I hope all students can keep up with my pace. This course is mainly to let everyone understand magic from its essence, so we will talk about some content about calculation formulas in class. I'd like to ask first, how much do you all know about magic? Magic is a supernatural phenomenon manifested by injecting mana based on calculation formulas. That's right, magic is the study of causing a certain phenomenon through calculation formulas. Seeing that he had received the instructor's affirmation, Suyak Lee immediately cast a triumphant glance at Jaehyun. Now I will give each of you a book. This book records the basic calculation formulas that can trigger D-grade magic. These calculation formulas are also the foundation for using all magic in the future, and fully mastering this book is your task for this semester. After receiving the book, the students began to discuss among themselves, because in their eyes, this book had no words. However, after Jaehyun received the book, his expression changed slightly, and this detail was completely seen by Jong. Now I have a question for student Jaehyun. Can you tell me what the text in this book is? The text in this book is runic. That's right, the text on it is indeed runic. This book was a grimoire that needed to have its calculation formulas deciphered to be read. It usually took freshmen a week to decipher it, but Jaehyun could see the words on it as soon as he got it. Then let me ask you another question. Do you know what the runic title means? Hearing this, Jaehyun couldn't help but chuckle. He didn't know if it was his fate with the Aesir or another joke played on him by the Nornir system, but the name of this book was actually Odin's Life and the Basics of the Runic Language. On the other side, Ahayan Seo had just returned to her home. Her legs started to hurt from all the walking, and she hated that Jaehyun had left her with the reporters, being bombarded with questions, and even getting a sit-down interview. This was because of the subordination skill. Jaehyun had commanded her to deal with the reporters, and that she couldn't talk about his skills at all, and the subordination skill was still very much in effect, which Ahayan Seo greatly despised. When will you release me from that subordination? If he's going to selfishly disappear like that, then I'll just have to be selfish too and track him down. Meanwhile, Jaehyun was in the library studying magic calculation formulas. All calculation formulas would change according to their application. For example, chain lightning was actually a combination of attribute magic and chain magic, so as long as the foundation was solid, even low-level magic could be used with different effects. For the brawler class, after the proficiency of basic swordsmanship increased, one could master intermediate swordsmanship. For the mage class, the deeper the understanding of calculation formulas, the higher the realm one could reach. Just then, Jaehyun looked up at the two beside him. They were not as relaxed as Jaehyun, as they could not easily understand the books they had. At least you can successfully understand the title. It's not fair. I was the one who taught you magic from the beginning. As the saying goes, the student surpasses the master. Just then, Ina Seo suddenly exclaimed in excitement, "Great! I can finally see the content of the first chapter. Hard work all always pays off. Congratulations. Hearing Jaehyun praise her like this, Ina Seo's face turned red and she buried her head in the book. Jaehyun felt that she seemed a little distant from him. He thought it was because he had intentionally drawn a line between them. Why am I the only one who still can't see it? Yoo Jong Kim's sudden shout attracted the angry gazes of many people. Jaehyun could only quickly explain that he wasn't the one who did it. However, what they didn't know was that a crow was watching them from outside the window. It wasn't until Jaehyun and his group finished their studies for the day that the crow flapped its wings and left. Sometime later, the group found themselves inside Jae Sang Lee's workshop. Here, they had to come up with a good name for Jae Sang Lee's potion shop, but what they all realized was that this was no easy task. After all, there had never been a potion shop before, so they were worried that if there were no customers, it would go bankrupt. For raiders, the most important thing is survival, so a potion shop can't possibly go bankrupt. I'm sure you realized it earlier when you tried the potions. These will no doubt be revolutionary, and it all started a few days ago. After passing the magic theory quiz, everyone also had a short break. To become stronger, Jaehyun sold all the materials he had collected from Helheim, but he had no intention of using this money for himself. Instead, he was focused on investing it all on Jae Sang Lee, the future of the potion industry, and this led to everyone gathering to discuss the name of the potion shop. But just then, Ahai Seo pushed open the door angrily. You have to fulfill your promise before you go. Jaehyun was curious how Ahai Seo had found him. Didn't you cast a strange spell on me to make me behave? And at that moment, Jaehyun also had a sudden realization. The user and subordinate were able to track each other with no restrictions. How could you use that kind of skill to threaten a child? Since you're here, just sit in that empty seat over there. Let me borrow your smart brain for a bit. Ahai Seo was visibly confused, but later on, she enthusiastically participated. How about the devil's potion? She tried to explain as to why, but Jae Sang had used subordination to shut her mouth. Meanwhile, the other suggestions were Jae Sang's potion shop and Potion Shop Alice. Hearing these names, Jaehyun felt that it was all hopeless. Why won't you ask for my opinion? It doesn't matter whether I listen or not. The result is the same. Forget it. You'd better say it. How about the name Elixir Workshop? Elixir, a byname for the Philosopher's Stone created by alchemists in the past, is also a mysterious potion that can heal wounds and save lives. This name is good. It can both promote our potions and enhance our brand value. You were my savior all along. And so, the name of the potion shop was officially decided. The shop's name will be the Elixir Workshop. After a short break, Jaehyun and his group returned to their daily classes. Since Jaehyun's progress in the magic calculation class was far ahead of others, almost all the questions in class were answered by Jaehyun, and without exception, Jaehyun could give a very perfect answer. In this way, Suyok Lee's jealousy of Jaehyun also grew day by day. That's all for today's class. Good work, everyone. Just as Jong was about to leave, Jaehyun suddenly stopped her. I have some questions while reading this spell book, so I'd like to ask you for some advice. The moment she saw this book, Jong panicked. It was a 4-star spell book. Even ordinary instructors found it difficult to understand this book. She couldn't understand when Jaehyun had reached this level. Since Jong couldn't provide Jaehyun with help either, he could only study it on his own for now. Unfortunately, during this time, Jaehyun made no progress, but his every move these days was being watched by the librarian. After Jaehyun left, he silently wrote in his notebook, "Student Jaehyun borrowed a 4-star spell book." After leaving the library, Jaehyun went straight to the Lotus Guild. "You're here earlier than I thought. I actually wanted to come and find you early on, but I was busy preparing for the exam before, so I was delayed. So you came this time to ask me to help you decipher a 4-star spell book? With my current ability, I can't understand the content of the book at all. Creation, which can create new spells. Destruction, which can dispel spells and turn everything into nothingness. And amplification, which can make spells even more powerful. Both the calculation formulas and the theory are much more complex." So far, Jaehyun had only been able to understand some basics with Odin's Eye, but he now desperately needed to understand magic more deeply. Speaking of which, I can't tell you clearly either. Jaehyun was curious why even the S-grade Song couldn't provide him with help. The concepts that appear in the 4-star spell book are meaningless if you don't familiarize yourself with them personally. Only when you understand them yourself can you step into the realm of an A-grade raider. And for Jaehyun, only by reaching A-grade raider would he have a chance to get revenge on his father. But since a student has come to ask, I, as a teacher, can tell you a training method. Jaehyun was curious why it was a training method and not a deciphering method. This training method can help you comprehend amplification among the 3 concepts. What do you think? Are you interested? Of course, I'm interested in anything that can make me stronger. And the method Song you spoke of was to train with Gleipnir while inside the AR combat system room. Jaehyun manifested magic arrows and shot it towards the summoned monsters. After tying on Gleipnir, all of Jaehyun's stats would decrease by 50%. Before entering the AR room, Song Yu further explained, just use one spell and continue to analyze the formula of that spell, but it will be too difficult to train with a complex spell from the beginning. Something of the level of magic arrow should be just right. And so, Jaehyun began to train in the AR combat space with Gleipnir. Due to the effect of Gleipnir, his body became heavy and slow again. The monsters he could easily kill before had now become difficult to deal with. Are you really okay like this? Jaehyun was visibly worn out from the training. The smell of your pain relief patches can be smelled from 100 meters away. You know you've basically been living in the AR combat space this week, right? It's best not to push yourself too hard. Thank you for worrying about me, but you should know that the quiz is in 2 days, right? Yoo-jong Kim, you probably haven't finished reading the exam scope yet. And Ina, I heard that if you fail again, you'll have to stay for remedial classes. It seems it's time to go to the library. Ina, let's go. We can't chat with Jaehyun here anymore. Jaehyun could only watch the two of them leave helplessly. After that, Jaehyun went to the AR combat space again. Although the difficulty of clearing it was much higher than before, after a week of hard work, Jaehyun finally perfectly passed the 41st stage. Just then, Magic Arrow leveled up to 2, and Jaehyun finally understood the meaning of amplification. Amplification, as the name suggests, is a leap in skill or a skill upgrade. As one's understanding of a certain magic calculation formula deepens, and the proficiency in using that skill increases, the skill's power will also increase. However, this level is at most B grade, or the entry level of an A grade raider. Although Jaehyun had initially approached Song Eun-yu with the intention of using her, there was now indeed a master-disciple bond between the two. The scene changes, and Suki Kim once again comes to Jae-gu's office, but this time, Jae-gu doesn't even look up at him. Suki Kim knew it was because he had not handled the dungeon practicum matter well. Director, the guild field trip event is ready. It's much faster than I thought. Is there anything unusual there? Please rest assured, the preparations this time are very thorough. Instructor Suki Kim, you did a good job. Everything that is created has its own use. Even at the moment it becomes useless. Now that he had reached the A-grade entry level, Jaehyun got a long-awaited chance to breathe. But just then, he felt a familiar man on campus. Are you going to come out on your own, or do I have to come over? As he spoke, Jaehyun suddenly turned around. A massive amount of mana instantly erupted from his body, and he quickly sensed the crows hidden around him. After seeing the number of people, Jaehyun smiled. Now these crows were just right for him to test his strength. With his agile figure, Jaehyun easily dodged the crows' attacks and could even find the crows' weakness during the evasion and counterattack. It seems you still don't know that your companion has already been killed by me. But before he could finish, the other two hidden crows rushed out. Jaehyun realized that these crows were also a group of irrational guys, but for them to be so blatant on campus meant that Jae-gu had also started to act. I don't care what your purpose is, you've messed with the wrong person. As he spoke, Jaehyun used Magic Arrow. The level 2 Magic Arrow easily killed the two crows. Just when Jaehyun thought it was all over, he suddenly felt a dangerous aura and immediately activated a magic barrier. Just then, a familiar figure appeared in front of Jaehyun. In an instant, Jaehyun was on high alert. How did you? Long time no see, my useless son. Before Song Eun-min could finish, Jaehyun launched a chain of lightning, but he easily dodged these attacks. Seeing his enemy, Jaehyun couldn't calm down at all. He continuously manipulated the chain of lightning to attack Song Eun-min. With a single strike, the chains of lightning was deflected, and the wave continued towards Jaehyun, forcing him to dodge. Despite successfully avoiding the attack, he was still injured, and he couldn't even see the movement of his sword. Jaehyun turned around to see the true destructive power of his father. I just haven't seen you in a long time, so I came to see you. You're a lot rougher around the edges than the last time I saw you. I've never considered you my dad. It seems you're going through a rebellious phase. Stop the nonsense. What are you doing here? You're asking me my reason for being here? In fact, Song Eun-min was also curious why Jaehyun had grown so much in such a short time. I'll just ask you one question. The opponents of the Acer, the ones called Vanir, have they contacted you? Hearing Song Eun-min's words, Jaehyun's eyes betrayed his thoughts. I see. Looks like you don't have to answer me. As he spoke, Song Eun-min swung his sword at Jaehyun. Jaehyun immediately used a mana force field to block his attack, but the mana force field shattered from the overwhelming power. Jaehyun couldn't believe this was the strength of an A-grade raider. So you've become stronger, I see. Are you going to kill me now? Just then, Song Eun-min contemplated that the Defiant One is growing at an unbelievable speed, and at this rate, he will become an obstacle to both the Acer gods and his personal plan, and so he decided to hinder his growth for now. I won't kill you, but I will sever your limbs here. As he spoke, Song Eun-min swung his sword at Jaehyun, but at this moment, a dark green mana suddenly appeared around him, and the source of that mana was a small black cat. Are you trying to break the treaty between us, the Acer and Vanir, or are you bold enough to offend the great Lord Odin? Well, I really don't understand what you're talking about. Jaehyun wondered if he was hallucinating. A cat was actually talking in front of him. You stand down. We have something to discuss with this child. In the blink of an eye, the black cat had transformed into a young girl. Jaehyun could feel that her mana was even stronger than Song Eun-min's. He didn't understand what was going on. Are you really going to push things to this point? The girl did not answer Song Eun-min, but simply cut her arm with her finger. Her blood dripped onto the ground, and the next second, the blood turned into ghostly claws and attacked Song Eun-min, and he could only temporarily block these attacks with his sword. You should know that we only have this one choice left, right? In an instant, the ghostly claws attack became even sharper, and the powerful mana suppressed Song Eun-min firmly in place. To think you want to end the war of the gods with a mere human. It seems, Lord Loki, you have also become weaker. An Odin who would go so far as to kill a mere human, how powerful can he be? I'll retreat for today, but next time, if you cause trouble like this again, I will formally hold you accountable according to the treaty. As you wish, but you'd better remember, if you try to obstruct me with such little tricks again in the future, I can cut your throat at any time. The treaty was signed only by the Aesir and the Vanir. There's no clause that says I can't kill Odin's crow. Song-no-min didn't say much and turned and left. The girl watched him disappear, lost in thought. At this moment, Jaehyun finally couldn't hold on anymore and spat out a mouthful of blood. Nice to meet you, Jaehyun. I am Hell's clone, Hela. I am both the observer who witnesses you, the defiant one, and the guide who leads you through the 5 trials. After the introduction, Hela curtsies toward Jaehyun. Later, in his dormitory, Jaehyun immediately began to heal himself. Ask whatever you want now, as long as it's within my ability to answer. I can answer you. Then tell me, what's the deal with that guy Song-no-min? He is not your biological father. His real name is Hugin, one of Odin's 2 crows. Hugin was originally a holy bird with the ability to corrupt people's hearts and manipulate their power. He would use the power of another crow, Mun-in, who can manipulate memories, to wreak havoc on the world. To date, he has been pretending to be your family and remained around you to monitor you, the defiant child of prophecy. So he's not my real father? Instead of listening to me, it would be easier for you to understand if you see it for yourself. Saying this, she used the Nornir system to awaken Jaehyun's backup memories. Jaehyun suddenly appeared outside a room. Inside, a boy was being beaten, and the man was Song-no-min, or rather, Hugin. From the day Jaehyun awakened his mana, the place called home was filled with abuse and curses. Although his mother had always protected Jaehyun, what she got in return was a body covered in scars. Suddenly, the scene in front of Jaehyun changed. An incense burner appeared in front of him. It was a funeral. The boy was now curled up in his mother's arms, crying, but she was still constantly comforting the child in her arms. And the photo on the incense burner gave Jaehyun an incredibly familiar feeling. Jaehyun suddenly found it hard to breathe, but it wasn't because the smoke around him was too thick, but because he seemed to have forgotten something important. Gradually, a man holding an ice cream appeared in front of Jaehyun. Even though he would be scolded by his wife, he still couldn't help but buy Jaehyun the ice cream he wanted. That was a memory Jaehyun should have never forgotten. How could I have forgotten all of this? Jaehyun couldn't help but reach out and touch the person in the photo, but before he could look at it more, his consciousness was teleported back to the real world. It seems you've finally broken free from the memory manipulation. Why? Why is it like this? Because you are destined to become the defiant one. Then what does all this mean? Why does my life have to be so painful? 10,000 years ago, Ragnarok descended. It all started then. Ragnarok was both the final battle of the gods and the end of all stories. It was truly the end. In the final battle, the Vanir fought fiercely, but in the end, they were defeated by the Aesir and the army led by the Valkyries. Odin forced them to sign a treaty and used it as a condition for releasing the hostages. It stated that the Vanir could never impose the Aesir, and they must submit to the rule of Odin. This treaty made Odin's authority even greater. Countless beings in the world suffered because of it. However, at that time, the Norns prophesied that about 10,000 years later, when the second end descended, the weakest being in the world would overthrow the rule of Odin in Asgard and open a new world. And the defiant one of that prophecy is you, Jaehyun. You could also say that you are our hope. So, using me to get rid of Odin is your plan? That's right, this is our only chance. Then what is Odin's purpose? What can he possibly gain from doing this? He wants to be at the top of the 9 worlds. Odin wants to control all 9 worlds, including the human-inhabited Midgard. The scene changes to Asgard. What an eyesore. Just because of a prophecy, I have to watch over such an insignificant existence. It's just a human. That doesn't even come close to us. Even if it's the seed of a great tree, if you destroy it in its budding stage, it can't continue to grow. But the more it's like this, the more the Vanir persist. With so much at stake, we absolutely cannot show any flaws at this time. Heimdall, I will grant you temporary authority. You should know what that means. Of course, I can finally leave Asgard. Suddenly learning this information, Jaehyun was also a little at a loss. Odin has already conquered 4 worlds: Vanaheim, Jotunheim, Svartalfheim, and Muspelheim. Does he want to occupy the remaining worlds in the Second War? That's right, so we don't have much time left. If that's the case, then why didn't Odin kill me earlier? Because of the power of prophecy. It's a great force that even the gods cannot defy. That's right, you are currently protected by that power. However, no power lasts forever. When the second Ragnarok descends, all the shackles and restraints will disappear, and similarly, the power that protects you will also disappear. At that time, you will be eliminated by the Aesir. It should be said that you have already been eliminated by the Aesir once. In an instant, Jaehyun understood everything. It turned out that his death before he regressed was a trap set by Hyunjin's master, Odin. They had been playing with Jaehyun's life from the beginning, not only killing his family but also fabricating his memories, making him live in hell. Do you want to get revenge on them and protect what you hold most dear? I am the guide of the 5 trials, prophesied child of defiance. I will give you your first trial to prepare you to become the Godslayer who will kill Odin. The Nornir system suddenly popped up with a new mission, the path of the Godslayer. To foil Odin's ambition, receive the strength of the anti-Aesir gods. So far, Jaehyun has only passed Hell's trial. When all the trials are completed, he will receive the blessing of the Vanir. Get stronger, defiant one, before the end begins. At this time, Hwaeyeon constantly trained, trying to catch up with Jaehyun's pace. Because of the recent special special training, his body was sore all over, so he planned to ask Jae-sang Lee for a rejuvenation potion. Although Hoi-an had successfully mastered an S-grade skill through special training, from the current situation, the strain on his body is still too much. But Jaehyun's strength had already reached a very high level. If it was just Hoi-an's current strength, it was absolutely impossible to win against Jaehyun at the Miles Academy Festival. Thinking about these things, Hoi-an dispelled the idea of going back to rest. To become a worthy opponent for Jaehyun, I'd better practice a little more. But just then, the broadcast suddenly sounded. Director Jang-gu is calling for student Hoi-an. Student Hoi-an, please come to the director's office immediately after hearing the broadcast. Meanwhile, Jang-gu was on the phone with someone. After filtering out the lower-level students, the resources will naturally return to the outstanding students. And even if there are some rumors outside, Congressman Park will immediately step in to solve them, right? But the incident in the dungeon practicum last time was a bit too big. The guys from the Raider Management Agency must have already started to make a move. They're just freeloaders leeching off the government. Don't worry, I've already prepared for it. A few days later, at the guild field trip, a gate will open artificially, so you plan to take care of things without getting directly involved. You catch on quick. So, what do you think of this plan? Then let's do as we said before. We will continue to provide support funds to Miles Academy. Now I want to talk to you about the specific plan. Naturally, I am always at your service. At the same moment, Hoi-an had already arrived just outside the office. Having heard the conversation, he hesitated to continue forward. Hoi-an remembered Jaehyun's warning before that someone could have tampered with the subspace. And then he realized the culprit who broke into his consciousness and the one behind the dungeon practicum incident. It was indeed Jang-gu. Thinking of this, Hoi-an was immediately consumed by anger. He subconsciously tightened his grip on the doorknob. Fortunately, Hoi-an quickly calmed down. It would be too dangerous to act rashly now, and this was not a problem he could solve alone. Director, it's me, Hoi-an. Student Hoi-an, you're finally here. Please come in. Hoi-an knew very well that if he wanted to completely solve this matter, he had to find some trustworthy people. Meanwhile, the mage class students were in class. Jaehyun was still thinking about what Hela had told him, that Odin must have realized that he has come into contact with the Vanir, which could mean Ragnarok coming sooner than expected. Alright, that's all for today's class. I have a few things to announce to everyone. In an instant, the classroom became noisy again. Jaehyun knew that the next event was about to begin. As previously notified, the guild field trip will be held in 3 days. Through the guild field trip, you can learn about the operation of raider guilds and how they hunt monsters. This is a great opportunity. Director Jang-gu has specially planned this event for you. Jaehyun couldn't help but sneer. Before he regressed, he had gone to a newly established E-grade guild and sat on a musty sofa until the event ended. But in this life, with his achievements in the academy, he could now go to any guild he wanted. But the one he most wanted to go to was the Sea God Guild. Before he regressed, it was the #1 guild in the country, so he wanted to see it with his own eyes. In addition, several students in our department have received priority nominations. Guild priority nomination refers to a guild extending an invitation to a student they are interested in. If the invitation is accepted, the guild will provide the student with special points. Jaehyun, Ina Seo, Yoo Jong Kim, the 3 of you have been selected by the Lotus Guild, and student Suyok Lee, you have been pre-selected by the Sea God Guild. Hearing that the Lotus Guild had selected her, Yoo Jong Kim shouted in excitement. Jaehyun, on the other hand, had realized this came from the time Sung-woon Yu had asked for standout students. You have to make a decision by today and then organize the materials and send them to me. That's all I have to announce. After class, Yoo Jong Kim was so excited to be able to see her idol that she hugged Ina Seo. Since the 3 of them had been selected, Jaehyun believed that Hoi-an was as well. Just then, the 3 of them received a text message at the same time. To their surprise, it was not an invitation from the Lotus Guild, but a request from Hoi-an for them to come to Jae-sang's workshop. Not long after, Hoi-an told everyone what he had heard in the Guildmaster's office. Simply put, Guildmaster Jang-gu wants to get rid of the underperforming students in the guild field trip to allow the students to reawaken. That's right, I heard him say all this with my own ears at the door of his office. Although the Guildmaster's corruption problem is mentioned every year, but this is just too much. How can he toy with other people's lives? Before he regressed, Jaehyun only knew that there had been an accident at the time, which led to several students dying in an accident during the event. Currently, only the few of us know about this. This means that we are the only ones who can take corresponding measures. But Jaehyun hesitated. If he rashly interfered, everyone might be in mortal danger. I'm begging you. I absolutely can't stand by and do nothing when I know that my classmates will be in danger. A heart that thinks for others is indeed noble, but courage and recklessness are 2 different things. Is this the time to think? This is about the lives of our other classmates. I agree. Although I'm a little scared, if I can help, I will do my best. If we can prevent this from happening, I don't want to stand by and do nothing either. Jaehyun was a little surprised. He clearly hadn't expected everyone to have this kind of thinking. With their resolve, Jaehyun had remembered that they were raiders. A raider's job was not just to find treasures and hunt monsters. Their most important duty was to protect others. Just then, another main quest was issued to Jaehyun, the second crossroads. They had to stop Jang-gu's plan and save the cadets, where you would get a blank card and a sealed sealed spellbook as a reward. Jaehyun slowly stood up under everyone's gaze. Then let's make a battle plan. Hearing this, everyone present smiled. We need to make a plan that will hit Jae-gu where it hurts. After everyone had discussed how to deal with Jae-gu, Jaehyun first found instructor Jong. You actually mastered a 4-star spellbook so quickly. This is too unbelievable. It seems very possible to me. Jong suddenly shuddered. She felt that the Jaehyun in front of her was very dangerous. Although the director wanted to cultivate Jaehyun into his next chess piece, Jaehyun was clearly not a weapon that could be easily be handled. You seem pretty serious for a teacher who taught me so much. Don't tell me you're going to tattle on me to that guy Jae-gu again. In that instant, Jong was completely stunned. After coming to her senses, she started to shout at him, but Jaehyun placed his hand in front of Jong. Instructor Jong, I have a favor to ask you. Will you hear me out? The moment Jaehyun finished speaking, Jong's eyes went blank. Jaehyun had used the brainwash skill. Now that he was stronger than Instructor Jong, Jaehyun could easily control her. The most effective way to defeat an enemy is to completely grasp their movements from within. Instructor Jong, for the next few days, you will be my colleague. We are colleagues. That's right. Now we can finally have a proper conversation. Tell me, what kind of conspiracy did Jae-gu plan for this guild field trip? 3 days later, it was the day of the guild field trip. Yu Jong Kim had completely lost her mind. I'm actually at the Lotus Guild. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I am Park Seongji, the manager of the Lotus Guild. I will be your guide for this guild field trip. Please follow me. Seongji first showed them some of the guild's facilities and finally brought them to a room. It's a pleasure to meet you all. I am Song Yu, the guild master of the Lotus Guild. I have prepared some afternoon tea for you all. Please have a seat. Ina Seo suddenly noticed that Yu Jong Kim beside her was trembling non-stop. I never thought I'd be able to see you in person. Guildmaster Song Yu, I'm your fan. Please give me your autograph. Thank you. The support of my fans also gives me a lot of strength. I never thought you'd make so many friends so quickly. You're really amazing. Yes, I've come to know a few people. Jaehyun, do you know Guildmaster Song Yu? Of course I do. Jaehyun is my disciple. In that instant, everyone present was stunned. Thanks to this master-disciple relationship, I was able to hear about these things from Jaehyun. I called you here after the guild field trip for this matter. Actually, including the Lotus Guild, other guilds also know about Jae-gu's corruption problem, but Miles Academy has given him too much power, so everyone can only pretend not to know. If not for this, Jae-gu wouldn't dare to run around so blatantly. For some reason, he seems to also have the ability to open dungeons. Jae-gu's abilities are well hidden, and even we don't know all of his abilities. If you really want to act, you must formulate a thorough countermeasure. This shows the magic field surrounding the guilds conducting field trips. The mana fields in these two places are stronger and denser than normal. If a dungeon were to appear, it is highly likely to be in one of them. Very good. Let's have our Lotus Guild's people stand guard at these places during this time. Once there are signs of trouble, immediately seal off the surrounding area and prioritize evacuating the residents. This method is good, but Jae-gu will never fight an unprepared battle. If he knows that the Lotus Guild has interfered in this matter, that guy might be even more proactive in finding ways to deal with it. From the looks of it, you should already have an idea, right? We have to go and save those students ourselves. Meanwhile, in a different group's guild field trip, the students of Miles Academy followed the person in charge of the guild into a dark corridor. Sankan in the crowd had a smile on his face. The director had personally arranged for him to come here. He believed that the director must have discovered his hidden potential. Sankan, wait a minute. What's wrong? What is it? Don't you think this place is a bit strange? What are you talking about? A normal guild should have all kinds of facilities, right? But this place seems to have been abandoned for a long time. Hearing the girl's words, everyone realized that this place indeed didn't look like a guild. Students of Miles Academy, this is our destination. Instructor Suki Kim, why are you here? I didn't expect the skill to wear off so quickly. Then there's no other way. Although it's a bit earlier than planned, students, we have to say goodbye here. This is the last lesson I will be teaching you, but maybe not. Perhaps you can come back alive from that hell. Meanwhile, Jaehyun and his group also followed the navigation to the location. What's going on here? It doesn't look like a guild, more like an abandoned building. You're not having any trouble following us, right? Jaehyun was currently looking at the bushes on the side. Of course, please don't worry. By the way, how did you master telepathy so quickly? I've read several spellbooks these past few days. Although it's easy to say, the process of intervening in someone else's mind and conveying thoughts with mana is not easy. You're really amazing. I'm going in with them later. If an accident happens, I'll be counting on you. Leave it to me. I won't let anything happen to you. The scene returns to the Lotus Guild. To borrow my manager, that kid Jaehyun is really not polite. I hope Park Seongji can really be of help. That guy is a bit foolish. He is your brother. After all, you should be gentler to him. But that's also the charm of you two siblings. But just then, Song-Yu felt a sense of unease. There seemed to be a very unstable mana nearby. Song-Yu looked out the window. Jae-gu wants to trigger a dungeon at the Kane Guild. As far as I know, that's a guild that Jae-gu personally founded. In that case, his actions are a bit incomprehensible. The Kane Guild is in the city center of S City, and it's not far from the Lotus Guild. He's so blatant. This is not like his usual style at all. This is from an insider source, so it must be correct. I think Jae-gu must be up to something. Hannah, have you investigated that guild that Jae-gu established? I have. The investigation results show that the Kane Guild is actually a phantom guild. You should also know that some people use the guise of a guild to evade taxes and do illegal things, and those guilds mostly have no actual performance. Director Jang-gu seems to have established this guild for this purpose as well. Jae-hyun was right, but Sung-woo still couldn't understand what Jang-gu was trying to do. Hannah, go and prepare my equipment for me, just in case. Although she had made all the preparations, Sung-woo was still afraid that something would happen to Jae-hyun and his group. Meanwhile, Jae-hyun and his group had also arrived at the dilapidated corridor from before. Is this really the place? I think this is just a ruin. This is the place. It's from here that the foul and disgusting mana is emanating. The group started to continue forward, but this mana was too unusual, so Jae-hyun prepared to have the others escape and let himself and Seongji handle it. I can feel the residual aura of magic. Someone must have cast high-level magic in this vicinity just now. Just then, that strange mana became even more intense. Jae-hyun quickly assessed the situation. Everyone, get out of here. But the moment the magic circle appeared, the four of them found that they could no longer move, and a voice from an unknown source sounded out. Foolish fools, come to the kingdom of the dark elves, Svartalfheim. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, a figure sits alone on a throne. There's new prey. Wake up everyone. It's time for a feast. Svartalfheim is the kingdom and the home of the dark elves. In Norse mythology, the dark elves possess power comparable to the gods. Fortunately, this was a dungeon, and the power of the dark elves was greatly weakened. What angered Jae-hyun the most was that Jang-gu wanted to kill his students in a place like this. To think the guildmaster can use such high-level teleportation magic. Just who is he? Hearing Hoyen's words, Jae-hyun instantly calmed down. Jang-gu was just a mortal. How could he activate the teleportation circle of the 9 worlds on his own? This meant that he must have some connection with the Aesir. No matter how you think about it, the current situation is not in our favor, right? While the few of them were discussing countermeasures, Park Seongji slowly revealed himself. Manager Seongji, why are you here? Jae-hyun said that just in case. He needed a helpful adult raider, so I came along, since it would be too suspicious if Guildmaster Sung-woo came personally. That's great. I thought we were all going to die. Even if I'm here, it won't be easy. This is Svartalfheim. Even an A-grade raider would have a hard time leaving alive. Everyone, be on your guard. If we're not careful, we might all die. The method to conquer Svartalfheim was still little known, but that was for this present time. As a regressor, Jae-hyun had watched many clear guides on Svartalfheim. Don't worry, everyone. We will all leave here alive. I promise you. But the first thing we need to do is to find the survivors. Meanwhile, Hoyen's father was having a conversation. Your actions have clearly violated the contract. I remember you told me you would cultivate Hoyan well. You don't need to worry at all. In the next event, Hoyan will definitely easily take first place. Who is the student who got first place in this freshman hunt? How could our Hoyan be beaten by a mage class student? You've already seen the video. There should be no need to ask such a superfluous question. His name is Jae-hyun, a genius with a mage class aptitude of 97%. That's impossible. How can there be such a high aptitude? Don't be too excited. The tea is already cold. Should I get you another cup? No need. I'll be leaving for today. Suku was a former military general, and he had many connections in the central government. In Jang-gu's view, he was still of some use. However, with Jang-gu's current background, there was no need for him to force his way into it. And more importantly, Jang-gu would absolutely not participate in a game where he would lose. Back inside Svartalfheim, the group is still exploring deep into the dungeon. It's too dark here. There's no vision at all. We'll have to use the flash skill. You don't have to waste your mana. This will be better. Saying this, Jae-hyun used the flash skill himself. In an instant, countless light balls flew into the air. How is that possible? Are these lights? You guessed right. I've already upgraded the D-grade magic, Flash. But shouldn't a skill upgrade only be possible after becoming an A-grade raider? Hoyan also couldn't imagine that Jae-hyun's strength had reached this level. What are you guys still standing there for? Let's go now. As the manager of the Lotus Guild, Seongji had trained countless new raiders, but Jae-hyun's existence was too extraordinary. He couldn't help but wonder to what extent Jae-hyun could grow. After walking for a long time, Jae-hyun stopped. Let's rest here for a bit before we go. We've been walking for so long. Everyone should replenish their stamina. Jae-hyun waved his hand and extinguished all the light waves. Jae-hyun, what are you doing? Why did you turn off the light? The dark elves are used to living in darkness. The flash skill can be easily destroyed by them, so we must get used to the darkness as soon as possible. Then there's no other way. By the way, it's a good thing we brought potions. The mana here is too thick. I can barely breathe. This is all thanks to Jae-hyun asking Jae-sang to prepare so much for us in advance. Just then, Hoyan saw a cave on the side. There are so many forked paths here. Maybe there are survivors on one of them. Don't worry, I have a plan. Saying this, Jae-hyun mobilized the mana in his body and began to search these forked paths. The middle path leads to the boss room. The others are. But before Jae-hyun could finish, a stream of light shot towards them. At the critical moment, Jae-hyun caught the magic arrow aimed at Inasio with his hand. With the activation of absolute calculation, the magic arrow instantly disintegrated. Instantly, the others also entered a combat state at the first moment. Everyone, be on high alert. The Dark Elves have found us. Yoo-jong Kim, on the other hand, immediately activated a magic field to provide everyone with a buff. Considering that the elves were very fast, Ina Seo activated a magic skill to slow them down. After doing all this, Ina Seo used her inborn skill, attacking the 2 dark elves in front of her. Huiyan, on the other hand, immediately stood at the forefront of the team and activated the skill Peak Martial. After the first wave of attacks was blocked, Xiangji immediately charged into the group of dark elves with a dagger. As the only A-grade raider in the team, his strength was unquestionable. I can't lose to you guys either. Just then, the dark elves sensed great danger. My attribute just happens to counter yours. As Jaehyun's strongest attack skill at this stage, Chain Lightning's level had already reached 5, easily killing 2 dark elves. According to Jaehyun's memory from before he regressed, all of the dark elves' weapons were made of magic, which meant that absolute calculation could destroy all of their weapons. Seeing that they were at a disadvantage, the dark elves slowly hid themselves in the darkness. Everyone, listen to me. Yujong and Ina use only fire magic. While Jaehyun was instructing everyone, a magic arrow shot at him again. Jaehyun just raised his hand lightly, and the magic arrow shattered on its own. Huiyan, use a taunt skill to simplify the enemy's movements. Manager Xiangji, please take care of the dark elves who have been slowed down. Xiangji realized that Jaehyun seemed to be very knowledgeable about dark elves, so he didn't hesitate and immediately activated the skill Fade. Almost instantly, Xiangji's aura completely disappeared, and there was not even a single mana fluctuation around. The next second, Xiangji's figure suddenly appeared behind the dark elf. The dark elf had almost no chance to react and was instantly killed by Xiangji. Seeing that the situation was now under his control, Jaehyun also began to take the initiative to attack. With the activation of Fire Strike, another dark elf was obliterated. For a moment, the other dark elves all began to falter. Meanwhile, Yujong Kim activated the Fireball skill. The fierce flames exploded in the darkness, completely destroying the dark elves' escape route. The surviving dark elves charged towards Yujong Kim. Just then, Ina Seo stepped forward. With the point of Ina Seo's finger, several flame arrows appeared behind her, finishing off the oncoming dark elves. How can this be? How can humans know our weakness? Just then, a sharp sword pierced his chest. He quickly looked at Huiyan behind him. You mere humans, how dare you? With flashes of thunder, the last dark elf was also killed. They should all be dealt with, right? It seems so. Let's go. We don't have much time left. Could the path on the left be? Although not all of them, I felt the mana of the survivors from that direction. If we're any later, they might be in mortal danger. Meanwhile, in Miles Academy's director's office, Jane Gu was furious. Why can't you just do your job properly? I'm sorry, director, I really didn't expect an outsider to. You call that a valid excuse? You don't have to worry too much. It's common for ordinary people to die in a dungeon by accident, as long as we cover it up. Are you kidding me? A terrifying mana instantly erupted from Jane Gu. Suki Kim fell to his knees and started coughing up blood. If it were an ordinary person with no mana, the teleportation circle wouldn't have activated. This means that those little mice who came in all have mana. This matter absolutely cannot go wrong. If any survivors really walk out of there, you should be very clear about the consequences, right, Instructor Suki Kim? On the other side, in the Lotus Guild, is this really okay? The situation is urgent right now, and besides, I won't attract attention if I go alone. Song, you knew very well that the mana fluctuation just now could only be produced by a S-grade magic. The earring hadn't reacted yet, which meant there were no casualties for now, but if there's any delay, it could be too late. If I'm not back by tomorrow morning, you go to the association immediately and request support, and keep the security cameras running. Guildmaster, you must be careful. You have nothing to worry about. After saying this, Song Yu rode her motorcycle to the place Jaehyun had mentioned. Jane Gu, if you dare to touch a single hair on my people, I will not let you go. Back inside Svartalfheim, in a different section of the dungeon, I have to hold on just a little further. The girl was finally tripped by a stone. Impossible. I have to escape. If I were a little more useful, it wouldn't. Just then, a hand was placed on the girl's shoulder. It was Jaehyun and his group. You've worked hard. Leave the rest to us. The moment she heard this, the girl's vision blurred, and she finally collapsed. Jaehyun and his group fed them potions. Not long after, the boy woke up. Where's this place? Svartalfheim, the kingdom of the dark elves. These are my companions. We're here to save you. So you really are here to save us. What happened to you guys? The classmates who came with us to the King Guild, except for the 2 of us, were all captured, and after falling into Svartalfheim, we were immediately attacked by dark elves. The other classmates were all captured. Sankan and I also barely managed to escape their sight, but because of the mana poisoning, we really couldn't hold on. Jaehyun understood that they must feel like cowards, and that it would have been better to fight to the death with their companions than to live in disgrace, because the Jaehyun before his regression had also thought this way. He understood how the 2 of them felt at this moment. It's not your fault they were captured, so tell me, where were the other classmates taken? But those guys are too strong. Are you going to let the survivors die too? While Sankan was hesitating, the girl gently patted his shoulder. There's a king who commands the dark elves. The other classmates were all taken to him. I have one more question for you. Who was it that brought you here? It was Instructor Suki Kim. He brought us here. I understand. You all wait here. What do you mean by that? Are you planning to go alone? The boss room should be ahead. The other classmates' auras are gradually weakening. We need to get them out quickly. Are you crazy? It's too dangerous for you to go alone. You Jong is right. I understand your feelings, but it's better for us to act together. After some thought, Huiyan spoke up. I agree with Jaehyun's proposal. Huiyan, what are you talking about? You guys can't win against a dark elf one-on-one right now, and we also need some people to take care of the wounded, so it's best for me to go alone now. But in that case, you'll be. Is there any other way? I understand, but if there's any danger, you must come back immediately. Then I'll leave my friends in your care until I get back. Get moving. Don't worry about us. No matter what happens, I will protect everyone. Then I'll be right back. Is it really okay? If he goes alone, it should be fine. Jaehyun is very strong. Although this was the best way now, Yoo Kim still couldn't help but cry. When she looked up, she found that Ina Seo also had a gloomy face. Yoo Kim held Ina Seo's hand and reassured her. Jaehyun will be fine. Let's go and do what we can first. Just then, Seongji felt a change in his surroundings. There are enemies approaching, but before the others could react, Seongji was hit and his arm was severed. His blood had already spattered out. I was wondering where these little bugs were buzzing from. So you're here, you insignificant humans. Meanwhile, on Jaehyun's side, he has now arrived at the Dark Elf King's door. Jaehyun didn't know what would happen while he was away, so he had to make it quick. You're finally here. We heard a guest was coming, so we specially prepared something interesting. Just as Jaehyun was surprised, the earring Song-Eun had given him reacted. He could feel that Seongji's aura was getting weaker and weaker. As Jaehyun was about to turn back, the door slammed shut. How do you like it? You can't get out now. The only way out is to defeat all of us. Now that the others were in danger, Jaehyun had to find a way to end the battle here as soon as possible. Just as he was at a loss, Jaehyun thought of Hwoyan's words. All Jaehyun had to do now was to trust them. That's the only thing he could do right now. Alright, what are you going to do now? You only need to know one thing. None of you will leave here alive today. Seongji had no chance to react and was knocked down. Seongji's appearance clearly indicated he was poisoned. This meant that those dark elves must be very familiar with the weaknesses of assassination-type raiders. Finally got rid of the annoying guy. The rest are just small fry. Hwoyan realized that this dark elf was waiting for Jaehyun to split up from them. But if manager Seongji is down, then Guildmaster Song-Eun has already been alerted. It turned out that before they set off, Song-Eun had specially given Jaehyun her earring, Vivaldi's earring. When someone in the team was in mortal danger, the earring would send a message. If Jaehyun and his group were in a crisis, Song-Eun would immediately set off to find them. Learning that his companions were injured, Jaehyun became even more furious. He had to end the battle here as soon as possible. The Dark Elf King's purpose was to fluster Jaehyun, but to their surprise, not only was Jaehyun's combat state unaffected, but his attacks became even more ferocious. It turned out that before Jaehyun left, he was worried about the time he needed. After sensing Jaehyun's concern, Hwoyan proposed that he would buy him 10 more minutes. Jaehyun saw the determination in Hwoyan's face, a look that only a person who had made up their mind would show. Jaehyun had seen that look countless times, and every time, it made Jaehyun have no choice but to trust them. You go and deal with the Dark Elf King and rescue the other students. Leave this place to me. At this moment, Yoo Kim had activated another mana field. Ina Seo readied her Inborn skill, and even the two new members were ready to fight. If we run away again this time, we'll really have no face to see the other students. Your efforts are truly pitiful, but it's all a futile struggle, because you are destined to become the Dark Elf King's meal. His speed was very fast, and Ina Seo's magic couldn't even capture his position. But just then, Hwoyan blocked the Dark Elf's attack. For this opponent who had blocked his attack, a playful expression appeared in the Dark Elf's eyes. Just then, Hwoyan retaliated with a peak martial skill, driving back the Dark Elf. How interesting. So you aren't just dead weight after all. After the exchange just now, Hwoyan had realized that he and the previous Dark Elves were on completely different levels. Just who are you? My name is Kel. I am a noble of the Dark Elf royal family and the captain of the royal guard that protects the Dark Elf King. A noble of the Dark Elf royal family? That should be an A-grade or even stronger monster. Learning this news, Hwoyan fell silent. This was not an opponent he could withstand now. He couldn't help but remember his first encounter with Jaehyun, a back he would never forget, because that appearance was exactly what a raider should be, something he had forgotten. The path Jaehyun walked was not dictated by anyone, and that was exactly the dream Hwoyan pursued. So Hwoyan could not stop here. He swore to stand side by side with Jaehyun. Under everyone's surprised gazes, Hwoyan removed the shield from his arm. Hwoyan, what are you doing? Yoo Kim could not understand his intent. Hwoyan was walking forward with a calm pace, shedding all the shackles on his body. At this moment, Hwoyan displayed the grace a genius should have. I should have done this from the beginning. Hwoyan started to channel the mana hearts inside his body. The upper mana heart, the central mana heart, and the lower mana heart. The moment he unsealed all the power in his body, a terrifying mana raged around him. For a moment, even Kel was scared by Hwoyan. What's with this mana? With just Hwoyan's mana, Kel was already injured. This was Hwoyan's ultimate skill, one with the sword. However, Hwoyan's current body was not yet enough to accommodate this power. Hwoyan, stop. You can't handle this kind of power. Hwoyan's system also sent a warning. He could only last for 6 minutes and 36 seconds at most. Sensing Hwoyan's abnormality, Kel immediately ordered his subordinate Dark Elves to attack together. But those ordinary Dark Elves were no match for Hwoyan. One with the sword, it could only be used when one swordsman marksmanship reached its peak. This was an S-grade skill he had obtained through hard training, but the problem was that Hoyan's current body couldn't handle it yet. Hoyan ignored all the other dark elves and aimed straight for Kel. Hoyan knew that he was not yet familiar with this skill. He was still no match for Kel. All he could do was to stall for time. Meanwhile, Kel broke the clash they had and put distance between the two and suddenly charged back at Hoyan. However, he could still casually parry the attacks. Your struggle is truly ridiculous. Did you think I wouldn't know what state you're in? However, Hoyan was being fueled by his responsibility to protect his teammates. You will never understand the reason I'm doing this. Hoyan raised his sword again to charge at Kel with a mana-infused blade, but Kel easily dodged Hoyan's attack. Just as Hoyan was about to be hit by Kel's attack, he quickly pulled away from Kel. You speak so boldly, but in the end, you run away like a rat. Hoyan was not provoked by Kel, but raised his sword again. Although he knew it was futile, Hoyan still charged at Kel again and again. He knew he was no match for Kel, and he knew Kel was just toying with him. But unfortunately, Hoyan's body couldn't take it anymore. Kel caught his flaw, and he made a strong slash right at Hoyan. Fortunately, Hoyan managed to still block the attack, but he knew this was his limit. This would be his last attack. Hoyan swore to protect everyone for 10 minutes, so he bet everything on this one sword strike. An intense amount of mana was unleashed straight forward, aimed right at Kel. But unfortunately, Kel casually pulled a dark elf and blocked Hoyan's final blow. Hoyan's mana had been exhausted, and his body could not move. Kel drove his sword right through Hoyan. Yujong was stunned. She could only watch as the sword was pierced into Hoyan. The scene shifts to Jaehyun's side. He is currently on a killing spree in the boss room. The captured students were not in good condition, but fortunately, they were all still alive. Just then, a dark elf picked up a weapon and charged over, but Jaehyun suddenly turned around and slammed a fist into his face. Seeing his subordinates fall one by one, the dark elf king actually laughed. How foolish. How can you possibly defeat so many of us by yourself? It's not entirely impossible. A mere useless human to be so arrogant. Hearing this, Jaehyun was reminded of his father. I've been hearing that since I was a child. I'm so sick of hearing it. The moment Jaehyun finished speaking, a terrifying mana spread out from him. Seeing such powerful mana, the dark elf king also stood up excitedly. What are you guys still standing there for? Go and kill him. However, Jaehyun activated a new skill he's developed. Chains of fire appeared around him, ready to attack. The chains were unleashed in a fiery cyclone. The chains erupted and lashed all throughout, clearing out waves and waves of dark elves. Jaehyun even used it to get closer to his targets. My new magic needs some test subjects. Thank you for offering yourselves up. The dark elf king, who was so confident just now, began to falter. His subordinates were slowly dying. You damn bastard. Do you think you can leave here alive after doing this? Are you serious right now? The moment Jaehyun approached, the dark elf king knew he had no chance of winning. You will regret this. Even if you kill me here, there are 7 other kings. They will definitely come for you. But before the dark elf king could finish, Jaehyun's fist had already slammed into his face. What does it have to do with me? If you have the guts, let those guys come find me. Meanwhile, on Hoyan's side, his blood had already sprayed all over the ground. Seeing this, Inasio was completely stunned. She hadn't been able to help at all. She hadn't even seen the opponent's movements clearly. Because of her weakness, Inasio realized that she was going to lose someone important again. Alright, now it's just you useless guys left. I'll enjoy one first. That should be fine, right? Just as everyone was at a loss, there was a loud boom and a flash of light, and a figure slowly walked towards them. What's going on here? What is this mana? Are you the one who hurt these people? You'd better answer my question carefully. If it really was you, then you will surely die. The person who came was the S-grade raider, the saint is Song Yu. As Hoyan was about to faint, he saw a warm and bright light. He knew he had kept his promise and closed his eyes in relief. I'll ask you again. With just Song Yu's presence, the atmosphere had become heavier for Kel. Were those people hurt like this by you? Kel knew he was no match for Song Yu, but there were still many people here who could be used as hostages. You're right, those humans are all my handiwork. Song Yu completely detested the monster in front of her. I didn't expect you to admit it. Although I didn't plan to reason with a monster, Song Yu activated her sacrifice skill, healing everyone's injuries at the cost of her life force. Kel was dumbfounded that all the damage he did was now meaningless. I don't like it when people provoke my people. As she spoke, Song Yu casually waved a stream of holy mana, which completely shattered half of Kel's body. This was not a skill. All she did was launch a beam of condensed mana. I need to check the condition of these two first. The moment the golden mana appeared, Xiangji's complexion improved a lot. Manager Xiangji, is he okay? His injuries are no longer a concern, but Haoyan's condition is even worse than I thought. Without any hesitation, Song Yu immediately increased her mana output. Because the target's injuries were serious, the treatment would take some time. Hoyan had overused his power beyond its limit. Not only were all his acupoints distorted, but even the nerves that controlled his mana were severely damaged. If Song Yu had been any later, Hoyan might never have been able to use mana again. And to completely heal Hoyan, Song Yu lost 2% of her vitality. This skill really does take a toll on Song Yu's body, and if it weren't for Jaehyun, she would be dead already. Will Hoyan be able to make a full recovery? Of course, although it might take a few days for him to wake up. You don't have to worry about his physical condition. By the way, where did Jaehyun go? In an instant, everyone bowed their heads in silence. Jaehyun, he went to fight the boss alone. I see. You don't have to worry. Jaehyun will definitely come back safely. But if he goes to fight the boss of a place like this alone, will he really be okay? Jaehyun won't be easily defeated. I can guarantee you that. The Dark Elves all fight with magic. They're no match for that child. If you don't like me, let those guys come and find me themselves. That is, if you can even leave here alive. As the Dark Elf King, he was beaten by this ordinary human without any ability to fight back. But he knew very well that now was not the time to be concerned about his pride. He still had to find a way to tell the other kings about this. Without any hesitation, the Dark Elf King immediately ran in the opposite direction. But to his surprise, Jaehyun had already reached his front with the help of his chains. Without any time to react, the Dark Elf King was firmly pressed to the ground by Jaehyun. Where do you think you're going? Do you think I will die alone? I'm taking you to Helheim with me. This was the secret technique passed down through generations of the Dark Elf royal family, Frostfield. Well, this is an unexpected bonus. I'm glad I saved one. I really didn't expect it to be useful in a place like this. Jaehyun used the blank card to copy the Frostfield skill. After that, Jaehyun activated absolute calculation again, and Frostfield was broken. You should have realized who you were up against. Jaehyun then began to burn the Dark Elf King, defeating him and achieving an indescribable feat. Additionally, he even received the title Slayer of the Dark Elven King, and he obtained the essence of the Dark Elven King as an ingredient and the equipment Dark Elven King's Pauldron. And with this, he completed the second Crossroads quest, receiving another blank card, a sealed spell book, and the active skill Magic Tool Embodiment. However, Jaehyun immediately ran to the cage where his classmates were. Without any hesitation, he broke open the iron cage with brute force. From their appearance, it was clear that the classmates' condition was very poor. Fortunately, this one was still breathing. However, his mana was not enough to save everyone. This was a problem Jaehyun had to face, but now was not the time to hesitate. Jaehyun could only do his best to save the classmates closest to him. Just as Jaehyun's heart was filled with bitterness, a hand gently rested on his. Saintess Songun, you had arrived to help. A healer is a cruel profession. For a healer, the happiest thing is when no one needs treatment, and the second happiest is when you save someone from the brink of death. Songun, you didn't say much, just silently increased her life force output. The Saintess's brilliance dispelled the darkness of the dungeon. Soon after, instructor Suki Kim, who was outside the dungeon, also learned what had happened inside. These students who had escaped death had ruined his future, so he swore to make them suffer a fate worse than death. Just then, Jaehyun knocked on Suki Kim's car window. Suki Kim was speechless, but in an instant, Jaehyun grabbed him by the neck. So you were here, you little bastard. An hour before this, Songun, you led everyone out of the dungeon. Thank you so much for everything. If you're so thankful, you should join the Lotus Guild. How does that sound? I can join right now if you want. Jaehyun tried to intervene, but was swiftly kicked in the leg. After making us all worry like that, I told you not to talk to me. Jaehyun. To the side, Ina Seo silently agreed with Yu Jong Kim. It looks like they're here. Hannah finally arrived, and all of the students were all taken in by the Lotus Guild. However, Songun, Yu and Jaehyun chose to stay behind. Hannah also called over her brother. After asking Jaehyun to not tell her about what happened to his arm, he ran to the van as well. It turned out that both of them had felt a strange presence nearby, a dirty and naked gaze watching them. At this moment, Suki Kim has been thrown out of the car by Jaehyun. Instructor Suki Kim, I don't understand why you are here. The moment he saw Songun Yu, Suki Kim panicked, but Suki Kim had no other choice. Damn it, do you think I'll be caught so easily? That was a magic item that Jae-gu had given to Suki Kim. It could allow him to teleport a short distance, but to his surprise, Songun Yu easily dodged his attack. Is it a magic item that can teleport instantly? But it seems like you can't escape with its range. However, in an undisclosed location, Jae-gu was listening in on this situation. Why did you put the students in a deadly situation? And who is the person behind you? Do you think I'll tell you? Even if you're strong, you mages are destined to be no match for us brawlers. Is this your last resort? A mana suppression device? What a pity. Seeing the events play out, Jae-gu finally gave up on Suki Kim. Do you think you can beat me with something like this? It doesn't matter if you don't tell me who the mastermind is, because I know that person is Jae-gu, and I never expected you to answer my question. All I have to do is overload your device with too much mana, and it will shatter. In other words, this is where you die. Just then, a dark huge cloud had seemingly gathered above Suki Kim. With a terrifying bolt of lightning, the entire street was dyed a bright yellow, bathing Suki Kim in lightning and thunder. Jaehyun recognized this skill. It was the Call Lightning skill, which belonged to the A-grade skill along with Chain Lightning. Although the two skills were of the same level, it was obvious that their power was worlds apart. With the destruction of the mana suppression device, the guild field trip at Miles Academy also came to an end. Meanwhile, Ina Seo had returned to her dormitory, and she was in an indescribable state. Her mind was filled with Jaehyun's figure. Jaehyun not only protected Ina Seo, but also instantly destroyed the magic arrow shot by the Dark Elf. A strange feeling welled up in Ina Seo's heart. She knew she had to find a chance to thank Jaehyun. Meanwhile, the Kane Guild incident also pushed the top management of Miles Academy into the spotlight. A large number of reporters surrounded the academy, and a flood of negative public opinion swept in. Some people had even guessed Jae-in-goo's true purpose. All the media did not want to miss such a good opportunity and were camping out in front of the academy. To deal with this, Jae-in-goo's response was to seal off the entire academy. Someone had guessed his plan, which meant there was a traitor within Miles' academy, and Suki Kim had also lost contact, so he was surely dead. After some thought, Jae-in-goo found a way to break the deadlock, so he made a call. "This is Jae-in-goo. I want to commission you to help with some public opinion matters. You can name your price." And so, it seemed that this storm had ended, and everything had calmed down. When Hoi-an was walking alone in the corridor, Jae-hyun suddenly bumped into him. "It seems your injuries have recovered. It was just you, Jae-hyun. Actually, this is all thanks to you and the guildmaster. Without you two, I might not have been able to leave there alive." Although Hoi-an said this, the corners of his mouth couldn't help but curl up. "Why did you do that?" Jae-hyun's sudden question stunned Hoi-an. Just as Hoi-an was about to answer, Jae-hyun interrupted him again. "Just keep this mentality. You can think about the reason later. Just do what you want to do." After saying a bunch of incomprehensible words, Jae-hyun waved his hand and left first. "I almost forgot. Don't overwork yourself. The others will worry." The warm sunlight shone on Hoi-an's face. He hadn't felt this kind of concern from others for a long time. After the day ended, Jae-hyun checked the rewards he had received this time. The title had given him buffs to mana and advantage against dark-type monsters. In addition, there was also the ingredient item that Jae-sang could prepare into something, and the Dark Elven King's Pauldron that buffs his strength, mana, and stamina. But what Jae-hyun didn't expect was that he had also obtained a skill that could manifest magic tools in battle. This meant that he could create any weapon he would ever need. This is just incredible.